Okay.
How do I know?
You just know. It's like something you feel in your bones.
Yeah, I have a little. Each
Like,
comment has a
Oh,
blind
oh,
person
right.
or
Okay, yeah.
word.
Okay, I am too.
let me just. I just need to add the.
I don't have my little. I don't have a little. Whatchamacallit ski. Avatar?
That's all right. I don't have one either.
I want one.
All right.
How will
Well,
people know? How will they know?
then add one.
Fine. I can yell all I want down here.
I'm free.
Upstairs, it would have been like, "This is a good."
You guys hear me?
Jesus, fuck, he's up. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Sure.
Man, this. I don't know how anybody has beards. This hair on my lip is really bothering the fuck out of me.
Let me see. I'm gonna look at that. Let's
It
see.
just bothers you.
I can't see you because you're. There you go. Now I can see you.
Chrome won't let
It's
me
not
log
that
into
bad.
the
I
website.
tend to trim right above the lip because it bothers me when it curls around. Here's the
All
thing
right.
I'm doing. I'm trying to let the area to the sides of the soul patch just be.
What the
Yeah.
hell
So
is
it's
that?
growing out there. And you can't see it.
Why does it keep doing this?
Do
What's
what?
going on?
Chrome keeps logging me out of the website every time I go into the article. Chrome is the worst.
I don't know.
I, I,
Is the video playing?
I have to embed it. No one can see it. Every time I go into the article to embed it, I get kicked out.
Oh,
I get logged out of the website.
that's a problem.
Chrome is the worst.
Do you want me to go in and add the video?
Hold on, I'm gonna try and go into the admin.
It's a bad looking avatar is what I've got now. Let's see if I can make it work. Let's see.
I mean, hold on, Paul. I use Mozilla,
It's all stretchy.
a
Okay.
browser that actually works.
Chrome works great. You shut your face.
Well, it didn't work great for me.
Well, that's because you're the fucking tech bubble.
I'm sweaty.
Yeah, I like you. I like you slick.
The fan. All right, you could go to the website.
Okay.
And do you see it? Does it work? There it is. There it is.
Yay!
Hello.
Are we live? Tell the people in the chat room. They probably
Okay,
have to
good.
refresh.
Imagine we shouldn't have the video.
No,
running.
you should know because you'll hear an echo.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Just don't hit play.
Okay.
All right, I'm going, and then we can start to get started.
Okay.
Crap. All right.
That's salty. You know I don't like
Oh,
that kind of talk.
how did you do a? How did you do an avatar?
I went to the Chatwing website,
Right.
and then I was already logged in. Went over to my account, which is over in the upper right.
Yep, I see it.
I hit update chat profile,
Feels so dirty.
and there it was.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear that fan?
Nope.
Perfect.
I can't hear.
Oh,
Perfect.
but now for some reason it just put the old one back in, and we can't. I
There'll
can't have
be
that.
more chest hair later, people.
I hope.
Podcast art. Uploading. Oh,
Josh is in the bunker.
I don't know.
Fucking why is my?
You can always plug in the ones I've got, the big ones.
I'm having avatar issues.
You just want to look cool.
You have an avatar issue?
No, it's when I was showing you what to do, I hit the button and mine switched back.
I don't know why that happened.
Well, because it's janky.
I'm gonna test this out, see what it says. Test.
You can feel this.
I didn't get an avatar. Oh man.
Why do you need an avatar?
Because I feel like I'm the only one without one.
You are.
Your big cue ball head is in the thing.
There's 124 people in here. Are they watching you fail right now?
Yeah. Whatever. All right, let me
Good
check
joke.
this out.
You know what we are? We're the three best looking men in comics podcasting. Paul, you gonna do the whole thing with the thing in your mouth?
No, that's gonna be problematic.
I could. That's what I was gonna say. You know, I have a degree in this kind of thing, and just my instincts are just saying. Although that was nothing to tell my instincts that when we decided to do an episode where we ate cookies on video.
I'm being asked, is Paul in a state where medical marijuana is legal? Define
No.
state.
Oh, he's smarter than all of them. And now they're making fun of you for not having an avatar. Why is this taking so long? Because Connor can't work his fucking shit out.
Will my dogs make an appearance? They might make a vocal appearance. It's past their bedtime, actually, so...
Are you affecting some sort of slightly different accent? Like
Am I?
I don't. It's not an accent, but you sound slightly more folksy.
No?
The dogs might make an appearance.
Sorry? No, Lily's
I
in
didn't
here.
mean to make you. Now see, I was trying to go for a joke, and all I've succeeded is making you self-conscious. No, I am speaking neutrally.
I am... No. That's... Stop typing so fast. Okay, I should make the chat window bigger so I can see more than...
Make
three
it
things at
long
once.
to the whole side of the screen.
Make it long.
But you don't want to be reading that thing.
Extend it.
Make it long.
Once we get going, you don't want to be reading that thing. It'll throw you off.
Yeah, I know. Alright, so if I just have that open over there, that
Let's
should
see
do
here.
it.
Handsome, just everywhere.
Do you guys want to retweet the tweet?
Wanna what?
Retweet the about the show?
Okay. This one says, we've got video for the live show, come watch the mayhem.
I'm getting audio dropouts.
I'm getting a few of those too.
For who?
I think Connor.
Just Connor for me.
Me? I think it's because I'm typing and it keeps cutting me off.
Oh. Okay, good to know.
Okay.
Is there a way to shut that?
I have no idea.
Mine said constantly. It sounds like you're typing.
Yeah, I am typing, Google. Thank you.
I haven't typed a fucking thing. I'm telling you.
Maybe
This is the first step of the Google overlords.
maybe it hears
sounds
my
like
typing
you're-
through your microphone and it thinks you're typing.
I have headphones.
My screen is not nearly big enough for all of this
It
nonsense.
sounds like you're typing, Dave. No.
What are you doing, Dave? You were typing.
Your voice went robot-y when you did that, and it was super creepy.
What are you doing,
Sync
Dave?
looks like an old samurai movie. What? What does that mean?
Because the dialogue won't match the mouse perfectly.
Oh, okay.
What we say is not dialogue.
Yeah, it's all scripted. That's what the script's for. What do you think?
Yes, Brett, I am wearing a hat.
Other obvious things.
Can you identify
You
what kind of hat it is, chat?
Tell the people that you can, if you're in the chat room, you should be able to pop the chat window out into its own little window and put it next to the video so you can
Yeah,
watch.
hit the arrow thing up at the top right.
We are
Yeah.
we are depending on those of you in the chat rooms, the vets, as it were, to
Let
help
people know.
out.
Yeah, old people help the new people out.
Yeah, come on. That's how we do it around here.
Let's give people a few more minutes.
Right.
I'm going to close Twitter. I think we should deputize Chris to be in charge of the chat room and telling people about everything they ask over and over again.
Yeah.
Is he complaining that audio and video isn't perfectly synced?
No,
or
he's
is he
telling
telling
them.
people that. Okay,
Telling
no, that's
people.
okay.
Paul's wearing. Yes,
That
I'm
was-
wearing a hat. Why are?
You appear to be surrounded by an 80% nitrogen, 20% oxygen mix.
All right, close this. Close
Heisenberg
this.
hat is one way. I will accept that.
I feel like you've had that hat
Judges?
longer than the show.
This hat
Yeah.
longer than the run of the show.
Well,
No.
longer than the show's been on. Did you get that hat post Breaking Bad? You know what that is? That's a Brevoort hat. That's what that is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's
Hey, can I have? Where's Wonder Woman? Can I have Wonder Woman?
maybe
Wonder
maybe
Woman.
it's a Brubaker hat.
I'm getting a double echo of it
Are you getting a double echo?
in the thing, not up here.
Are people getting a double echo in the chat room?
No.
You know, in
Yes,
chat
Will
room.
Magnus, it is a pork pie hat.
What's the etymology of the term pork pie hat, Paul?
Just be quiet.
All right, I'm gonna go get a drink. I'll be right back.
Let's talk
Okay.
about Jerry Burns while he's gone.
Let me show you. Here.
Can I tell you something? That's just
Yes.
a bad idea. I don't hear what you're seeing at all.
Jerry Burns for Rocket Raccoon?
Yeah, I don't see that.
No, it's brilliant.
No, I think you just like Jerry Burns and you like
He
Rocket
looks
Raccoon.
like a raccoon.
He looks
Well, we were.
like a bird of prey.
No, he doesn't. He looks
I
like a raccoon.
believe that I illustrated that perfectly in the side profile and his scary hawk. You can even look at the eyebrows; they're the same.
Nah, he looks like a raccoon.
Why are they all just saying no?
He looks like he goes through people's garbage.
I'll give you that. Whenever I see him, I still think
Wasn't
Gurk.
Wasn't that your Brubaker costume hat? Yes. I don't have the chops to pull off a good.
That was so much better than what I had. That's a little something we like to call an inside joke.
Yes, it is.
You hear what he said?
What?
He said he doesn't have the chops to pull off a Brubaker costume. There it is. There it is. It was a
That's a
3
delayed
second...
one.
Yeah, no, that's how good that was.
So, nice, I like that.
Paul strikes me as a trumpet player in a third wave ska band. I can't play any musical instruments.
That's a good one.
Jason Statham for Rocket Raccoon.
What's he know about diamonds?
I can see it, I guess.
Jeff Goldblum, the gun. Huh?
How about Charles Dance as Rocket Raccoon? So you could do like anybody. You could have anybody, and just it'd be a completely different character, but it
That
would all
seems
work.
unhealthy.
What? Is that pasteurized? What's happening there?
Oh shit.
I
it's
love
wild
Jeff Goldblum. Pork
It's
chops?
wild
No.
berry.
Hey Paul, was that the hat from Rocky? I guess that's a pork pie hat.
He bought it with all his Marvel payola money.
It's black.
I'm in my basement. Listen, both are places where I keep bodies.
All right,
Taking the hat
so
off.
let's
These
talk
people are
about
getting too
this.
excited.
Let's talk about this show.
I'm not gonna be able to look at any of this once I open.
We
the
just got to
script.
talk about one book, and we're done, right?
Yeah, and then we just can wing it.
Okay.
So, all right. So you have the scripts. You got.
Yep.
All right. So, I'm doing the intros. There's no sponsor read. And then I will direct us through the traffic of the emails.
Cool.
All right. Let me just-
I'm gonna still sing the musical portion, right?
If
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
guys in the chat, if it seems like the chat or if the video is lagging, I'm actually reading things from several chats up, so I'm not reading the most recent.
There are 140,000 bandwidth issues that could be happening to you, your individual terminal right now, and there's
The most
damn
recent
about it.
chat thing I'm reading is Ali saying Wonder Woman, fuck yeah.
I
He's
see
in the
that.
basement
That's
where Tom
second.
Caters stored you, Josh.
I don't get it.
You don't usually just wing it.
I think you enunciated that wrong. You don't usually just wing it? He's questioning our
It
professionalism.
wasn't in italics, so
I don't think he's got that option.
So how's everyone's audio? Mine's okay.
You sound like I imagine angels sound.
Okay. All right. So do we want to wait any longer? Give people a few more minutes to come in or not?
I don't know.
Wait, Vigo the Carpathian is dead?
What?
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 That's still funny. What?
That is funny.
Did
That
you guys
guy
hear
that played
Ryan?
Vigo in Ghostbusters 2 as Rocket Raccoon.
Ryan Haupt did a very good job on Star Wars Minute, or is doing. They're in the middle of the week. He's funnier than me. Fucker.
It's also smarter and better looking and younger.
Yep, all those things.
And he also steals girlfriends.
The hearts, anyway.
Yes, he takes their hearts.
Look, I saw you look off to the side there. I caught that.
Takes their hearts. All
You know what's the difference between your bookshelf and my bookshelf?
What?
Well, first
Mine
of all,
is
mine's
organized.
upstairs, and I'm in a fucking basement. No, yours, you finish shit. You've got all the volumes of something, whereas I got 2. Like I'm looking behind you, I'm like, really, I got to get those other 2 BPRD volumes. But I don't finish.
You can't see down here. I've got the Hellboys, the libraries.
Yeah, I only made it to the first one of those for too much money. Also, I'm not gonna lie, it scares me a little when you point below what I can see on the camera and you go, you can't see what's down here, and I just for a minute go, oh, this is gonna go bad right away. Because one of these shows,
It's bound to happen one of these days.
I just got really excited because I thought it said Frank Darabont said that he liked my Wonder Woman review. Oh, it's actually Davenport. I'm sure is a lovely person, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. But
We
it's
briefly
worth
met Frank Darabont in New York Comic Con.
What?
Remember that?
it didn't
You went-
occur to me at that moment that that's the dude who directed Shawshank Redemption.
Right. As you were standing there in your Walking Dead getup.
Yeah, I know. I was playing the fool, I believe, at that point, and that's not really the way you want to meet somebody whose work you respect a lot, who only wears Hawaiian shirts.
Mm-hmm. So really, how much can you respect them?
Quite a bit, it turns out. Although I wasn't so into the Majestic, so you know.
All right.
How do I get this in Hangout? You can't?
You can't get in the Hangout. All right.
Can't do it. It's locked out. Keep the rabble out like you.
Oh, turn this TV off.
I don't have.
So is the chat behind the video or is the video behind the chat?
Don't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it. I'm just
All right, we're gonna radically change the format on this one. All sex questions.
okay.
Here's the thing about beer and beards is that the foam gets in there. Is
Are you
Gordon
gonna
here?
spend the whole night talking about your facial hair? Because
Yeah,
that
probably.
you know. Jeez.
Is that actually Gordon? Should probably text him to find out. Where's my phone?
Get a verified account for Gordon.
We do have group chat in the game.
He says he's in there.
He'd have
What
to
is-
if he is. I bet if he logs in, make sure that you're logged in through Chatwing, and you're
Hold
probably
on.
already an admin.
Is he? Let's check.
We ain't
Sorry,
going with this.
everyone.
My son's gonna be awake in about 4 hours.
Well, them's the breaks, isn't it? Chatwing.
Look, it's a text from Gordon. Help! How do I get in this chat room?
I've already forgotten how to do this. All right. I think it's customized chat box. Yes, this is it.
Here's something. If you haven't seen that artist from Sweden that I tweeted out a while ago, you should go look at it. 'Cause
Okay.
It's fucking great. Did
Hold
you
on,
see
I
it?
gotta.
What? No.
Simon Stalenhag?
Okay.
I tweeted it out like a while back. It's also on my Facebook page because
See?
they're linked.
I think that's what my end table's called.
Simon Stalenhag.
Tell Gordon to log in through Facebook,
I think.
Gordon, log in through Facebook.
because then he won't just be guest 123. He'll be Gordon.
Let him be a guest.
He's just guessed 1, 2, 3. That's weak. Tell him to tell him about the, you know.
We're not nearly. It's not nearly late enough in the show for that.
It will be.
All right. Okay. Wow. How did Ron do this with all these things open?
I think he has like 6 computers. He's like
Or
what's her
Gordon
name?
can change his name and settings. Either or.
You could also do that. Why do we got it? Come on. He's a grown up.
He's a professor, for God's sakes.
I know. You can't fucking spend all your energy being sexy.
My sister said she'd watch the show if she had internet.
Okay.
That's great.
Fair enough. All right. Which one is Gordon? Oh, Fort. Gordon. Gordon, why don't you change your name so we know it's you? There he is. Perfect. We ready?
I
Are you guys frozen? No.
No, you did a little like for a minute, but you're good.
Oh, really?
It's cool.
Norm.
Okay.
Always funny.
Norm. Always funny.
Okay, so I'm going to do the intros, and then I'm going to introduce the emails. Cool?
You all right?
You all right?
All right, mate. I've been watching a lot of British TV lately. That's probably not going to stop.
Have you been watching? No, I'm not going to even mention it. All right. Megan Alley says hi. Oh, you saw that. You're in the chat room as well. Okay.
Hello.
We ready?
Stop what?
Stop breathing.
Do you want me to stop doing that experiment I was doing?
No. Don't
A little
listen.
while
You
ago.
do. Listen. You do what? Hey, look, it's Gordon's name. What?
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 So, Paul, the weird thing is there's no sort of like recording here, so we're just going to have to start talking. That was
94.
What?
That was trash.
We hadn't started
Start.
yet. 94.
Whoa. They're right. Ben Affleck is Batman for Man of Steel sequel.
Ugh.
I
don't. Nope. Nope. Listen, I really, really like Ben Affleck. But
Could
what
you
I say
direct
is
it instead?
Here's why. Here's exactly why they did this. You want to know why?
to sell tickets.
I know this from talking to somebody who knows. Because they really, really want him to direct Justice League, and he will only direct a movie he's starring in.
Right.
Oh, so he's yeah.
That is exactly why they
He's
did
their
it.
John Favreau.
Yes. They really, really want him to direct Justice League. That's
He'd be
exactly
good
why.
for that.
Okay. So if he directs it,
And he will only
So
do a
he's- so
movie
he's-
he's in.
so he stars in Zack Snyder's Superman, Batman, Man of Steel 2, whatever, and then he
Yeah.
gets to direct Justice
Let's see.
League, which
Yep.
he's also in as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You guys saw Daredevil, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
By the way, cue the people, the apologists for Daredevil in the chat room now.
The director's cut.
cut is it? Shut up.
No, it's terrible.
It's a terrible movie.
Let me just.
I have been disconnected due to 5 minutes of idle time.
What?
From what?
No, apparently after 15 minutes of not writing anything in the chat room, you get disconnected. Then you just hit a button that says reconnect or whatever. We have to start.
Okay. All right. Calm down. Just get
I'm
this
not.
in the
I'm not
thing.
uncalm.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Favreau was like, I have to play happy. If I'm gonna walk if I don't have to play. I don't get to play happy.
Are we ready? Wow, we lost 10 people in the last 5 minutes.
I'm gonna say something filthy now. I was watching The Sopranos. You know the episode where Moltisanti goes to the set and Favreau's directing.
Yeah.
They're trying to come up with a word, and Janine Garofalo's like, I don't feel like calling her a bitch. I don't think that's right. And Chris is like, you should call her Bukyat. And they're like, what is that? And they talk about it, and they go back and forth. He explains what it is, and they go, that's really nice. What does it mean? He just goes, cunt, and then they cut. It's a great scene.
All right, ready?
Sorry.
All right, everyone, we're going to start.
Gabagool over here.
Josh, count me in.
3, 2.
You are listening to the iFanboy Pick of the Week podcast.
Wait, there's a
episode-
plane going by. Stop.
Fuck you.
You're a
I'm-
liar.
There is. It's
hear anything.
outside.
If there's a thing that you hear but we don't hear it, it's cool. What are you new?
I don't. Yeah.
He's fucking with you. I think he's trying to throw us off.
I'm not trying to throw you off.
Count me in again.
Striving for excellence.
You live directly under an airport.
No.
Do you?
I live directly under sky where there are planes.
I think that hat.
Let's do this.
You have a hat on.
Hey, I'm the one on the West Coast. I can do this all night.
All right.
3, 2.
You are listening to the iFanboy Pick of the Week podcast, episode 400, brought to you by iFanboy listeners just like you.
All right.
Ready?
That was great.
Thank you.
3, 2.
Hello, welcome to the iFanboy.com Pick of the Week podcast, episode 400. We're coming to you live via the internet, assuming you are now watching. If not, it's not live. My name is Connor Kilpatrick. I'm here with Josh Flanagan.
Money, 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 money.
And
There's no
first,
money.
first ever live podcast, Paul Montgomery.
What's up?
Really? I
Yes.
didn't realize that.
It's his first ever
Yeah.
live one.
It's like
We
natural.
We are at fanboy.com. We like comics. We read comics. If we could read a bunch of comics, one of us picks the best one, writes about the website. We talk about it in this podcast along with the other books of the week, other topics of interest, all fun kinds of fun stuff. And that's how it normally goes. This week, though, to celebrate the 400th episode, we're doing an all-listener email show. So we'll be talking about the pick of the week and then jumping right into the emails. There'll be more on that in a minute. In the meantime, don't forget about spoilers, because there's a big one in this issue that the pick is happening in. I've had some beer already. So there'll be spoilers. So if you haven't read Wonder Woman, you might be spoiled. Whoops, that's the pick. Paul had it. Go.
You want me to talk about Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
What number was it? 23? Wonder Woman?
23. Wonder Woman 23.
I
We
almost
hadn't
knocked
been-
over all of my stuff to pick up the iPad to look at the issue. Sorry.
Okay.
No beer.
we haven't been so excited about Wonder Woman for a little while now, but I think with that little sojourn to the Fourth World and New Genesis, I think
I think it came back a couple of issues ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've
With
been
Cliff
back
Chang.
on board, and you know, it was one of my favorite things coming out of the first wave of the New 52, and as long as Cliff Chang's on it, I'm happy, and that has been going on for the past couple of issues at least. And this issue, big moment for War, aka Brian Azzarello, the writer of this book, in a interesting cameo, in a dead-eyed cameo as the Greek god War, and this just felt like a big third act kind of battle. Just a big set piece set in ruined London. And we've got Orion in on the action, Wonder Woman, Hera's wandering around. And it's all against this big hulking firstborn character. And he's bad news. But War is even worse news because he can summon all of the veterans of every war that has ever been fought. And that's pretty exciting.
The moment this issue got me, and I don't know if it was when it got you, was the full page spread, which I'm going to put up on the camera now for the chat roomers to see, is the moment when War summons all of the dead soldiers as his army.
Yeah.
And you see conquistadors, and you see Indians, and you see knights, and you see Revolutionary War fight, and
Say conquistadors again. That was sexy.
conquistadors, and you see
Thank you.
Viet Cong, and you see World War II soldiers, and it's just Civil War guys, and that's the moment when I went, yes.
You sure it wasn't when she bonked him on the head and then said a-hole?
Well, maybe, but this was really that was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm in. You know?
I had actual goosebumps when I was reading that and when that page came up, and I was listening to some Johnny Cash at the time, old Johnny Cash, and it got
Was
me.
it cocaine?
It wasn't cocaine. What song was
Cocaine
it?
Blues. I don't know what song it was.
Run
Right
for
there.
Murder?
When the man comes around. And
Okay,
so it kinda
perfect.
worked. Yeah.
That's not old. That came out in
What?
like...
Josh, remember who we're talking about?
Elderly Johnny Cash.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, I see what you're saying.
Troll
Okay,
me
that-
on the live show. No, and it's just that character I think has been just sort of biding his time, and then to have this noble, valiant kind of send off was pretty cool. And Cliff Chang and Matthew Wilson on colors just like pulled out all the stops. That moment when Orion is going to do like a some kind of wrestling move up from the rafters down
It's
on
a
the
suplex
firstborn.
or something. It's pretty bad.
That's not a suplex.
No, it's a flying... I used to know things like that.
It's almost a flying elbow drop, but he's
Yeah.
doing some kind of, and he's coming down from the rafters, and then the firstborn was ready for him, and then he did this big shock of yellow in the background, and just really striking.
Well, it's funny, when we talked to Cliff Chang way before this book came out, remember Josh, at the New York Comic Con, he
Yes.
said he was working on putting in
That was San Diego.
San Diego, was it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was. San Diego Comic Con, he talked about how he was going to put wrestling moves into the book. And he's done
You
that.
remember that? I remember where it was, but you remember the quote. That's strong.
Well, he was showing us the art on the iPad. We hadn't seen
By the way,
it.
when you get to be apparently this age, you get impressed at your other friends' memories. You remember that? Good job. You must be eating fish.
Your back doesn't hurt?
Because
So,
right now, specifically.
so
the way
Paul,
I
let's
understand it.
discuss the big events of this book, which are slightly controversial for some.
Wait, before we go there, the only thing I wanted to say when we were still talking about the art is that when I
Yeah.
wrote the pick of the week for the first issue
Yeah.
a long while back, one of the things that really impressed me with it was the storytelling, especially in the fight sequences.
Mhm.
And as we're talking about the wrestling stuff, throughout this, first of all, right away when I opened it and I saw Cliff Chang's art, not his name, I didn't really even think to look for that, but right away I was like, oh, that's nice. Like he's just better than other artists, and it doesn't say anything about the other artists other
Just
than
in general.
just Cliff
He
Chang
is.
is better than them.
He is.
Yes.
And when you look throughout this, there's a lot of fighting in this. There's a lot of hand-to-hand stuff, and so as you watch like the fight sequences of War as he fights the firstborn and catches his catches his arm and then punches him underneath, and you just look at how the camera angles and the colors work to make those sequences are wonderful. That's as good fight storytelling as I've seen in any comics, recently. And
Did you mention Matthew Wilson?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
Because I had a beer, so I didn't hear if you heard him or not.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, and I think expression is really important in this book, because I realized this in writing this review, was that we don't get inside Diana's head. There's no caption boxes, so there's a little bit of distance between the reader and Wonder Woman, in contrast to what we're so used to with Batman and Superman, all the other DC books, and that distance can be problematic sometimes, but I think here, in such an emotional issue, and with Cliff Chiang allowing her to express herself that way, it just really worked. And if it could have been really overwrought.
I think that's a great point about this book, is that it's one of the few that doesn't rely so heavily on that constant inner monologue to make sure the reader knows everything that's happening. It's weird because this book seems to be operating outside the parameters of all of the stuff that everybody else who is creating for DC seems to be complaining about.
Well, you know why?
Why?
It's because the editor went to tell Brian Azzarello what to do.
And he just looked at him.
He looked into his eyes and he went, "Never mind."
And he did that through the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing.
I was scheduled to do a phone interview with Brian Azzarello a while back, and he had to cancel, and I was so glad. Because I was terrified.
I
was excited to talk about him, but I was like, "We just do this by email." Like, I was afraid.
What's funny is that when you say that, is that a lot of times if somebody gets drawn into a book as the character War, the god of war, they're gonna sort of upgrade their look. They're gonna make them look a little. This looks exactly like him.
Yeah,
right.
This is a little bit longer beard.
No, I think he's at about that level.
Is he?
Yeah.
It's long.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the big moment, because that's what got people talking all over the internet. So in the big fight with the Firstborn, War takes him on and he's fighting him, and in order to win, in order to not have the Firstborn take the power of War, Diana puts a stake through War's back and the Firstborn's stomach, basically gets them in both one shot, and ends up herself becoming the god of War. And I think what that does is allows for lots of now interesting conflicts within the Wonder Woman, who's traditionally been the symbol for peace, but we know from going all the way back to Kingdom Come that they've turned her into more of a warlike character. But I think what Azzarello is going to probably do is really play with the dynamic of that, and how will someone who is basically an emissary for peace deal with being the goddess of war now. I think that leads to a lot of interesting places.
Yeah, and we already got a hint of that with Wonder Woman deciding not to take out the Firstborn totally. Like, she could have just totally put him down. And I think Death remarks that it's an interesting choice for a goddess of war.
Right.
I'm really excited to see how that plays out, and to see that, and especially because that brings the conflict away from this ensemble where she's the protector, and there are other characters like Lennox sacrificing themselves for the good of the party. This brings it back to her, and I really do want to know more about this Wonder Woman, because when it started, I mean, she's living in this flat in London, I guess, and she's already an established hero, and she's more of a force of nature than a character with any kind of internal conflict. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what decisions she makes, and how this. I mean, that's a lot of power to be the goddess of war. I don't even know how you visualize that.
It's gonna be cool. And one thing I really liked also was that basically this issue ended the 23-issue story. Right? I mean, we're ready for a new arc. I mean, it's basically been. Somebody asked on the website, "Can I jump on?" And it's like, well, you're jumping on at the very last moment.
Yeah.
Although,
you can, absolutely you can, but it's been a 2-year story, basically, and they're finally, we've been talking about, and I'm sure the story will continue. So technically, it's not like they're going to start over, but there's definitely a feeling of this bit wrapping up, which you haven't had yet in this book.
You know what I like about the whole God of War business is that I feel like the idea of Wonder Woman gets confused out there, and like the whole thing is that they've made the point in this the whole time is that she's a warrior, and there's all sorts of people who think no, she's for peace or whatever and love. And my favorite Wonder Woman depiction has always been New Frontier, where she's a bitchin' warrior.
Yep.
And this goes hand in hand with that. Like, it'll be a different take on it, but I think it's really cool.
And I like that idea that as he's dying, War says, "Keep me in your heart, Wonder Woman." Because it's not just War is not just this characterization of War is not just about
Violence
and carnage, mindless carnage. This is about the good fight. This is about the struggle. This is about fighting for what you care about.
It could be. It has the potential for that, and I think that's
that's
actually
what he's doing
yeah.
in this moment.
It's very easy
summoning
to
up
just,
everything.
It would be very easy to categorize War or the God of War as the Punisher, as Frank Castle or something like that.
Yeah,
That's
it's much more complicated.
It's much more complicated, and it's a cool way to bring it. I think that's interesting, Paul.
I like the idea that War was a guy trying to find peace, and as a god of war, he's never going to find peace, and he finally did in death.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought there was a lot of interesting things going on here. I thought it was a great pick, beautiful art, interesting story, lots of interesting sets up the next level, which is interesting. It's issues like this that really puts into stark relief how. I'm trying to find a diplomatic way to say this. How tough the New 52 has been in terms of story, in terms of quality story, and this is one of the few books that's really been well done.
They clearly let him tell it, or at least most.
He's on his own. I mean, it has been described as for many people, including people who work at DC, as a Vertigo book into the DC universe, and it really is. Yeah. It really is a Vertigo superhero book in the DC universe, which is amazing.
So what's the plan with this? Like, is Grant Morrison doing it?
He's doing Earth 1, like the J. Michael
Straczynski. Okay, that's right.
He's doing it out of continuity.
As far as we know, they're sticking on this.
Mm-hmm.
So far as we know, I mean, they're gonna for Villains Month. I think Azzarello is going to do a Firstborn issue, and then there's going to be, I think, Ostrander is doing a Cheetah issue, which has like nothing to do with any of this. But then after that, we've got Diana on some kind of scary warhorse, and the saga continues.
I want to read that story, but I only want to read it if they write it. Like
right.
if they tell that story.
Yeah.
So there you go. Wonder Woman 23 is the pick of the week. Great issue. Great wrap up to 2 years of Wonder Woman, which is it's crazy that it's been 2 years when you think about it.
Yeah. Wow.
So let's normally we talk about the rest of the books, but it's the format of this episode. So we're going to do some emails, and if you're in the chat room, you can see all of these emails we've got going here. So we solicited emails from you for the last couple of weeks. Got a ton of them, and they were great. We have a lot here. We're not going to get to them all. So what I'm going to say to you first is if you wrote in, thank you. We appreciate it. If we don't get to your email, I'm sorry. We'll try to write back. But
better next time. What do you want?
Time constraints. We literally can't do all these emails. And also, a lot of you in your emails wrote very nice intros. Thanking us for our show, congratulating us on 400 episodes. We cut those out just for time's sake, but we also read all those, and they were all very nice. We appreciate.
We don't want to sound like assholes reading compliments to ourselves.
Right, but we also appreciate all the kind words you said to us, and all that. We just cut them out just for time's consideration. So, but thank you. So we're going to kick it off with the first email from Dan, who writes, and he says, "It seems that today we have far more hit-or-miss comics than we used to. While there's certainly more great or near-great runs going on than there were 10 or 20 years ago, most of everything else is pretty bad. I feel like the middle ground, workman-like, lunchbox crowd comics that guys like Chuck Dixon used to put out just aren't being made anymore. Every Dixon issue of Robin or Nightwing, for instance, would have 2 fight scenes, a set piece, some character development, and a cliffhanger. Nothing flashy, but solid comic bookery. With the guys who did this sort of stuff, Dixon, Wolfman, Grunwald, Nicieza, Stern, etc., largely out of the industry or working on terrible New 52 books, has anyone taken up the mantle? Any favorite solid but not spectacular writers that I've missed?" He's right.
That they pounded us into silence immediately.
He's right, though. I mean, the middle ground guys are gone. It's like the middle class. It's like a metaphor. It's the middle class of comics is sort of out.
Do you think that's true?
Yeah,
or do you think that maybe, and I just wonder if I'm applying my own point of view, like that middle class stuff, middle class. I don't feel like that's like I feel like you've seen all the tricks that those folks can do, but there definitely is a workman. There's a
I feel like there's an all or nothing vibe.
There is there is for me in comics, especially in superhero comics now. Like that's a standard I've adopted, where like like that stuff's good. It's fine. I don't care. Like but if you want like meat and potatoes superhero stuff, like I feel like I've read all of it.
Right.
So maybe those guys who are out there, your here we go, your Cullen Bunns, your Tony Bedards, your whoever, they're doing fine work. I just like I want it to be more interesting than that.
Do
But
you
there's a
think
market for it.
do you think the drop in page count has anything to do with the way they have to structure these stories? So I mean, talking about having certain set pieces throughout an issue and it just feeling like a solid, well-paced story. Even dropping one page from the standard script is problematic and changes the way you have and the amount of things you can do in a story. And that makes it feel a little bit more slapdash.
I think it makes it more of a challenge, but I don't think it's the culprit. If that
I'm saying I
makes
think
sense.
it contributes in a way.
Might. Yeah.
I think there's less of a market for the middle tier titles. I think that there's less of an audience. So, those it's a different. 20 years ago, it's a completely different market, and it's changed. It's more of a big market. You know what I mean? Like the big books.
Everything has to be. Yeah, I mean, you said it. Like everything has to be the best.
Yeah.
Like every time that there's a Marvel event, this is the biggest, most significant, shocking thing that's ever happened. Someone has to die. That's everything. And then, if everything has to be that, then everything else, by comparison, is worthless.
Right.
And there's because if the one thing that we complain, I guess, a little about, let's say DC isn't doing as well as Marvel, but one thing both companies are doing right now is they are both moving in lockstep. Every single thing seems to be part of a unified agenda for the whole thing. There's not a lot of, Fury Max is an outlier.
Yeah.
Everything else is moving together to the greater good of the cinema division.
DC followed the Justice League, and that's pretty much where it all goes.
And I just remember picking up that first issue of Constantine for the New 52, and it just having that feeling of a New 52 book. And I don't entirely know how to quantify that, but I think it's about big single-page reveals of a villain. There is a certain art style to it, but there's some kind of structural thing to recent comics that feels hurried and more about major beats.
It's formulaic.
Yeah.
I mean, that Constantine book is the perfect example of what you're talking about, though. It's perfect.
Right. All right, we got a lot of these. So let's move on. Josh, take the next one.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Randy says, it seems to me that in this burgeoning age of digital comics, one publisher is clearly winning and one is clearly losing. I don't know what this is going to say. I was pretty much a blank slate to comics up until 2 years ago in DC's New 52. But DC isn't the digital comics winner in my opinion. Of the 20 or so subscriptions I have on Comixology, 15 of them are Marvel. The reason for this is that I have unlimited access to every Marvel back issue ever, up until 7 months from the current date. The Marvel Unlimited website and app costs about $6 a month and empowers me to catch up on every thread of every storyline, so I'm never left in the dark. It encourages me to subscribe to more Marvel books and find out what is currently going on. Wouldn't it make sense for more publishers to adopt and promote this kind of model? If DC did, and I could, let's say, read Blackest Night, I might actually pick up the Green Lantern book for the first time in my life. You wouldn't. The intimidation of not knowing what is currently happening would be lifted. The one publisher that is clearly losing in the new era of digital comics, from my perspective, is Dark Horse. Nearly all of all the major publishers, Dark Horse is the only one not on Comixology. Comixology is... It's just written by Comixology. Comixology is my comic book store. I'm not going to buy all my comics from it and then drive across town to go to the Dark Horse store. Except it's on the same device. They are missing out. It's a long email. I get distracted.
You've got 3 lines left.
Much exposure that it boggles my mind. I've tried writing to Dark Horse. That didn't work. Begging them to join Comixology to no avail, of course. Is there anything that fans can do to talk sense into a major publisher?
No.
Somebody else, yeah.
Well, the thing is, this is very personal for you. I agree with a couple things. One, I think Marvel's model is really good. I think the idea of giving this unlimited access to back issues is great. It's sort of the Netflix model. 2, the thing about Dark Horse isn't on Comixology, which means they don't have to pay Comixology, which means they make more money.
And Comixology, you're not just paying Comixology, you're paying
Apple as well.
Apple or Google or whoever, plus Comixology or Amazon
You
or
can
whoever.
you can write Dark Horse all you want and say go on Comixology, but they're not going to give up their whatever percentage to Comixology if they don't want to.
Yeah, and the fact is, they're used to. Okay, I think just reading your description, you are a certain kind of reader, and there are certainly other kinds of readers like you, and you're probably not a majority, but you're definitely kind of plurality. But I don't think that your experience sort of represents the average comic book reader, or especially the person they're going after, if that makes sense.
But also, it's just like
they
you
wish
said,
everyone was like you.
like you said, Josh. It's an app, and like you know, I have multiple apps with comics on my iPad, and
How easy
I
do you
close
want
one
it
and
to
I click
be?
to the next one. Like
He
it's
wants
not
it to
a big
be.
deal.
He wants it to be easier than that, which is
Yeah.
which is asking a lot. Then the other side of it being, Marvel's a different company than DC. They have different budgets and targets and
Philosophies.
whatever.
Yeah.
So it was a significant expense, I'm sure, to set up that Marvel DCU. Do they still call it that? I think it's the funniest
Probably
thing
not.
ever. It cost a lot of money to get all that stuff in there, build the infrastructure, scan the books, reformat anything that need to be formatted, and maybe that doesn't make sense for DC, who, by the way, has a shitload more stuff than Marvel because they've been around publishing a lot longer and a lot more.
Right.
So I don't know, but I can't say,
Yeah, I do agree with him. I think Marvel's strategy is probably the best. I mean, I think the idea of having super old issues available digitally that are the same price as the new one is kind of silly. I think you should have your old. You should make them all available. But even though digital's still an open warfare playground, I mean, it's still the Wild West.
Yep.
They still haven't. No one's still really figured out the best way to do it yet.
Here's the thing that you can quantify it. If you look at digital, and that includes comic books, but also ebooks and EPUB and everything, there is still no unified format. That's the thing that happened in music. You had MP3. MP3 came in, level the playing ground. Everybody stopped trying to do their own store. Sony didn't do a store. Now I know that there's Apple's format or whatever, but it all pretty much plays in the same thing. Right now, they're still trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're still trying to have the walled garden of Comixology. That will change eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody will win out. There will be a Blu-ray, and it will beat HD DVD, and that'll be the end of the game. They'll get there. It's going to take.
We're still very early in the process.
It's going to take comics a long time, but that also has a lot to do with it because everybody's going to want their stuff to be ubiquitous, but they're still trying to hold on to the reins of the past. And you have the whole retailer thing.
All right, now the next question I'm going to read, Paul, because it's about you.
Okay.
Question 3 is from Jim and says, "What is Paul's iFanboy story?" I don't know what that means, Paul, but he's asking, so.
My fanboy story was when I was still in college. I needed to get my tonsils out, and I felt like I should do it the classic way that you get your tonsils out, which is to eat ice cream and read comic books and watch cartoons. And so I decided to do that, and I was like, I've been reading comics in sort of in trade format throughout my life. After reading comics voraciously as a kid, reading the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book, the Archie one, not the original indie stuff, but and then my dad gave away all my comics in a milk crate to the kid who lived next door to my grandparents, and I'm still trying to track that guy down and get those comics back. I think he got into sort of a drug problem. What are we talking about?
How'd you get here? How are we dealing with you and your pork pie hat?
So I needed to get my tonsils out. I was like, what comics should I be reading? And I looked around, and podcasts were just starting to be a thing. And this was, 2006? Something like that?
2005, 2006, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what to read. And so I looked around, and I was like, that's a weird name for a website. Let's listen to that. And I listened and got up to date sort of on comics, and I was reading New Avengers and Jeff Johns' Justice Society of America book was coming out at the time, and I started posting on the Revision 3 forums, and I wouldn't go away, so they're like, do you want to have a forum for your brand of crazy? And to be, to get a chance to talk about comics, and I was a columnist for a little bit on iFanboy.com, and then I ran out of opinions. So then I just started writing reviews.
He's not
instead
kidding.
of doing I
He wrote to us one day because I got nothing.
was like, I no longer have an opinion about anything anymore. So I was like, I don't know how I don't know how Jim and Mike did it, every week for 5 years now. And so I was like, but I was like, I'm gonna talk about the work, and I'm gonna write reviews and things, and it's been a blast. And then one day, Ron got a crazy job offer that is like perfect for him, and I was really, really excited for him because these guys are my big brothers, and they're like, do you wanna do this every week? And I was like,
We're your
not-
slightly older brothers, like by 6 or 7 months.
yeah.
I think no one believes
like-
that.
No one, no. So I was like, I don't have anything better to do. So now we're
That's
here.
why we're doing it. You're perfect.
So this is great.
You're
dude.
hired.
So I
You're hired,
feel
kid.
like a total fraud doing this is episode 400. This is like, I don't know, my 20.
Someone in the chat room says, I ran out of opinions, the Paul Montgomery
Yeah,
story.
that's pretty much.
Which pretty much is his story. Paul, why don't you take the next email?
Sure. Edward, aka Heroville, said, my question for you is this: has Batman become as boring and invincible as people used to claim Superman was, or still is? I ask because there no longer seems to be anything that anyone can throw at him that he can't overcome, even as writers say they want to pull away from the Bat God interpretation of the character. The man's overcome death, both literal and figurative, so the notion that he's still a normal being seems like an absurd proposition. He has the answer to every question, a tool for any scrape, and we're continually told to view him as the most brilliant and dangerous man in any situation at any given time. So why hasn't there been a waning interest in him in the way there has when Superman was perhaps rightfully deemed overpowered? Has the Superman is lame, Batman is cool meme gotten so much steam that there's no way to pull it back, even as the trend seems to have reversed? Even Superman himself is now at Batman's mercy, since we're constantly told he'd have something ready for him, and yet the people who make that claim also always seem to be the ones who still complain about Big Blue being too powerful. That's a really good question.
It's a good point.
I think that's definitely true of like a Justice League Batman. When you cast him as that archetype, as being the super genius, and if he were a chess player, he's like President Bartlett. He knows 20 steps ahead.
You know what's really funny about that is that there are at least 2 emails in here about the West Wing.
Yeah, and I know. We love the West Wing, and I love our West Wing fans. But you know that episode where he's playing like 2 or 3 different games of chess, and he knows how many steps away he is from beating Sam or beating Toby, whatever. That's sort of Batman in the Justice League ensemble.
But is it any different than any other character?
It's also no
That's
different
my
than.
question.
It isn't. That's what I was thinking as I was reading. It's also no different than Batman has ever been.
No,
That
but
is-
like any protagonist is going to win in the end,
Yep.
right? No matter what you throw at him. Galactus is going to come and Reed is going to find the ultimate nullifier and he's going to beat him. No matter what threat appears, the hero's going to win.
Especially superheroes. That's
That's
literally
my devil's advocate. I do feel there's a little bit too much Bat God, but ultimately the hero wins the story. I mean, it's serialized fiction. It's not a Darren Aronofsky film. I mean, eventually the hero's going to win. So
I think
that's my counter to that.
Paul, you made a good point about like in the Justice League. I think Grant Morrison
Yes.
set up that archetype and used it all up. Like anything anybody
He was,
has
but
done.
he was so good in that.
Yeah,
So
no, he
good.
was. But whenever anybody else does it, you just feel like I've read this before.
Well, that carries over into the Justice League animated series, the Justice League Unlimited. Like, he's very much that Morrison Batman there. I think it's because they don't use him as the entry point. Even in the current, I'm not religiously reading John's Justice League stuff right now, but aren't they using some of the younger characters, like the female Atom?
Yes.
She's more like she's the audience. She's the reader's viewpoint. And Batman is just like this major figure. And I think that's true especially of the Trinity of Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. When you get into his solo series, so if you're just looking at like Snyder's Batman, I think he's been beat up a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does come back from. I remember there being complaints about in the Court of Owls storyline that like he's able to come back from like nothing and do all these wrestling moves on that Talon after he'd been locked in this labyrinth for weeks or whatever it was. I guess that's true, but Snyder beats that guy up a ton, and I mean, look at the most recent issue. He's just barely getting out of, that house fire alive.
You know,
and
you
he's at
know who
death's
else
door.
did that was Hulk Hogan in that movie he was in. You know, he was beaten. He was at the end of his rope, but he found a way.
Rocky 2?
No, he was in that wrestling movie. The point
Hulk
is,
Hogan was in Rocky 3.
the point is
So
that
great
eventually the hero is going to find a way to win. And with Batman, yeah, I mean, look, I'm a huge Batman fan. Everyone knows who listens to the show knows that. But even I sometimes feel like maybe he shouldn't have a plan for everyone. It's a little too rote to say, well, Batman has a plan, he'll win. So maybe make it a little more of a challenge for him.
It's both. It's the funny thing is that in like a JLA book or whatever, no one gets to outwit Batman. I think the closest anybody came, the way they got to start to get around that, I think was maybe Identity Crisis, where they found a chink in his armor in that maybe he doesn't make the best moral decisions, and so nobody that's the closest I came to ever taking Batman off of that pedestal.
And I think part of the hope in the New 52 was that we get a younger Batman who's maybe less experienced and it'd be more challenging, but it's the same. It's just like after Crisis on Infinite Earths, it's basically the same Batman. So because Batman's Batman, you don't mess with the cash cow. You don't tinker too much with the honey wagon. Josh knows the honey wagon is the most important thing of any film shoot.
Yeah, honey wagon.
Yeah.
What? I mean, come on.
I was like, I think age and experience also has a big thing to do with it. That's why I really like the sort of year one Batman kind of stories.
That's why I'm enjoying Zero Year so much.
In comparison, I mean, I like dribs and drabs, like in small doses, the Justice League Batman, where he's basically a shadow, and that's sort of how he's drawn in those things, and he's a million steps ahead, and that can be kind of cool in a bigger picture, but because he's not the focus, he's not really the protagonist.
Well, funny you should mention year one, because the next email is from Peter from Medea, Pennsylvania. And Peter writes, during a recent New York Comic Con, I was fortunate enough to win one of a handful of tickets a New York comic retailer was giving to meet Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. David Mazzucchelli was also in attendance that weekend. Wanting to pick a work that they both did together as opposed to The Dark Knight Returns or Mysterious Polyp, I chose a seminal story of my comics life, Daredevil Born Again, for both of them to sign. Since then, I've struggled with whether Batman Year One would have been the better choice. Not to sell, but to remain on my shelf as a memento. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Did I make the right decision, in your opinion?
All right, here we go. I've never read Daredevil Born Again.
Never read Born Again?
No, just never came across it. But, I mean...
It's when you weren't reading.
Yeah, well, I wasn't reading when Year One came out either, but I went back and got it for whatever reason.
That's true. Born Again isn't held as high of a...
No. I honestly, I don't think you can go wrong. They're both probably books that those guys never want to talk about again.
Do you think the stature of Born Again has changed since this current run on Daredevil? Because for a while it was like the Daredevil story, and
I think still Frank Miller is still the one. As great as the Mark Waid stuff is, and I talked to you as I poured another beer. It's still.
But
Frank
isn't there
Miller's
something
still
to it being
defined.
like that's sort of like all you could really point to?
It's
really like that Kevin
similar
Smith
to Frank Miller and Batman. I mean, as great as the Batman stories have been since then, it's still Dark Knight and still Year One is considered the seminal stories.
It's because it's what most people have been aping since then.
But they're all
From it.
Yeah.
But I think when I was coming up, and even to this day, I still think the seminal Daredevil story is Frank Miller on his own. It's the Elektra story, and so I think in that way, that eclipses Daredevil Born Again, which is why we don't tend to talk about that quite as much.
Right.
Because I don't know why. Because Frank Miller's more of a superstar, probably, and he just did the whole thing, and people like that more.
Yeah. I think Peter, it's up to you. If you like Born Again, then great. That's the one you should get signed.
I don't think you have anything to regret. If
No,
that, I mean, that seems
no.
like that's your question. Did I make the wrong decision? No.
No,
You made
no.
a fine decision.
Absolutely.
Next up, Drew. One, I know you guys were all fans or kept up for some time on the Bendis Avengers run, but have any of you guys ever read Jeff Johns' Avengers run? If so, how was it, Connor?
I have all the trades. I can't reach them. They're all
Have you read them?
over there.
Have you
Yeah, I've
read
got
them?
I've
I read them. I read some of them. Basically, Johns' run ended the pre-Bendis era. People may not know this, that this is like Johns' only Marvel work. When he first burst on the scene, they had him come over and write Avengers because Avengers was foundering. Avengers wasn't popular, as crazy as that is to say now. So he wrote 3 hardcovers worth. I've got him up there. I can't reach him.
Little known fact, who was the inker on that?
Rick Remender.
Rick Remender.
And Kieran Dwyer was the penciler. Who we
Great
love.
artist. I love him.
Yeah. And so he basically ended it with no fanfare. Then Bendis came in and just restarted it with Disassembled. But it's okay. I mean, I think they're solid. But I think it's clear. It's clear that Johns' heart is in the DCU.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bendis's is in Marvel, and Johns' better work has been in the DC universe, the DC characters. It's good. I have the trades. I'm happy. I read them all. Excuse me. I reread them all, and they're good.
I haven't read it. Is it? Are they longer arcs? Or are they like standalone stories?
There's 4 trades as I look.
Jeez.
And
Much shorter than that.
there's a bunch of different storylines.
Yeah.
And I think they're putting out like a complete collection hardcover.
Yep.
They're good. If you like the Avengers, if you like Jeff Johns, you can't go wrong with them.
They are of that era.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't feel like. I mean, that's why Bendis' New Avengers was such a radical departure from what was going on then. They felt like they fit in more with that Kurt Busiek sort of era of Avengers.
Yeah, totally.
Which is good to know. Second question from Drew. What were the core iFanboys, Josh, Ron, Connor's first impression of each other? Did you guys have a dorm together, or did you all guys yell across campus, "Hey, are you a comic fan?" I feel like we've told this a bit.
Well, we told our origin story, but Josh, what was your first impression of Ron?
Didn't you think he was like the coolest? Didn't you bond over like a Simpsons joke or something? And
yeah, it was a thing like that. Like basically, we sat next to
like
each other in a class. It was new telecommunications technology. That was the name of the class. New telecom tech.
Which was an awesome class.
It was an awesome class taught by Professor Raymond Ghazi, who was one of the only guys who I gave him a hug at graduation. I was like, "You're the man." And basically, we both sat on the. You know how a room? It was like one of those classrooms where there was rows in the middle, and then there were seats along the side.
Yeah, against the wall.
Ron and I were guys who would sit against the wall.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was, but we started just yapping at each other, like little things. And it's one of those things where Connor and Ron and I have a very synced sense of humor, and I think it's an inborn thing. I don't remember when the 3 of us started hanging out. I remember
the 3 of us didn't hang out together till the very end.
Right, yeah, exactly. But
second semester senior year.
That wasn't until junior year. I didn't meet him until then, and I didn't really meet you until then either. Although you remember me from very early. But
we didn't hang out, 3 of us and Gordon the intern, until the very end of college.
Yeah.
Which was.
And I hung out with
years ago.
I hung out with you guys separately.
Yeah.
And then you hung out with me separately until we all.
No, we all liked each other right away.
Yeah.
Ron and I bonded over Star Wars. That was our thing, freshman year when we had broad prod together, broadcast production.
I didn't know that far back.
Yeah, broadcast production, our first semester of college. We had it together, and I was his host for his Star Wars show. You had to cast your talent, and I said I can talk about Star Wars, and so he made me the host.
Jesus.
Which I have.
This whole thing goes way back.
I have a VHS of 18-year-old Connor talking about Star Wars on Ron's show, and I have also a VHS of 18-year-old Ron talking about whatever he was talking about. And he weighs about 190 pounds, which is pretty awesome.
This was before or after Josh was in Train Spotting?
This is during Train Spotting.
I've been watching Spaced, and I was like, look, Simon Pegg has the same haircut too.
And then Josh, we bonded. I think
it's in L.A.
Did we bond over girls?
Well,
I think we were at the pool in L.A. and talking and bonding over the other girls at the pool. I believe that's how.
I mean that's all Connor talked about then. So to be clear,
bonding.
You came to stay. It was spring break, and I was in Los Angeles for a semester, and you came to stay with Simmons and hang out with him, and so you guys were just in that apartment all the time. And I thought it was really funny that you came to Los Angeles and then didn't want to go do anything in Los Angeles but hang out in the apartment.
Well,
And
I
I was
wasn't
like-
21 yet. You couldn't go do anything.
I'm a shut-in, so I was like, sweet,
Yeah.
let's just sit here and fucking talk about Star Wars and boobs. It was good.
But
And that's what we did.
I distinctly remember the first time you and I hang out together was we were at the pool at the Oakwood Apartments,
Mhm.
and we were bonding over the other women at the pool.
I don't
just draw my
remember.
pen.
I don't remember not being friends with you from the time I became friends with you.
Yeah,
know
no,
what I
we
mean?
hit it off right away.
And we have been, and it's funny because there are a lot of other people in that group, but me and Connor and Ron are still the only ones who.
No, let's not leave Paul out of this. I remember, Paul, did we first meet you at that party for the 100th episode where
I think so.
Fred was also there? Fred,
Yes.
who's a very famous commenter on the iFanboy Revision 3 forums. And,
He was like Norm from Cheers.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
it was you and Fred, and we were at that bar in Midtown. I think it was
the
that
beer
Irish
one?
pub. Yeah, that Irish
Yeah.
and we hung out downstairs, and that's where we first sort of met with you, and we all liked you eventually.
Yeah, I gotta.
Eventually,
I remember afterwards. I remember me and you were talking a lot about like podcasting because I was doing Fuzzy Typewriter at that
Right.
point still, and
But we'd
No,
known you from the posting.
yeah, from the posting. But that was the first
but
time
we
I'd
also
seen you
hit it
guys
off in person too.
in
though.
person, and so I remember coming out of Penn Station, and I thought every bald person I saw was Connor, and I was like
That
so
still
excited.
happens to me.
Like, where is it?
Yeah.
And then I finally saw you guys through the window, and then like Ron spotted me and was waving me in, and you guys were working like getting the camera on the tripod and everything. And
You won,
Um,
didn't you? Win something?
I was wondering if you rigged that because you guys.
No,
liked me
we didn't.
and-
We had a.
We've
I remember
never
in our 100th episode. We've never rigged anything. We had a trivia contest, and you won one of them. So
yeah, there
you
was
go.
there was like 3 winners or something, and you could get, and we I got like a gift certificate or something.
I think we're drunkenly
for
rambling
journalists.
at this point.
We've
So let's
never
move
read
on.
anything. The iFanboy story. Wait. He's got one more question, and it's dumb,
Okay.
but I'm going to answer it with one word. What's the deal with Ron's
Dumb.
sideburns? Luke Perry. Question 7.
Yeah, Ron. Well, let's finish the question. What's the deal with Ron Sideburns? Like, if he was such an Elvis fan, shouldn't he get an Elvis tattoo like Scott Snyder? Scott Snyder does have an Elvis tattoo. If you don't know that, Scott Snyder's a huge
Loves
Elvis
Elvis.
fan.
He's an Elvis bust.
But Ron's tattoos are a homage to Luke Perry,
Sideburns.
Dylan McKay, not Elvis. Not Elvis in the least.
No.
Let's skip 7 and go to 8. 8 is Nathan from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Nathan says,
Pork pie
this
goes
question
on.
is for everyone. Given that Ron moved on and iFanboy found a wonderful new third member in Paul,
Thank you.
who would be your ideal new member, real or fictional, famous or ordinary, if you were to leave?
Would Paul have to be dead?
What?
No. Oh, if we were to leave. Sorry.
Yeah.
The third man Paul, who would be your
Well,
ideal
since I'm in
member?
the basement, let's talk about Paul being. Anyway.
If you were Josh, if you were to leave the show next month, who would you like to have replace you? You can't say Tom Caters.
So who would
That's
you like to inflict upon us? in
That's a
your
weird
stead?
question of who's going to replace myself, but I guess that's what he's asking.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, honestly, who could replace me?
Would you want there to be someone totally different, or would you want to try to think of someone who would like fill whatever role you do?
I think
everything?
you have to have someone. You need. The thing is that's always worked about us, and I say this as, not boasting, but we've been somewhat
We've
successful.
studied. We're 15-year media professionals.
Is that we have different points of view and different interests. So like when Ron left, we had to, there's a gaping Marvel hole that luckily Marvel filled itself with having really good books. If I were to leave, you'd need like a DC hardcore guy, If Josh left, you need like a
Miscellaneous.
entertainer. No, you need a guy who is going to make a joke. You do. These are the elements that have worked. We had these different elements that came together, and you need like a funny guy. If Josh left. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
Darwin Cook in the chat room, they say Darwin Cook could replace Josh, and I agree with him. He could.
People often.
Compare you to Darwin Cook?
Yeah. You know who you remind me of?
God, you wish.
I am. No, I don't. He intimidates the shit. I know. I like him. I know him. We've talked. He still intimidates the shit out of me.
Pick a person.
There you go.
Pick a person who would replace
Can it be
you.
like a famous person?
It can be famous or non-famous, according to the email. Famous
Simon
or
Pegg.
celebrity. Simon Pegg could replace
Simon
Perfect.
Pegg should be me.
If we can get Simon Pegg
Yeah.
and it costs you leaving, I will pack your fucking bag.
I would go to just listen to that. It would be fine. It would be totally cool.
Paul, what about you?
John Ratzenberger.
You know
Then
The thing about Thor is,
Then I'll say Richard Mall. It will be perfect.
we should. You know what? That should be our. We should all have to be 80s TV people. That
Perfect.
should be the parameter. So I'm gonna change mine to Harry Anderson.
I'm just gonna make a
gonna
note.
say that for you.
I'm
I'm gonna make a note here in the script that with question 8 is when the beer really kicked in.
Okay.
I'm drinking Leffe beer.
No
if
one
anyone
would
wants
know
to know, and
otherwise.
I'm deep into it.
We've reached beer point.
So we've reached beer tipping point. Paul, can you read the next question?
Which one is it?
9.
9. Adrian from Australia. Hey, Adrian. Here's my question. Do you have a fave outright food or drink that you like to have while reading your comics? I love going down to my local cafe for breakfast and having eggs Benedict and coffee while reading my Look at you. Look at you.
La-di-da.
Well.
It's like Michael Caine at the end of...
I don't like to eat with my comics because my hands get greasy. Right?
It wasn't a problem for me with the books because I don't care about them, but with the iPad, it's a whole other thing.
It's both. I mean, it doesn't matter either one with the books or the iPad. My fingers are all greasy.
I do eat. I always used to like go to lunch by myself. Will you go to lunch and read my comics? So what I would do is I just had a hand system. I would usually go for Mexican so I could just hold the food with one hand and work the comics with the other.
Mexican's way too busy. I mean, not busy. It's way too messy.
No, it's not. You just got to get good. I remember like literally, and I would do this every week. I would set up my table. And I would have everything I needed with the food hand on one side, and then I'd move. Like I had a whole thing that I did exactly the same every time because it just worked after trial and error.
Okay, I don't have a eating with comics story, but I remember when Ron started saying that he read his comics while working out.
Yes, I can't do that. I can't read while I work out.
I tried doing that, but it was with an elliptical bike, and so
I can't focus
with the comic, and I'm just like.
And I can't focus. I can't focus on the words.
Ron can't do one thing though at a time. It's not possible. I sweat a lot. That'd be a bad.
My normal routine is we have a little balcony in our apartment, and I sit out on that and I read them out in the sun. That's my routine.
What's the now? What is that?
What is what? A balcony?
The sun?
The sun. Yes, it's a place that California is abundant in sun. Not so abundant in seasons and snow.
Yeah.
All right, Randy from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, so we'll take them one at a time. First one is, with your critical success of Before Watchmen and the Shade miniseries, is there another classic comics property that was quote-unquote off-limits that you would enjoy or like to see revisited with the proper creative team? Can you envision enjoying a new Transmetropolitan series without the involvement of Warren Ellis? Someone other than Frank Miller taking on the Dark Knight Returns storyline? Who could convince you to buy something set in the Why the Last Man universe? Is there any team that would convince you to pick up a Preacher series? Sorry, Josh.
No.
All those are no.
But if there was a Preacher series, wouldn't you be morbidly curious and want to see?
Here's the thing: the Shade was done by the guy who did the first one,
and he thought. And clearly, that's a guy who had it written into the contract. No one gets to write Jack Knight again. No one gets to. It's totally important to me. And he decided he wanted to come back and write that character. And that's super good.
That's why it doesn't work with this question, because Warren Ellis coming back to Transmetropolitan, I might be interested. But you know,
I remember when Mark Waid was coming back to write The Flash, and we were you guys were talking about Can You Come Home Again?
Right.
And the answer was no.
Not
they should put a gate up.
That's not how.
Shouldn't come home again with the kids. That was
a odd situation. I don't. Before Watchmen's weird because I only enjoyed a couple of them, and mostly because they were Darwin cookbooks. Cookbooks.
Here what you have is a Monte Cristo sandwich.
His recipes are all very straightforward and simple. Just meat. Meat and booze.
A little potato here and there, but that's about it. I mean, I'm sure there are exceptions, but really for the most part, all those things that you mentioned, like the best part about those stories, like Transmetropolitan, Preacher, they ended. They had an ending. They were a great ending.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about them. That's what I love. That's all my favorite Vertigo series have that. And I do not want to go back. I'd rather read something else from those people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of exceptions, and the recent one is Tom Strong, because I like that book.
But it's not.
Even though it's not.
Yeah.
I know it's not of that same.
But did the
caliber,
original one have an ending?
No.
Like if Alan Moore wanted to come back and do more top 10, I'd buy that. I'd buy the shit out of that.
But if another
Yes.
writer wanted to do top
Yes.
10,
No.
No.
oh yes,
No.
maybe
No.
depending.
No.
Next question. With Guy Davis providing the art on the recent Criterion Collection Blu-ray of Devil's Backbone, who else would you like to see do a cover? Artist and film, please. Like, what comic artist would you like to see do a film cover? You know what I'm saying?
For like,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Like,
You know what I'm saying,
so
Paul?
pick
Do you understand what I'm
any,
saying?
For, like,
any
Criterion?
artist to do any movie.
Yes.
Okay, well, no,
do a poster.
let's narrow this down. What comic artist would you like to see do your favorite Wes Anderson movie cover?
Mike Allred.
I wasn't asking you. You don't even like Wes Anderson.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't.
So to do like a Rushmore, like if they did
Yeah.
a different Criterion.
Think
release
about
of that,
Mike
is
Allred
there
doing a
one?
Rushmore cover.
No, that doesn't not fit. Or Adrian Tamine or something.
Origin
like that.
Tomine would work.
Adrian Tone
Miney.
would work, yeah.
Tomine.
Sean Phillips does some really good ones for Criterion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's the one for 12 Angry Men.
Oh, good one.
Mike Mignola also did a lot. Everybody thinks that the Devil's Backbone is Mike Mignola. It's actually Guy Davis, as he said. Mike Mignola did one for Kronos, which is very nice. Yeah, love that.
just
I don't know
watched
why that isn't a print for the
It's-
12 Angry Men, Sean Phillips.
And what Paul's talking about is I'm showing the 12 Angry Men cover in the chat room.
That's Sean
Yeah.
Phillips.
Yeah.
That's Sean Phillips, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
There's a guy who did one of those sketch jams. You know, like I
Jam.
think
You've been
Niesman
jammed.
and all them have done sketch jams, and they did all the 12 Angry Men, and like I know Gabe Hardman did like juror number 1, 2, 3, 4.
one
That's
is
pretty
that?
cool. That was a cool idea. Juror number 4 was the guy with the glasses who doesn't sweat until the end.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah. It's a
I just
fantastic
watched it
movie.
for the first time, so I don't know it.
Did
front
you
and
enjoy
back, but it was incredibly engaging.
Wasn't it? It's
It's a good
amazing.
movie.
It's one of my favorite movies.
I keep going through it with this is the good, this is the great part. This is
Every
the
time
great
you
part.
watch it,
No,
it's you find something new in it.
yeah, I'm gonna be doing a fuzzy
Watchmen.
typewriter on that very soon with my buddy Cameron Rice. So
Okay, let's do this question number 3. A lot of people have speculated what comic book would make a good movie or television show, but let's reverse it. Which current television show would you like to see expanded into a comic book? Darwin Cook's Mad Men seems like a pretty obvious choice. Who would you like to see tackle Breaking Bad?
You know what my answer is going to be.
My probably the same as yours.
No.
No.
wait, artist and writer.
No. I have
You
a hard
know.
time with. I think a lot of. A lot of it has to do with the acting, the performances. It's hard to. I don't want to see Breaking Bad a comic book.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's like anything. Like, Watchmen works because it's a comic book. Breaking Bad works because it's a certain kind of TV show. And I just, like, this is a kind of question that, and there's nothing wrong with it because everybody asks these kind of questions. They've been asking forever. Like, it doesn't interest me. I don't know, like, the idea of transmuting the one thing into the
But
other.
if you had to pick something,
That's why I suck at it. I just
that's the
look
point
at
of it.
it.
It's just for fun.
Pick
you do
one
it for fun.
One thing.
So I would for Breaking Bad, I would have the guys doing Southern Bastards over at Image. I'd have Jason Aaron and Jason Latour.
See,
I love
I'd be
Breaking
okay
Bad,
with Jason
so-
Aaron writing a Breaking Bad comic. Probably. So let's go to the fourth question, which is similarly based. What non-comic related thing came out in the last 6 months that you really enjoy? This can be a book, a film, a video game, a TV show, or whatever. I'm obsessed with Orange is the New Black on Netflix.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, what about Orange is the New
need to
Black
watch
comic?
I haven't watched it yet. It's on my queue. What
very
I'm
good.
what I'm obsessed with is The Bridge on FX. It's
That's
the
something
show
I would
look-
probably enjoy. I haven't.
It's
I
the
don't
show I
even
look
know
forward
what
to the
time
most.
It's on.
I
In
feel
the
like
week.
I feel like I don't watch anything new. So when you say like what came out in the last 6 months, I don't see anything until it's older than that. So I'm gonna try to answer some. This isn't new, but in the last 6 months, I was talking about this today. I watched Looper and I loved the crap out of it.
Mhm.
Which is significant because I hated Brick. I didn't finish it, and I typically do not like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But I've decided to amend that, and it's everything Joseph Gordon-Levitt from Inception back.
Mysterious Skin is like a biopic of your life, so you should check that out.
Okay.
That's
Paul,
a joke for like 2
I don't
people.
Okay.
What am I? What
what are you into right
a
now?
new thing that I'm into right now? Pass. Skip me. I
Skip
think.
you.
I'm looking around.
There's
my
no
room.
one left to skip you too.
I'm
so.
watching Murder She Wrote on Netflix. That's what I do. I'm watching. there are some new to me episodes of Murder She Wrote. I've never watched the Magnum PI crossover with Murder She Wrote
See,
because I kind of don't want that in my Cabot Cove. I don't want the chest
but
hair.
first of all, you never not want Magnum in anything.
I
don't look for new things. I usually wait to see what's going to be really good, and then I go after it then. But like, I just started watching I've gone through this British TV jag where I've been watching like all of the stuff I can find, all of the British sitcoms that are my kind of sensibility that I can find. Like,
I did
just
that
watched
with
through.
I did that with Netflix but it was like the British crime stuff.
Yeah.
I really
so I
get
just
into
watched
Well,
through-
speaking of that, people are talking in the chat room about Broadchurch, which is my other obsession. But I didn't want to
David
mention it because I figured internet jerks in the chat room would ruin the mystery because it's only eight episodes. It's already aired in the UK, but that is
okay.
my also current obsession. It's wonderful. There's 3 episodes in the US right now.
like the thing I just rewatched Saxondale, which is Steve Coogan's other show. Like it's not Alan Partridge, which is one of the funniest things ever. But Saxondale, he's like a middle-aged ex-roadie who lives in like suburban England. It's the funniest thing on earth, I think. Like that was the last favorite thing. I was like, why doesn't everybody love this? And I know why everyone doesn't love it, but that's my thing right now. People are mentioning Luther in there, and that's
Luther
not,
is season 3 will start soon.
that's not new. I love.
Yeah.
I just started watching that again.
Season 3 will start soon.
It was
Okay.
the best thing. I got the Orphan Black season 1 Blu-ray, and I thought it was really not great. But they had the Luther series 3 trailer ahead of that, and I was like, cannot wait for that to come back. I love that show.
Somebody just mentioned The Hour. I really wanted to like that a lot more.
I fell off of it. I couldn't get
I
into
did.
it.
It bored the snot out
Same
of me.
for me.
All right, Josh, take 12.
12. Scott. America's Got Powers. Sorry, that's our friend Scott. America's Got Powers number 7 raises some interesting questions. Is it okay for a writer to add an issue at the end of a numerically pre-established miniseries? Jesus. Can't contain my disgust. The iFanboy
Just
story.
read it.
If America's Got Powers still has any fans, are the nails going to go across the chalkboard when they look at the cover of issue number 5 of 6 and then flip to see issue number 6 7 whilst grooming their collection? If there's more story to tell, is it more professional for the author to tell it by adding an issue to try to solicit a miniseries spin-off? Why can't comics professionals stick to schedules? Stories are organic, and therefore sometimes they make a decision to do it differently than they originally
But also
had, and I
sometimes
like that
they're
idea.
writing it and they realize there's more story. There's more story.
This is
And
what
they
I'm
give
saying.
it-
That's exactly.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I'm saying it in a more elegant manner. Is that
Oh,
there's more
What the
story
hell?
to tell.
the man slurring his words is helping you articulate your point, Josh.
Yes,
I don't.
No,
I have no
that's
problem with that.
I don't know. I'm the reason that I say I don't know that would be a thing that would bother me ever. So I don't know how to know. Is it okay? Sure, it's their creation. It's a thing they're doing, a story they're telling. They don't know anybody but themselves to tell the story they think they need to tell. And if they decide halfway through, shit, we need another one. You know, another side of that would be like the Wire season 5. They got an order for 10 episodes instead of 13. Like that's not okay, but they had to do it anyway, and they had to tell their story, and it wasn't as good because of it. Now, if the other side of that is going to be that the creators were like, hey, let's do one more. If you like it and it doesn't suck, sure, go for it. I don't see anything wrong with that. It doesn't bother me. The numbering certainly isn't going to bother me.
No.
Okay, a thing I enjoyed from the last 6 months that was not comics related was Pacific Rim. That was a really good movie, and I wish that I could have reviewed that because that was better than a lot of the comic book movies that came out this summer.
We said you could.
Huh?
We said you could.
When?
I emailed you and said if you wanted it because you were gushing about it on Twitter. I said if you want to review it, go for it.
I love robots.
Paul, read 13.
13. Joe, a.k.a. Tagalog 3-Pip. G. Tagalog app.
It's
Rusty
weird.
Auto Parts. Explain something about the public domain heroes. Can anyone publish a comic of the Fighting Yank or the Terror with no problems? Can Alex Ross or Alan Moore take you to a court of justice?
Public domain is a really sketchy thing, and it doesn't work the same in all countries as it does in one country. So how it works in America is different than how it works in England, and so there can be all sorts of different things involved with that. And you kind of have to know. There are definitely public domain things. Sherlock Holmes is public domain, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Sherlock Holmes comics.
So you can do all sorts of stuff with that if you wanted to. There are other characters like that. There are some that people keep somehow finding a way to renew that copyright, like Marvel or DC do with their characters, which should or Mickey Mouse, which should by all rights be in the public domain according to the original rules. And I'm going to just point this out in case anyone isn't sure. I'm not a lawyer, so when you're in court, this is not something you could play. But the basic ideas are that. So I think it was after like 50 years or something like that, the character goes into the public domain. Of course, corporations have found all sorts of loopholes and other ways to hold on to those copyrights so that other people
But
can't.
it's true. Theoretically, you can publish a comic with that character. If it's public domain, you can do whatever you want. It's public domain. So, right? I mean, that seems to be Dynamite's business model right now.
Tell you something, that works for Dynamite because they then don't have to lose anything from it. But if I'm a creator, if I'm a person who's creating something, I'd want to create my own thing. Yeah. Roy Thomas said that back when he was editor-in-chief of Marvel. So, and it's still true now, even more so.
John go ahead.
No, I was just saying an interesting legal wrinkle, and I don't remember where this came up, but someone talked about in the future we might not be able to include real life people, like list them in a book. Like you would have to come up with like an analog of a real person. So like if you mentioned like Steve Jobs or something, like they're getting into like that stuff, the rights to be able to mention a public persona.
I used to work, so did Connor. I used to work doing rights and clearances.
Licensing.
Licensing and things like that. There are people who protect themselves in that way, both in life and afterwards. Somebody like Martin Luther King is like that. Martin Luther King's name and image are copyrighted for some reason. Somebody like a lot of famous people, Mick Jagger or somebody like that. Like they're really protective about their image and things like that. And all the rules are very wishy-washy. Like they're very malleable.
Disney basically keeps changing the copyright rules.
Right.
And it applies to everyone at that point. It's tough.
Yeah. Floating head Disney keeps changing the rules.
I think that we have talked enough about stuff we don't know jack shit
John
about.
from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who's Johnny Flash and iFanboy says, of all the gimmicks that comics have tried over the years, which ones do you secretly wish came back? And which ones do you hate with the heat of 1,000 exploding suns? Personally, I've always had a fondness for chromium, covers. And I hate opaque polybags the way Wolverine hates non-alcoholic beers.
He wrote chromium.
Chromium.
My water softener just kicked on.
So which gimmicks do you secretly like?
I like the X-Men heads on the masthead thing.
That's not a gimmick.
Well, that's like chromium covers.
I like some variant covers.
Yeah.
I don't like them because they're variant covers, but I like
the
like a month
in the
when
art?
all of the sometimes I like the variants in the art, but more so the variants in the style. You know, like those months where you look and like Scotty Young's the one I keep thinking of, and that's an obvious one. But there's others like that. Like I liked that month that DC just did all the white covers with the Stark sort of figure, and I thought that looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a bad one.
Remember in college when they had all the heads?
Yeah.
Those close-up of the characters' heads in the cover. I mean, I like gimmick covers like that. DC will do uniform covers every once in a while. I like those.
I hate crossovers. I hate crossovers that tie issues together and you have to start buying a series you weren't buying. Hate it.
How about plastic rings that come with your book?
You hate plastic rings?
I said how about?
Oh, okay.
Bring it to the floor for conversation.
That's fun. I think that was a problem for retailers because big retailers had no problem with it, but little ones, they're created like a little demand market.
Next question.
Little guys always getting screwed. We had 15?
Pete.
1. I'm reading comics to my 10-week-old daughter at bed, telling her what happens and doing voices. That's adorable. This is both so I can read to her and so I can still read some comics with less time on my hands. Any suggestions on the next stages of development and what I should read and share with her? Her name is Harper, and I am really hoping for a Harper Row Robin. I'm going to go ahead as the only person who has children and say I have no idea because my kid could not give less of a shit about comics. And that's not to say he doesn't like to read because he really does like to read, but I've given him a bunch of comics and he just does. Like, he loves cars. like the Disney, and I've gotten him a bunch of
Yeah.
Cars comics and books. He just doesn't care.
Did
And
you
maybe
just,
that's
like,
the thing that comes
did you
later.
like go through and like show him like you read this and then
It's,
can you
you know
read?
what? No, he can't read.
Does he? How old does he see color?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
I don't know how
tell
it
everybody
works.
about my kid being colorblind.
No, I'm saying, does he see any color or like? Isn't that a
It's
thing with
just
babies?
honestly, I think that
He's not a
that
baby.
a comic book page. No, he's
I
a
don't
toddler.
know what a baby
He's a
is.
toddler.
A comic book page is actually pretty complicated, and most kids' books and the stuff that he's looking at right now is basically a panel a page, maybe two.
Okay.
And I think that it's a little advanced.
Well,
The thing he's
okay.
reading to his kid right now at 10, that's probably just interesting to look at, but eventually the kid's going to be like, I don't want to look at this, I want to look at another thing. At
Well,
least for a
10
little
years
while.
old. I mean, that's pretty. I was
10 week.
reading.
10 week.
Oh, 10 week old.
10 week.
I see
That
that
is
now.
that is livestock at this point. You
Yeah.
just feed them and clean them, and that's it. There's
It's a lump.
there's no lights yet.
Yeah.
Um,
Nothing going on upstairs.
I will go ahead and change it around a little bit though. That everybody when I had my kid was like, "You're gonna give him comics. You're gonna do this." I'm not pushing any of that stuff on him. It's around if he wants it. It's the stuff he likes. I've bought him some Captain America toys, and he just doesn't care. And I don't want him to hate the thing. Like I don't want to be that dad who's mad that his kid doesn't play football. So whatever he wants to like is fine. Stuff's around. Kid loves
Your
books.
kid when he's 10 weeks old and it would be okay. You said a kid is livestock up until like a certain age?
They kind of are. You just have to take care of them. They don't really do anything. Livestock's probably the wrong word, especially if you've watched
could-
Oz.
Eat them?
No, but they just don't.
It's like a modest proposal.
They're useless. They look cute, and other than that, they're just work. They're not giving anything back.
I just want to make sure we're covered and what kind of signs I'm going to see outside my window tomorrow morning.
You've repeatedly threatened to take me to the authorities over my child, and I want you to know that I do not appreciate it.
You had him riding a motorcycle the other day on Instagram.
It belonged to a cop.
All right, next question, Paul. Read it.
What number?
16.
16.
Marco from Toronto, Canada. As I continue my slow creak towards middle age, I've become hyper-aware of my bad comic habits. All too often we slip into a comfort zone with the art forms we enjoy. To counter this, I'm constantly trying to push my old stubborn self into areas of comics he doesn't always want to travel to. Often this means straying into uncharted and overwhelming areas far away from the comfort of my favorite writers, genres, artists, eras, or even publishers. One of the many things I love about your show is how broad all your reading habits are, except for the lack of anime. Paul, time to fire up some anime explodes, please. And how open you all are to covering anything from Fringe to Cape without being dismissive or snobbish about either. So my question is, in an age of so many comics, how do you guys approach the challenge of growing as a reader and continuing your studies of the form? And please don't just say read everything.
I disagree. I don't do that at all. I'm honestly the opposite. Like I feel like I've really honed the kind of thing that I like, and so I know how to look for that because I find the choice out there to be overwhelming. There is so much stuff, but I kind of know the kinds of things I want to look for, and you can see patterns in say design aesthetic or the kinds of stories. Like I'm not so into supernatural stories, so I look for and I check out anything that is a not supernatural comic book story. I will test, whatever. I know I'm just opposite.
No,
but,
that's
like it's the same thing. Like
reasonable.
I don't like horror comics. I don't read them, but every once in a while, someone says one's really good. I'll check it out. Like there can be outliers. There can be Lock and Key or something like that. I mean that's what I find. I don't feel the need to try to test a billion things. I feel like I went through that phase already, and I'm old now.
Yeah, I don't know that it's that quantifiable. I think we look for good stuff.
But I think that we've spent so much time thinking about it and writing about it and analyzing that you do get to be. I don't know if it's art, but I know what I like.
Paul, how do you figure it out?
Okay, so like Josh, I know sort of what writers and it's not necessarily what genres I like. It's what writers and artists maybe I like. So I will of course gravitate towards those. But then since I've come on the show and have to talk about comics each week, I'm trying to be conscious of not talking about the same things every time. Although
Yes.
I did pick Indestructible Hulk. Roll your eyes at me. So
Didn't love the last issue.
didn't love the list with
Should
the
have.
Cowboys.
I should have, right?
Yeah,
The art was fantastic,
it was.
but I didn't love it.
Mateo Sclerman. But no, I know I try to look for things like I do actively try to
Yes.
look for something different that I might not normally pick up.
I think we all do that, but you definitely do that. You've met. I've actually, now that you're saying it, I've definitely noticed you doing that. And we will talk. We will talk ahead of time. Like we'll be like, read this.
Yeah.
Like you'll like this. We know what each other will like.
Right.
But we have access to a ton of stuff. That we can just.
That's the thing.
sort of
Like having
text.
all that access to it, I was like, well, what looks interesting this time? And I don't want to make the same exact pick every time or select the same things for every show. So I was like, this is something that we haven't really talked about, and it could. And some of those times, I'm really glad that I didn't have to plunk down money for that. And it's a failed experiment. It's probably that more often than not. But every once in a while, you find something that's a diamond in the rough, and it's great. So I just want to look better than you guys on the show. Like I want to be the guy with the diverse choices in books.
Well, this is somewhat related
The
to
tastemaker.
the next question from John from Woburn, Massachusetts, who says, "Do you guys still get excited for Wednesdays?" I do. I totally do. It especially when there's good comics out. Like when I know there's a new Thor coming out, I'm psyched to get to the store to read the next. I still get totally excited for Wednesdays. I like the stories. If I didn't get excited for Wednesdays, I probably wouldn't do this anymore.
I don't know if Wednesday is the right word. Because I tend to look at Wednesday as a time where I have to mainline a shitload of comic books, but I still get excited. In fact, I get more excited for like Marvel comics now than I have in forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, but not in the same way. I just think there's some great talent. That's the thing that I continually get excited about. Is I really like to either be in the middle of a really great ongoing story or discover something like that. Just looking at great art is the thing that excites me. And when I say art, I mean sort of all encompassing about the thing. When story and art work together, which is what a comic book is.
Yeah, it's
Do I get excited to have a big stack of comic books? Not necessarily.
Right. I'm not excited about Wednesdays. I'm consistently aroused. I'm always excited about like.
You're down there, love.
Different day, like a new Private Eye comes out, or someone's. I love that there's a constantly flowing conversation online about comics and people having debating the artist's role in storytelling and things like that, whatever. And I love that being ongoing.
As long as there's good stories, I'm excited for them. When things aren't going well, you don't get so much excited. But there's so much good stuff. When there's a new Hawkeye out, there's a new Thor or a new Batman, I'm excited to read the next chapter. The Private Eye or Saga.
I get that in moments, and I got it. I got it when I was starting to read Wonder Woman this week, and I was just like, Jesus, Cliff Chang.
Right.
Like, God, this guy has got it. This guy is, I get that a lot. You know what? Actually, what I did this morning? I was sitting in bed because my son woke up really early or something like that, and I had the Spider-Men trade on my iPad that Connor's been telling me to read forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally because I gave the first issue like a middling review basically because the first issue was a middling issue, but. And I've had it. I've been sitting. I started to read it, and I was like halfway through it. I'm like, "This is great.
It's great. It was a great
so
series.
much fun." That kind of thing excites me. That doesn't necessarily have to be a Wednesday. Like I can still absolutely enjoy the art form.
Yeah.
That's what I get excited for.
All right, let's jump ahead to number 21.
This isn't Everclear at all.
21.
This is just water. 21. 2021. Whoa, let's skip it along. Johnny says, I'm currently going to college and my pull list has been cut dramatically. When you guys were in college, how did your pull list look?
Paul?
When I was in college, I didn't have a pull list. I actually went to different comic shops each week depending on where I was.
Interesting.
My class thing. Went to Fat Jack's comic shop in Center City.
Connor, you were reading everything back then. In fact, I only started buying in my senior year of college, but you bought all the time.
I certainly wasn't reading as much as I'm reading now.
Well, yeah, but that's comics were cheaper then.
They were cheaper, but also I just wasn't reading as much. I was probably reading half as much as I'm reading now, but
yeah, that's about right.
I had a job.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm old now. We've mentioned that a couple of times. The idea of being a poor college student is a bit of a misnomer, I think. And
Well,
I don't.
where we lived, it was really cheap. In Ithaca, New York, it was
Yeah.
cheap to buy
The
things.
thing is, like, you don't have actual bills. You have what you think are bills, but
Right.
it's not even close. So, like, you just need money for. I didn't drink, so all I needed money for was pizza and comics, really, and like some gas.
I drank for you.
Yeah, and I had a credit card, and I
Okay,
don't know,
and
I feel
Mel,
like I
I
bought a
didn't
bunch of
have a
comics.
car, so I didn't need the gas
Yeah.
money. So, I had a job, and I paid for my comics with my job money, and
Ding.
I
Yeah.
probably didn't. Yeah, okay.
Ding.
I had a job. I had a job all through college. So
How did I do that?
So let's
I was
try
making a lot of money senior year. That's right.
23. Josh.
Eric, or Big E, at the risk of giving away a multi-million story idea, I've got a question for you.
It's like Alf.
In your recollection, have there been any story arcs that take a look at Clark Kent actually learning how to be a journalist? Or that's a great idea. Or maybe some insight into what he, as Clark Kent, actually enjoys about his job. I know that his job probably serves as a plot device more than anything, but I wonder if any cool stories exist, for example, of his college days. I know what you guys are going to say. Go ahead.
What are we going to say?
I don't think so.
Well, you guys just did a show on Superman Birthright.
Yeah, but
And I
he wasn't
think
really
it's
learning to
not-
be a journalist in that.
And that's not
No,
really
but-
Clark Kent.
But it did, like, the first issue was really about him wanting to be a journalist.
Yeah, but it
more
wasn't
than
like
anything.
he learned. I think he's just always been a journalist.
He was just one of those people. It was a very modern idea.
A lot
what
of it is a
journalist
conceit. A lot of it is a conceit to have him be in a place where news happens, so he can go save people.
I think they cover that kind of stuff usually in like a one-shot or like,
Yeah.
an Adventures of Superman kind of story. I think they've done a little bit of that, like talking about his day and reporting duties and stuff
You
like
know-
that.
You know what was a really good story about that? That first issue of Astro City,
Yes.
where the guy is a reporter. And,
Ding.
and how he covers it. I know that that's not exactly the answer you were looking for, but that's the best I've got.
All right, next question I think Josh is definitely suited for. Ken from Madison Heights, Michigan says, we're all fans of superheroes. I'm pretty sure we're all fans of music, so I've got a silly question that combines both. If the Avengers started a rock band, who would play which instrument? I gave this a lot of thought the other day, 6 hours and 13 minutes if you're counting, which is a good amount of thought. Okay. And I see it break out like this. Iron Man is producer-manager, Captain America as the lead singer vocalist, Thor lead guitar, Captain America rhythm guitar, Captain Marvel rhythm guitar, Hawkeye bass, Hank Pym fills in occasionally, Black Widow keyboards, backing vocals, and Hulk on drums. What do you guys think? What about the Young Avengers, X-Men, Justice League, etc.?
Okay,
Let's do Avengers. Let's just do Avengers.
I like the lineup that he picked. I like that he
Mhm.
stuck it with the comic or the movie one. I think that's good. That works for now. I'd have to move it around, I think, a bit. Thor's not a lead guitar guy. Thor is
No.
either drums
He's a-
or bass.
Yeah, I see him as a bass player.
Yeah, like he's
Yeah.
holding that rhythm down.
Can you answer this question as Eddie Vedder?
Hulk is. Yeah, we can,
I don't want you
we
to
can
see my
definitely-
face when I'm doing it.
We can definitely do that. No, see, now Hulk is going to be the drummer, because he's got the beats, and then over on lead guitar is Clint Barton. I think he's got attitude. Rhythm.
Yeah, he does.
Rhythm is going to be
Now, Eddie, if you're not singing, who else would sing?
Black Widow. Black Widow's on vocals.
Ooh,
Yeah.
So you can go into different accents.
nothing hotter than the girl band.
Someone in the chat suggested Black Bolt on vocals.
He would blow the doors off the place. It's the stupidest thing I've ever said. Just easily the dumbest thing.
That's a Paul Montgomery joke.
Did we cover all the people? I mean, like, yeah, I think.
Well, see, you mostly agree with his numbers. You just would change Black Widow to the lead singer, and you'd get rid of Thor as who would be so.
I don't think
Hawkeye's playing lead guitar and Thor's playing bass.
Okay, first of all, Iron Man isn't producer manager. Iron Man is the guy who is on. He's like.
Iron Man owns the label.
No, Iron Man is like Johnny Greenwood. In Radiohead.
What the fuck is that?
It's my Thor hammer. I'm having fun.
Oh,
with
okay.
Thor.
Johnny Greenwood in Radiohead is the guy that started off as the sort of kooky lead guitar player, but now he can play like any sort of electronic instrument that he puts together, and he's got this little plug, all that stuff. Like he's that guy. He's putting together a bunch of sounds, and he's making things. Like he's like producer, instrumentalist, but he got away from what just the regular instrument.
Right.
Captain America's not. Captain America's like a He's like a rhythm guitarist. He's not a lead man. He's
Yeah,
not the
no,
singer.
I don't see him as. I mean, he's
He
the
would be
leader in
shy
the
to sing.
field, but not. He'd be too shy in the. Yeah,
What kind
Like,
of
he would
music
be
would
the-
they play?
I mean, it's America. They're rock and roll.
classic rock.
Okay.
Yeah, but like with a like an edge that you can
Like
still listen
Slipknot.
to.
Yeah, Slipknot,
They
exactly.
have masks. I mean, there
All
you
right.
go.
Paul, 23.
We just did
25. I'm sorry, 25.
25. Matthew Pimslap, one of my favorite usernames. That's offensive. I'm sorry. May I ask you what you know about the state of the Daily Bugle in 2013? Is the fictional paper going out of business? They've been printing a banner that reads "Final" all year. What could it mean?
This is
Not
very
an
simply
actual
answered.
newspaper.
Final is a throwback to when there used to be multiple papers in a day. So you'd have a morning edition and you have a late edition. The late edition was the final edition. And so it would say final on the cover. And whoever does graphic design for Marvel, and I did notice this after reading this email in some of the other in the comics, is that whoever does the graphic design should probably take that out because there aren't any final editions anymore. It's just the paper. So it's a holdover from when there were two papers, a morning edition and a late edition.
Wow, that was a way dorkier answer than I was expecting.
Well, I come from a paper
It's
family.
It's some guy named Maury who's worked there since Flo was in the office.
Yes.
Okay.
26, Morgan from Birmingham, Alabama. I think I've been on since 200 or so. Discovered you guys through the video podcast on TV a few years back. Miss Ron, but Paul's doing a good job. Good job, Paul.
Yes.
Speaking of Ron, can you explain to the viewers, we're not viewers, the
Validating.
significance of Back and to the Left and why you use it in the opening of all the Milestone shows? Will this continue now that Long Island Hardcore Ron is out? Back and to the Left was the song we used in the very first episode of the podcast.
Oh, that's not
So-
the theme music?
No, that's never
Never
in.
in.
Okay.
From the 101. Back and to the Left is by Texas is the Reason, and we used that in the very first episode. And so because of that, we use it in all of our Milestone episodes, which you probably heard in the beginning of this one too. So that's the simple reason, and we'll continue to use it even if Ron is not here.
Having never listened to one of these, I did not know that.
There you go.
Oh.
Next one, Josh.
It's at 27. Brian.
Yep.
Brian. The comics and comic scene of the 90s often get a bad rap, but I think a lot of good came out of the decade. Which of these 90s developments do you think is the most important to the present and future of comics? The rise of creator-owned comics? The new era of superhero movies starting with Blade and X-Men? The beginnings of the internet fandoms? Post-Marvel bankruptcy? Or something else that you remember from the era? The comic book stuff is the 2000s. So, that doesn't count. Or the movie stuff, I mean.
The movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's creator-owned.
Yeah.
It's the easiest answer. It's a dream that has existed for a really long time that finally took its first big steps in the late 80s. Like it toddled around in the late 80s, and in the 90s was artists taking control of their work. And that is going to be the story going forward. Not necessarily in a way that you can see, but in a way that creators are not going to give their ideas away in the way that they did ever before. They're too valuable, and they don't want to give them away. So you'll see writers who sign on with Marvel and DC to tell their stories, but hold back the good stuff, I think.
It's important. I don't know if it's more important than post-bankruptcy Marvel, though. I can't.
What does
decide.
that mean, post-bankruptcy Marvel?
Well, they came out of it. It's where Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti remade the company into a very creator-focused company. They brought on Garth Ennis. They brought on Brian Bendis.
But I feel like that's over.
It's not. It's still continuing with Jason Aaron and Matt Fraction.
It is to a certain extent.
Well,
They focus very
dominant.
strongly on those personalities and those creators, whereas DC focuses on the characters.
Yeah, but I bet as time goes on, that gets but the thing is that talent stable is really small now. Like,
But it doesn't matter, though. I mean, I think the point is they sort of shape the. I don't know. The point is that a bunch of those things are important. I think
Sure.
you can point to a couple of them. Paul, take
Allie
it.
says the X-Men cartoon, and I agree.
I
It was
think
pretty
that
important.
yeah, that happened. Like, Connor and I were the wrong age for that. Really?
I hated that. I hated that cartoon.
Yeah, and,
Yeah, see, I
and
thought
but
I thought it was amazing, but I'm never going to go look
good
at that.
call. When we first started doing this show, though, that was the main thing that people who were slightly younger than us said got them into comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
Totally. Yep. All right.
Adam?
Yep.
Adam from Washington, England, pretty close to Geordie territory, is in Garth Ennis stories, not LaForge. But Garth Ennis was from Northern Ireland.
No, the Geordies from the battlefields.
Oh, right.
Tankies.
Get up the spoon.
Yeah, exactly.
After nearly 30 years of... I'm not doing that accent. After
No.
nearly 30 years of collecting comics, I finally decided to buy a page of original art. A really, really nice piece by Brian Hitch. What original art have you bought, and what is on your lottery win wish list, i.e. unlimited funding?
Oh.
Paul, do you have any pages?
Any pages? I have more. The most recent stuff I got was Moritat Spirit pages.
Oh, right. I remember that.
Yeah, which are crazy because they're the size. He does 2 pages on a single piece of like printer paper. It's ridiculous. It's not the same size as original art boards that we're used to seeing. I have that. I have. If anybody in the chat is watching behind me, I think you can see one of Jamie McKelvey's last pieces of original art that he did, not on like a Cintiq, so actual paper. From I don't remember. It was that Avengers thing. Remender did some of it.
Did you buy a Hardman page at one point? Or
Yes,
was that
I do
somebody-
have a Hardman
Yeah.
page. It's from Avengers, Agents of Atlas versus Agents of Atlas.
Right, yeah.
So it's got like Gorilla versus Hulk stuff. Yeah, and then I have like sketches and commissions and things, but those are my original.
I haven't
pages.
bought any pages in a while because my walls got full and childhood, and I put it into my bike and stuff like that. But I kind of covered a lot of the art that I wanted to. Like on my wall, I've got a page from Transmetropolitan. I've got a page from Box Office Poison. I've got a page from Darwin Cook page from Jonah Hex that my wonderful friends got for me. And I have the last page I bought was from an issue of Next Wave. It's a Stuart Immonen page of Captain America breaking a toilet. And it's like there are other pages I would want. I'd love to have a Lark page someday, or but I don't know. I feel like that's a hole I don't want to fall into. I wanted to have a couple of things.
It's a deep hole.
Yeah.
Well, this is a lottery thing. This is like if you could just.
So the answer is if you could have
want
any
a Kirby page.
Exactly. If you could have any page, I would want a Kirby page. Full stop. I'd want a Captain America Kirby page. That's what I would want.
Yeah.
For me, it would be like a Walt Simonson like Thor page.
That's nice.
I would also like a James Stocco like Orkstein page because those are nuts. Like one of the like double page spread kind of things.
After Connor, I have an addendum.
I have a Darwin Cook Jonah Hex page. I have a Jeff Lemire Jonah Hex piece, which wasn't a page, but it was his proposal to do an issue of Jonah Hex. They wanted to see his art. So I have that, and there's a Fables page, and there's a G.I. Joe page. So I have 4. Not a ton, but I have 4.
Who did the G.I. Joe page, do you know?
I don't even know what comic it's from. It's something that actually a listener sent in to us.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Nice looking page.
It's a good page. I think I have to agree with Josh. If unlimited budget, I'd want to buy a Kirby page. Or I mean, they don't exist, but like a Bill Finger page or a Jerry Robinson page or a cover.
If you wanted to keep it a little, it'd be cool to have a New Frontier page.
Yes, they were selling them that one time we were at the con, and they were quite pricey.
More recently, Anisad Ribic, Thor: God of Thunder. Yeah.
Good one.
Well, yeah. I wonder what those look. And it's funny is that you'd think that the first answer would be Preacher. When I was
there's a Preacher page in your house.
Wait, so I was gonna say like a decade ago, my roommate Tom went on this buying spree, buying cheap Preacher pages because they were everywhere, and he had like a bunch of them, and they were literally they were tacked up on the walls of our apartment. They just stuck them everywhere, and because of that, like the idea of them is incredibly devalued. And the other thing is that like I love that book, but like he drew them with ballpoint pen and Sharpie. Like they were not good looking original, but he didn't look at it and go, wow, look at the work he's done now. You're like, wow, he just didn't even bother.
Yeah.
And it worked in the end, but like that's why that's not my first answer, and it should be because, as we all know, Preacher is my favorite thing.
I remember seeing those when I used to come visit. All right, let's go to number 30, Josh.
Alistair from Scotland, what is the closest you've come to dropping your favorite book and why?
I already have. Historically speaking, Detective was my favorite book, and I dropped that a couple of times. I dropped it twice in the last year. Yeah.
I don't have an interesting answer to that one. I will drop. I don't have a book that like I have to. I have runs that I like.
Yeah.
I don't have a series that.
You don't have a traditional favorite
I'm-
series?
Not really. I have characters that I love, I have creators that I love, and I have runs that I love. But I don't.
All right. So I'm the only one. That's fine.
I would say that, I mean, if you look at, like, Hellblazer, I mean, that it didn't stop, it just sort of rebooted, and that didn't stop that one. So that's probably the closest. Fables, I stopped after
You dropped Fables. You did.
100-something fucking tons of issues, so.
What is that noise? All right, that's a good.
Jesus.
Move on to the next question from
That
Eric.
was a Google Hangout asking me if I was still here. Sorry.
Eric wants to know, my question for you is a timely one and has been burning up the interwebs this past week. Did Batman kill the Joker at the end of Alan Moore and Brian Bolland's Killing Joke?
Oh.
I have my own thoughts on this, which are firmly planted in the realm of give me a fucking break, there's no way Batman killed the Joker. But there have been some compelling theories concerning this, the best being that during the fight with the Joker, the Batman can be seen staring at his hand right before he punches the Joker in the gut. The theory being that Batman had found one of the Joker's poison needles during the fight and used it on him. Then a few pages later, after the Joker tells his final joke, shares a laugh with the Batman, succumbs to the poison and dies in Batman's arms. What do you think? Did Batman kill the Joker? And also, Drew wrote in the same question, but he said, to me, I never got the ending until Morrison gave his opinion. What do you guys think of the suggestion? What do you guys originally think of the ending? So for backstory, in case anyone doesn't know, Grant Morrison gave an interview this past week where he said that the ending of the Killing Joke was obvious. It was that the Batman kills the Joker. And the other backstory to this is that
I think specifically that he snaps his neck, and that's why he
Right.
stops laughing, and that's what you're seeing in those,
Right.
the puddle. Yeah.
now the other backstory is that people who worked at DC at the time are saying that originally Killing Joke, for people to know, was an out of continuity Batman story. It wasn't part of the continuity. It was just Alan Moore Batman. It was supposed to be the final story. You know, it was the final Batman and Joker story. The Batman editorial then unilaterally, from people have been saying, brought it into continuity, thus sort of negating the whole point of the story. As a kid, I always thought it was very nebulous. You know, it was a very dark ending. You know, if you've ever read it, it ends with the light flashing and then it stops, which plays into earlier. But I don't not buy it. I think he could very well have killed him. If you take it as an original context as the final story, as not a part of continuity.
I haven't read it in a
good.
while, but my first instinct is that Alan Moore is literally the most meticulous writer in comics history.
Yeah.
So, if it's ambiguous for a reason.
Right.
And so there probably is no answer. You know, he wants you to read it however you read it, especially if it was supposed to be on its own. And that's without looking. I'm trying to look. It's not on the DC app, so I can't look.
Right. But I mean, it makes sense. Well, Morrison's point makes sense. And as a kid, I don't know. I mean, I think if you read the story as its own thing, apart from continuity, in the context of the structure of the story, the joke, and the fact the light stops, it makes sense that you killed him. I see people talking online about how, the Batman would never kill him because that means he'd lose the Joker, but I think that point of the story is that one of them has to die. You know, it's very similar to the Dark Knight Returns in that sense, you know.
And it's funny because that's the one that Moore doesn't like that story. Like, he thinks it's
No.
terrible.
Yeah.
So maybe...
Well, he's just about almost everything he's written that people like.
Yeah, but, you know, he doesn't talk like that about Watchmen. You know, like he...
Yeah, he probably would if he... I don't know, but...
I think when I first read it, I thought that it was like sort of a statement, sort of like the Neil Gaiman sort of epilogue to the death of the Batman R.I.P. thing. What was it? Whatever happened to the Caped Crusader?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Where it's just sort of about the cyclical nature of like a Batman and Joker story. And like, I mean, the Batman and Joker, it's like, you know, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, and I thought it was supposed to be like, I don't know, like sort of, it was like a record loop or something. And then the big takeaway was that it's ambiguous, and like Josh said, I think I understood that it was supposed to be ambiguous, and I totally buy that you could say that he's killing him there or not.
I like that it's ambiguous. I'm down
Yeah.
with ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't give an answer either way. I think there's... You know, I read it when I was probably way too young, just like Watchmen, but not Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns. But you know, I probably thought back then it could have been. I mean, that's sort of the implication, I think.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I think it's left to the reader. Like a
Now
lot
I
of
have
the
to
great.
read it again.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Did the Batman kill the Joker? Maybe. Maybe. Let us skip to 35. Someone take 35.
Jackie from Queens, New York. Number 1, top 5 favorite Marvel Now titles.
Thor.
Okay.
Avengers Arena.
Young Avengers.
Uncanny Avengers. Daredevil.
And
Is
all
this
the
like a
X-Men.
Family Feud kind of thing? We have to all agree on a top 5, or do we each get
Yes.
a top 5?
I think
Yes.
those are going to be fairly.
It's hard.
It's
Top 5 is
it's-
hard.
So where are we? Thor's definitely.
Thor is definitely in all of our 5s.
Is Avengers Arena?
Avengers Arena is mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so there's two.
Uncanny Avengers.
It's in mine.
Yeah. Indie Hulk?
But there's also Daredevil.
Daredevil
There's
beats
also
Daredevil?
Young
Avengers.
Avengers.
Is
Young
Daredevil Marvel
Avengers.
now?
Yes.
Is it?
Yep.
It's Marvel.
It's Marvel now. Marvel now is all of
everything
Marvel.
at Marvel,
Yeah.
Marvel now? Okay. All
It's
right.
basically
Daredevil.
one of them.
You should know this.
I should.
Young Avengers.
Yeah.
All new X-Men.
All New X-Men is really good,
All new
Yep.
X-Men's good.
but I would. Yeah, you think about it.
List
I
Marvel
don't-
Now titles.
We just did it.
Deadpool.
No, it's not top 5.
Yeah, it's like that's sort of. It's not totally consistent.
The end of that
But
becomes
But I'm shocked
wishy-washy,
at how much I like it.
right?
What?
Right. As I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
I think we got 5 in there.
Thor: God of Thunder.
Yeah, Thor. See, All
Okay.
New X-Men to me is it's funny because like I don't want to like it, but it's really composed like potato chips. I
It
just
is.
keep wanting to read it,
Really
and so
good.
it's good in that
Really,
sense.
really
But I don't find myself like that's amazing, but it kind of is. Oh, we didn't mention Hawkeye.
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 What
Yep.
a weird place for Marvel to be. I mean,
I like Avengers Arena being in there because that's the new thing. Like it's
Yeah.
it's a really new idea. Well, I mean,
There's a lot of-
obviously it's,
other
it's
than the two things it's based on.
right. Yeah.
I think the point is that there's a lot of great books in Marvel right now.
Yeah.
That's the
I mean,
biggest
like
point.
you could even make a Cap's Rick Remender's Captain America. You can even make an
Yep,
argument for
absolutely.
that. Like it's
Okay.
just-
Ding. All right. So next two, Connor and Josh. Did you guys? What did you guys think of the Wolverine, or did
I
you
haven't
get
seen
to it?
didn't see it.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay,
Nothing made me want to.
I really wanted to. I just haven't got a chance yet.
Iron Man of Steel. Just saying, it's good.
Well, that's
Different
a
kind of
low
movie.
bar.
3. Paul, since taking over from Ron at the Pick of the Week podcast, what have you learned so far? What surprised you? The bodies. There's like Steve from Maryland. Do you feel?
No. What have you learned so far, Paul? Now that you've jumped from writer to iFanboy, what have you learned? What's the biggest?
How cheesy answer. How not like intrusive into my life it is. Not that I have one anyway, but like it. I was like, do this every single week, but I look forward to it. And we talked about that before I started. Was that it's like of all the things we do, it's you guys. It's your favorite thing. You look forward to it the most, and getting to have these conversations. And it's not that I was like shocked that it's so much fun. It's just that it fits so nicely into my week and is such a natural part of my routine now.
It is a great way to end the week.
Yeah.
We usually do it on Friday, and it's like talking about my favorite things with my favorite people.
And
And
then
a lot of other people are going to listen. We get to have fun. It's the best.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a question for
Anything
me.
else, Paul? You learned about Josh's propensity for hobos?
No, I mean, what did I learn about myself? That I'm really open to questions of eugenics.
You apparently are.
Here,
Apparently,
I'm going to give you a real answer about Paul.
Okay.
Paul is a lot harder to make laugh than Ron was. And it plagues me to no end because that was my secret on that when Ron was there, my secret was to say some dumb shit to make Ron laugh. All of a sudden, show's better. And it's harder in that sense because I can't unlock your secrets, Montgomery.
He's tough.
I'm not big on comedy. I don't like it.
No,
I find it offensive
funny
when people
thing.
try to be funny. Usually it bothers me. So, but
You must hate me.
I chuckle internally at your jokes, or like sometimes later.
It doesn't work for the show so much.
But yeah, you know what? Josh tried really hard this week. That was pretty good. I should have laughed. Then, but I didn't.
By the way, that's when I'm the least funny is when I try really hard.
Oh yeah.
That's
Josh, jump
Yeah.
to 39.
39. Mikey from New York. Hey, Mikey, what's it gonna take to get some female superhero movies out there? You gonna have Flash before Wonder Woman? Come on, because the origin is too hard for people to understand. Awful, like the Jets QB, just awful. Give me some female superheroes. You think they could make a movie right now, and actresses who could play them? They could do it. You know what? Come on, what do you do? Jet ski.
When guys down in the garage know that I write about comics and I do the podcast and everything, they always like to ask about the comic book movies. And my favorite anecdote to talk about is the fact that DC almost had a Joss Whedon Wonder Woman movie, and then that fell through, and then Avengers comes out with Joss Whedon's name huge up on the marquee. And how does that feel? I think it's just embarrassing that they keep saying that kind of thing wouldn't do well, and that to this idea that guys in the core demographic would only go see a movie that has other dudes in it. I don't buy that.
I think it would be really. I don't give the market as much credit as I would like to.
Yeah.
And that's not the fault of the movie makers, and I absolutely believe it's possible. I do think that there is an issue with finding a female action star that
is believable as an action star
and isn't all like there's
it's
such
tough. It's really tough.
There's a mix of sexuality in that is really hard to hit. So that it's not disrespectful and you're not playing it for TNA, and that it's good. I've been thinking about it a lot, and it's not.
For how long? How many hours?
Because I was on vacation
It's
last
turning
week. So
purple for anyone who's listening to the show.
I would say, all of Wednesday was lost, so that's 24 right off. There was no comic shop or anything, so I just thought it's really hard. And I know it shouldn't be, and I'm sorry that that's the way the world works, but it is difficult because it's a thing that it would be so hard to make everybody happy. And honestly, I think the way that Avengers worked, and the thing that's different about Avengers than Wonder Woman is that Avengers has a shitload of people in it. And
Yeah.
the thing if they make a Justice League movie and Wonder Woman's in it, they're going to give her quote unquote badass moments.
Yep.
And they're either going to make her act like a guy, or make her act like and it's going to be so hard to avoid tropes because that's going to be the thing that they think will.
It's just I think the point is it's a very complicated issue.
Okay, well
It's
I
more
think
complicated than with just a straight a guy superhero. It's just it is. There's a lot of factors.
I just think the conversation is always like balking about how difficult it would be. Well, just try.
Well, it's a lot of money. Big movie studios are not in the
Try.
in the business
Yes.
of throwing something out there. They're not going to spend $200 million in a movie and $100 million on marketing or something like that. Honestly, like a thing like Kick-Ass, not that movie, but a movie like that was about a female superhero that was good, and there never has been one, that managed to find a way to do an original character. That has to be what happens to pave the way, I think.
You would think Hunger Games would have made it okay, but
Yeah.
apparently not.
Yeah, you would. That's
All right.
that's a really good way to ride that line, but it's still an ensemble piece.
Yeah. No, not really.
No,
Not really.
she's a definite female lead.
You're right. Listen, I'm incredibly biased when it comes to Jennifer Lawrence.
All right, we all are, I think. All right, Marcus from San Antonio, Texas, writes and says, 2 questions for the Animation Brain Trust, which Paul and I are members.
I'm gonna go pee.
Would any of you be interested in doing a show in which you revisit some of the older DC animated original movies to see if your opinion on them has changed? And is there a movie that from the line that you still rewatch from time to time?
Connor, do you revisit any of these?
Yeah, I watch them.
Which ones?
I rewatched New Frontier a bunch of times. I've rewatched Red Hood. I'm trying to look at them now. I mean, there's so many. They come out so frequently, it's hard to revisit them all. But I do revisit them every now and then. No, we're not gonna go back and revisit any. There's just too many.
Oh, I think there are core ones that I would revisit. I know you're big on New Frontier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still big on I think the Wonder Woman one is just great.
Yeah, I want to rewatch that one.
That end sequence is that's just really exciting. It's some of the best animation they've ever done, and it's a great solo story, and it's not a Batman or a Superman story. Under the Red Hood, also very good. I revisit that.
I've watched that one a few times.
I don't revisit a lot of them though, and not too often, but because I get kind of a dose when each one comes out, when each new one comes out. So
what do you guys consider to be the best ones? Like if you had to pick a number one. Now I know that like Connor, you're watching New Frontier. Do you think that's the best one, or do you think that's just the one that you
I like the most?
You know, those are different.
Yeah, I do. I think Red Hood's probably the best one. Like
yeah, I would say objectively. Under the Red Hood and the what was the Crisis on Two Earths?
Yeah, Crisis on Two Earths is really good.
That's a really solid one. It's got great moments for all the characters. Yeah. So objectively, I'd say those two.
I've actually tried. I'm not into the animation very much, but I actually tried to watch a few of them when they all showed up on Netflix.
Watch Red Hood. Red Hood is actually.
Is that on Netflix?
I don't know, but it's probably the best one, objectively speaking.
Or at least it has been. I don't know. If
I watched that one that has all the shorts.
Oh, the short compilations, yeah.
Yeah,
those were good.
They were great, like Jonah Hex and the Phantom Stranger.
Oh yeah, those are
Jonah Hex and the Spectre '70s style.
That's the one,
great.
right? Yeah.
No, that's really good.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're quite good. I would say check out Red Hood. Check out Red Hood. It's probably the best one from a writing standpoint.
Who did it? Do you know?
Judd Winnick wrote the script.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like Judd Winnick.
So Jeff writes
for Under the Red Hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just real quickly, I thought it was cool that he said he was able to like fix some things that he didn't like about his original comic scripts.
Yeah.
Like he was able to do it, like look back on it, and do like the sort of the director's cut of that story in a different medium.
I asked this question knowing Josh has an answer already, but Jeff writes and says, now that you've been doing the podcast and the website for such a long time, if you could go back and do something differently, what would it be?
The name.
The name. We would all agree that we would not have chosen iFanboy.
I would go back in time and have you guys change the name too.
Yeah. We actually no one knows this, but
go ahead.
Was it 6 or 7 years ago? Was it? The name almost completely changed to something else.
That wasn't that long ago, was it?
It was.
Jesus Christ, it was.
We almost completely changed the name of the website. Everything almost changed for various reasons. We almost completely rebranded.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is before you.
Okay. All right.
But the name has always been like an albatross. We love the name. It's our identity, but it's also very limiting in many ways.
It has a lot more baggage now than it did back then.
Yes. In 2000 when we started, it didn't have the baggage it has now.
And now there's a lot of tropes that are associated with that kind of thing, which I would prefer to avoid.
Jeff has another question. There's been a lot of speculation on Miles Morales' coming to the regular Marvel Universe, and I wanted to get your take on the matter. I love Miles Morales and really don't want to see him in the regular Marvel Universe, but it feels like something's going to happen with him and his title unless sales pick up again. Do you think this is a good thing for the character? Is it better for him to stay put in the Ultimate Universe even if the whole line of comics goes away? Could they manage to Spider-Man in the regular universe, maybe West Coast Spider-Man located in LA? So basically the backstory of this is there's going to be a big event with the Ultimate books. Cataclysm. The solicitations already said that Miles Morales is going to be in the Ultimate Universe. I mean, the Marvel Universe. And also, the speculation is that he's going to be the Spider-Man that is in Mighty Avengers, because it's an all-black cast and there's a Spider-Man in it.
No, it's not all black.
All black and Latino, I think, isn't it?
Mighty Avengers. It's a very diverse team.
But I think the speculation is that he's that Spider-Man because they call him like Spider or something, Spider Warrior or something like that.
Spider Hero.
Spider Hero. That's it.
Right.
So that speculation is that's Miles Morales, so they're bringing him into the Marvel Universe. How do you feel about that?
Somebody wrote a column about this, and it kills me that I don't know who it was or where it was posted. Things just pop up on Twitter, and basically talking about how Miles Morales, anything that they would do, lessens the primacy of the character, because he is the ultimate Spider-Man in that universe. Peter Parker does not exist. There's no chance of him coming back. So anything is a step down. He would be another Spider-Man, and the way things work, he would then be sort of looked upon as the younger Spider-Man or the Spider-Man of color, whatever, but he wouldn't. It's always going to be Peter Parker, even though right now it's the superior Spider-Man with Doc Ock in the driver's seat. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where it's Peter Parker back as Spider-Man. It's just going to happen. So anything that they would do, he's going to be less than what he was. So
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunate. I wish they could just leave, get rid of the
Well
other
enough.
Ultimate books if they have to, and just do it as its own title. Who cares about continuity of two different realities? Just let it be its own story. Let him, because it's such a rich mythology too.
And if it is, and one of the things that really bothered me about switching over to Miles Morales was that I still feel like they ended the Peter Parker story too early. And I know that's ridiculous since it went on such a long time, but
Right.
they just built such a nice world. And the good thing is that they continued that world, and I really like this character a lot too. I agree with Paul, but I think it's a bit like it's not going to be just like Constantine, but it is in a way. It's taking him out of the world where we grew up with him and loved him and putting him in a new world that isn't the same thing.
Right.
So it's like, or Jonah Hex maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the same people doing it. It's the same character. It ain't the same, and it makes me not like it as much since I really like the thing it was.
Yeah.
But if that's what happens, if that's what they want to try, maybe it'll be great. It doesn't excite me. How's that?
All right, let's skip down to 45, Zach.
Do any of you actually miss Peter Parker? Spider-Man has been my favorite character for 25 years, and I don't really miss him at all. I'm interested in how Slott will bring him back, but I'm really enjoying the Superior Spider-Man. The great art and tight storytelling make it a fun read. That's a very, I think it's a very advanced sort of answer on that, and I think we can all relate it to Batman. When Bruce Wayne died and they had Dick Grayson be Batman, I assume it's a lot like that.
I don't think any of us are reading it, are we?
Yeah, no. So I don't think any of us are really torn one way or the other on Peter Parker.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I told you I was reading Spider-Man this morning, and I gotta tell you, like reading that, I had a huge preference for the younger Spider-Man. It was so much more compelling to me. Like I was like it made Peter Parker, old Peter Parker,
seems old.
So much more irrelevant and old.
And that is why they changed
done
it,
that.
because he seems so old now. And they want that vibrancy of a young Peter Parker, which is so much more interesting. And that's why they changed. That's why they changed the marriage. I mean,
This would never happen. I would take Miles Marker. Miles
Marker? Who's that?
Miles Parker. I would take Miles Morales over Peter Parker, but I'd like to do it while keeping Peter Parker in a different role, like an Oracle kind of role. Not like that, but like how they kept.
Like Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
with,
something.
Bruce is the handler, or he's like in the Oracle.
Just that he still exists in that world, I'd be okay with that. But I don't like Spider-Man Prime and Spider-Man Lesser.
What they were doing with Barbara Gordon, as Oracle, and then having other Batgirls. I think it's a cool idea, and it progresses the character.
Yep, and that character needs progression, which is what Dan Slott's doing.
Yeah. I would like to point out that in the middle of this call, Mike Romo called me. He knows we're doing this show, yet he called. Let's do Paul 46, Socrates.
Socrates. It's surprising how some of my favorite mainstream comics as a kid were so violent. For example, DC Bloodlines. As an adult, I would not knowingly let my son read these same titles. I've discovered 70s and 80s mainstream comics that seem to have the same level of conflict, yet show less violence. Does violence sell comics? Would the killing joke be a great story without the images of extreme violence? Dark Knight Returns. A great comic like Busiek's Secret Identity uses little actual violence. This is an example of an amazing story that is tragically forgotten for the most part, unlike Kelly's What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Both are character-defining stories, but with Kelly's story has greater violence and it receives an animated feature. Do characters sell comics, or does violence, the promise of violence?
First of all, the Joe Kelly story is actually a comment on exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
The point of it is that at the time, the Authority was like a really big deal and things were hyper-violent and whatever, and Kelly was making the statement that Superman trumps that. So it isn't exactly what you're talking about, but most people probably consume it as that, so it's moot.
It's like a melange.
A lot of comics sell because of violence. That's why The Punisher is popular. Yes, that's why a
It's
lot
a
of things.
melange
But,
of all that stuff.
but it doesn't need to be. I find myself,
Beyonce's
my tastes
sister?
going on. I
Yes,
like
melange.
I like books that, like I find books that are more fun or more lofty. I think are more, but the whole super violence thing isn't my thing. Sometimes it's fun. Right now, The Ultimates, by Josh Fialkov,
It's great.
and Carmine Nagadrati anymore.
Yeah.
That's super violent and it's really fun. So, you don't want everything to be the same all the time.
I think violence is fine if it's saying something. If you're making some kind of statement, as with the Kelly story, in Preacher, it's used. I mean, there's a lot of violence and a lot of
Cartoonish.
disturbing imagery, but yeah, there's a statement being made there, and it's for impact. Sometimes when you're numb to the violence in the book, that's a bad sign. It's a bad sign for you, and it's a bad sign for the book. But no, it's a bad sign for the book because that means that there's no stakes here or stake. It was like when not to rag on the movie too much, but in watching Man of Steel, hearing about people clapping at that big controversial moment at the end. I'm not going to ruin it, but that's saddening. That's what people want out of that story. So.
Well,
All right. Next question is from Gene from Chicago, who says, if you were allowed to choose just one character, thing, or idea from the pre-Flashpoint DC continuity and place it back in the New 52, what would it be? And my answer
already
to that
talked about
is,
it.
well, my answer to that is that the problem with the New 52 was there was too much from the pre.
that was my question.
Flashpoint.
Like, what's not there?
The,
What are we missing?
Well,
I
I
don't
think people are looking for like the Wally West or your Stephanie Brown, but the problem is that they didn't break away enough. They didn't establish their own world enough. They tried to keep too much of the old, and never allowed themselves to start over.
Which makes it so when there are exclusions of things from the pre-New 52, they feel petty because it's just like these are just cosmetic sort of things that we don't like. Like
Right.
editorially, I don't
Superman's outfit.
I don't like Superman's trunks. I don't like Stephanie Brown. I don't like that kind of stuff. And so it's if you're gonna totally revamp the world, totally revamp it. Do something like not just changing the number on Action Comics or on Detective Comics. That's I mean that they were talking about that as being showing how serious they are.
Mm-hmm.
We're renumbering this book that's up to this huge crazy number. That's not gutsy. That's gimmicky. Gutsy is actually making bold changes to character and storylines, and starting fresh.
Like to me, it was reading Batgirl and realizing that somehow Killing Joke was happened. It was too muddled. It was way more muddled than After Crisis, and that to me, I knew they were in trouble when I read those issues.
Yeah.
So not enough. I wouldn't bring anything more.
Now, when I said we'd already talked about it, if there was a thing that I liked from just before Flashpoint, it was the Dick Grayson's Batman thing.
Oh,
Like I could have used more of it.
But that also still happened, according to if Batman Incorporated.
I just mean continue. Well, okay, yeah.
Honestly, it's for me. Like I think it's just stupid, but it's the redesigns of the JLA. Every time I see Superman, I think, God,
It's a terrible
someday
costume.
people are gonna read this story and go, "This is great," except that.
Right.
Like I've been reading Superman Unchained, and that's the thing. I really like that story. I look forward to reading it, and he walked around in a stupid collar, and I just think this is going to be like Red and Blue Superman at the beginning of Grant Morrison stuff. You're just like, why does he look like that for?
Yeah.
And there's also New 52 stuff that they introduced in the beginning and then they didn't keep. So think interesting ideas like the Superman and the jeans and the boots.
God, I love that.
Or
I could
heavily
use more of that.
sideburned Aquaman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul, take the next one.
Which one? Which number?
It's 48.
43. 48.
48. Tom, if you could compare comic book creators to West Wing actors, who is the Joshua Malina of comics? Man.
It's like a replacement. I was like Kyle Rayner or.
It's
Miles
somebody who's
Morales.
taken over for a really popular. It's like the guy who took over after Joss Whedon wrote Astonishing X-Men.
Oh, we're doing creators. Oh,
Yeah, it's creators.
Creators.
It's even.
Josh Malina.
It's
Malina
there's
comes
almost
in.
no way. I'm trying not to.
I don't really like Josh Malina on West Wing.
I don't not like him, but I don't
don't
like
Say
him.
I was the Joshua Malina of iFanboy at one point.
You definitely are.
You definitely are, but
Not in the Air Force.
But at the
or whatever
same
he's
time, Ron is no Sam Seaborn.
no.
in. It's because you want to be Sam Seaborn.
I'm not saying-
It's somebody who has took over for a popular creator. It's got to be. I stand by my whoever took over Joss Whedon on Astonishing X-Men.
Wasn't it Warren Ellis?
Was it?
I believe so.
Right away? I don't know if it was right away.
Well,
It was. It's Andy Diggle on Daredevil.
Okay.
Okay, I see that.
Nobody's offended. Everybody's okay. Here we go.
51, Josh.
51. Sam from Baltimore, Maryland. We'll take it as read that Jack Kirby is one of the greats. Even his poor work is as good as most people's best. But what are your respective Kirby at his finest comics? Or does it matter? Are any of you closet Kirby haters? No. Personally, I think Kamandi is pretty hard to top. On a follow-up note, what is your take on aping the Jack Kirby style? I'm thinking specifically of people like Tom Scioli who are so influenced that it can only be called homage. Is there anything wrong with consistently doing that? At what point does it simply become copying? And is there anything wrong with that? That's a good question with a lot of things about it.
Favorite Kirby book? What is his finest work?
It's hard to say finest. I mean, you have Fantastic Four, you have
You said you wanted
Captain
a Captain America
America,
page.
you have...
That's because those are two things I really like.
It's from the... I mean, you've got Fantastic Four has got to be his seminal work. Because that's where that's the Kirby dots and the Black and
sure.
the Inhumans and the Galactus. I mean, it's really...
As you get into the 40s and 50s, I think. I honestly, my great failing is that I don't know enough of it as well enough to say. I need to read more of it, and there's so much. This is a dude who's doing work from the 30s into the 90s. So
Some of my personal... I like his DC stuff. Some of my personal favorite stuff is the Fourth World, but in terms of pure Kirby creation, I would have to agree that Kamandi, because that's like his thing. That's total Kirby.
I mean, you can look at the early. You can go look at the first sort of part of like a Fantastic Four omnibus. You know, it's not blowing your eyeballs out. The covers are really good, but the pages themselves are a little they weren't in. I don't think he'd been lit that fire under him yet. You see,
No, but
later.
it gets crazier as the run goes on. I still think Fantastic Four is probably his pinnacle.
I think you're right, and the stuff that came out of that, like the Inhumans, and you think about and Silver Surfer and all that stuff that he wanted to do when he starts bringing in the collage, and bringing in other elements. But the thing is, he created stuff like most people just know him for the '60s stuff. He created romance comics,
all the Fourth
Western
World
comics
books, and
right, but that stuff's the later stuff. But like earlier than that, him and Joe Simon were, he was just doing monster comics or something like that. I don't know. It could be, they did crime comics. There's huge volumes full of them.
So what do we think about Tom Scioli and guys like Scott Koblish on OMAC who are basically doing Kirby?
I think it's a fun thing to do sometimes. If I was an artist, I wouldn't want to put it this way. I would like to play in a rock band, but I don't want to be in a tribute band. I would like to do covers sometimes.
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I would think I would get bored of it.
I think for things like OMAC and things like Godland, there's specific Kirby homages. I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? So I think that's okay. I think, but Scott Koblish is always going to draw.
Remembering that when we talk about OMAC, we talk about how it's this cool Kirby-esque thing, not talking about that artist.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I said specifically as an artist, that wouldn't be a thing I'd want to do because that's not me. That's that's like that guy. It's like that dude from the Philippines who is now in Journey. Like it's a circus act.
Right.
to a certain
That's
extent.
true.
You don't want to
know.
be the Joshua Molina
Of Journey.
of the Philippines.
That's true.
But
right,
at the
well,
same
let's-
time, like I don't disrespect those guys. Like it's cool, it's fun to read. I just wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to do it all the time. I don't
Yeah.
know. But Kirby's like a special case, I guess. I don't know.
All right, let's move on to Marcus from Silver Spring, Maryland, who's Marcus Hill 73 in iFanboy. He says, "I've been reading comics for 20 plus years, predominantly Marvel and Image. Thanks to your recommendation, I started reading many DC titles. This leads me to DC's New 52. From the onset, there was an excitement and an anticipation around what DC had foreshadowed. Based on your recent commentary of DC's lines and editorial interference, initial enthusiasm around all but a few titles has subsided. Previewing DC's current line of comics, it pretty much looks like it did 4 to 5 years ago. There's now a half-decent JLA title, but other than that, the New 52 appears to be nothing new. Which leads me to my question, is the comics marketplace getting what it deserves? Titles like OMAC, Hawkman, and Hawk and Dove didn't sell enough copies that were canceled. Was the New 52 a misstep, given that their current line of titles, the stories being told, and creators involved are not really that different than the pre-New 52 titles?
Well, are you like me?
Oh.
Are you just picturing like a guy, like a police officer talking to Connor? Like, sir, can I-
I'm just
can I
like,
see
is it like a job interview? And he's just
your
like,
your license and
trying
registration, please.
helplessly
Have-
to not be drunk.
The point is, do we have the
Have you been
market
drinking
we
tonight, sir?
deserve?
Yes.
All the interesting titles
Sure.
that DC put out got canceled. Frankenstein, OMAC, Men at War, all the sort of superhero titles got canceled right away because no one bought them. So do we have
Well- Now,
do we,
there's another side to that. That's true. No one bought them, and we knew no one would buy them.
right?
But they were not given a chance to flourish. I think like they gave it a very quick lip service of, all right, let's have some diversity, and then very quickly they went, market's not responding. Let's just all guns forward.
They had a very short leash.
Very short leash. There was almost no way that was going to succeed. It's like TV now, you know, where the thing like Seinfeld didn't have an audience for years. Until
Well,
it did.
not years.
Yeah, but like it took the
it was the first
masturbation
year.
episode. Yeah, the first year it didn't, but they brought it back. Like we never get past a season anymore.
Right.
Just like TV doesn't. You know, like you better bring it in now, and like who knows how to do that. So, and I definitely I blame the readership. Like I blame an audience that doesn't buy that stuff.
Yeah.
They're not bad people because of it, but I just think a lot of them have gone away, and what we're left with are the people. I said this the other day on you know, you sell comics to the audience that you have, not the one you wish you had. If you want to apply Rumsfeldism to it,
Right.
and that's what it is. And if you, at the same time, like if you want interesting comics, if you want things that are different, then Marvel and DC might not be the place for you to go, but there are definitely alternatives.
I give DC a lot of credit for trying. I mean, when they first came out, they had a lot of different books you would normally not associate with DC or Marvel. You know, OMAC, Frankenstein, Men at War, those were genre books that were not traditional superhero books. I give them credit for that, but no one bought them.
I don't understand why they thought, like, the thing is, if you're going to do a genre book like that, you need to bring something to it based on the audience you have. And
But
so
at
that,
the same time, I think there's a lot of lip service in the community, and maybe only on the internet, but there's a lot of lip service like, hey, we want all ages books, we want non-traditional books, but then at the end of the day, they don't get purchased.
right.
So what's DC to do? They're in the business of making money.
I agree,
Yeah.
and that's the point. Like, you have to blame the audience.
Yeah.
Like, and they didn't. It's not blaming them. It's just that
I
isn't
blame
the
you,
audience
Josh
that it-
Flanagan, iFanboy.com.
that's my favorite meme. By the way, I love it. I
Josh
love
Flanagan
it.
story.
Like what are you gonna do? Like you don't put out a book that nobody's gonna buy. If you want to do a war book, then you better put somebody amazing on it who's a huge draw. But why wouldn't they then
They had
put,
Mike Costa doing G.I. Joe.
how much does that sell? I mean, he's not a, you know, it's gonna be a good book, and it was, but right away, the thing is, they gave it however many issues, 6, 7, 8 issues or something like that. But you know, behind the scenes, you know that an issue in, they were like, do it like this, do it like this, do it. He didn't get to tell his story.
Right. No, that's
He
true.
walked.
It's true.
So, you know, even though it was a show. It was, you know, like, yeah, we'll give you your chance. You failed, but it wasn't really given a chance at all. It was
Yeah.
beset by network notes.
I give them the credit for trying, but they didn't there's lots
They
of
didn't
things coming
really.
after this.
Lip
Lip service was
OMAC
exactly.
friends.
I still love OMAC. I got the trade. I've got
I
the
have
issue.
Frankenstein friends.
Yeah. So it's tough. Let's try 58, Josh.
I gotta scroll down here. Everyone just hang on for a moment. How's the weather tonight? It's lovely. Matthew from Honolulu, Hawaii. I
Who's
make
living
reality
in paradise?
on the website. It's true. He's got Dog the Bounty Hunter running around, though. That's a problem. Is that there? I don't know. What do
No.
you think? Why am I talking
Oh,
about? What do you think Hope is the next evolution of podcasting? A technical instruction like tagging, reviewed books that take you to a digital distributor like the music sites with iTunes, or something more content-driven?
What is
Wow,
the next
switch
evolution
gears
of
on that.
podcasting?
You don't want to know. It's corporatization. It's bigger names that get involved with it, because the one thing that I think we've found is that companies are interested in something that sells really big, and what sells really big is celebrity. That's why Mark Maron's podcast blew up, because he had more and more famous people on, and so people noticed it.
Mhm.
The comics is relatively untouched because there's no money in it. So there's
No,
just
but
a
like,
shitload of
is
comics.
it? When we started podcasting, it was like, this is the next thing. Like, this is gonna usurp the popular media. People are gonna go to podcasting, and
I don't
no one's
ever
gonna
think I
watch
thought
network
that.
TV. That was the thing, if
Yeah,
you
but-
recall. It didn't happen. It shouldn't have happened. I didn't agree with it at the time anyway. But what is the next thing? What is podcasting going to become?
It's a marketing. It's a marketing channel. On one hand, I think from a business standpoint, it's a marketing. So any money that goes into it is going to be to market something. Everything else is a form of journaling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way for, to my point, it's a way for creative people to make themselves an outlet that stands on its own merit to a certain extent. And there will be breakouts, and there will be very niche things that you can get into, and it's still rad for that. I find it to be, it's incredibly intimate, and
Yep.
if you let it happen in the right way, you can know people. Here's a thing that I've noticed about podcasting. Since I moved out of New York City, I had to leave, so I haven't seen some of my friends. Alex Robinson's a really good friend of mine. I listened to his podcast, and it makes me feel like I've been hanging out with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a person I know,
very intimate.
but it also works like people who talk to us think they know us.
Yeah.
And they do to a certain extent, and I think that's really cool. And I think that's something that is going to stick around.
Right.
My point being, like, I forget that I haven't actually been hanging out with the person because it is so intimate. But is it going to blow up? Is it going to be a thing? Sure, there'll be outliers. There'll be some people who, get a deal from it or whatever. But I think it is what it is.
I think that's right. Paul, any thoughts? Future of podcasting?
what about what? What was the question? When we talking
Why don't
about
you-
like what's the next
why
big
don't
thing
you-
in comics, or like what's
Why
the
don't you
next
Why don't
big
you take
tagging?
Ricardo at number 60, Paul? 60.
I'll take
60.
Ricardo.
Yeah.
I just barely got into comics this year, so obviously I don't know what I am talking about when it comes to comics.
Join the club.
I really do enjoy them. I am 18. How long is I am 18 and wish I got into them a lot earlier. I got into comics just right after the death of Damian Wayne, rip homie, and I read up on the Batman and Robin comics so I can build up a love for this character before I read Batman Inc. 8, but I also went back and listened to some of your podcasts where you guys could talk often about how much it doesn't make sense that none of the Batman Inc. books are relevant to the rest of the current Batman and Bat-related books and events, but how logical it was that the death of Robin was the only event that affected the other books, and I think I know a good reason. Yeah, I'm aware I'm a noob and don't know much, and maybe you guys are over it and don't care or already figured out why this is. The fact is that no matter what time these books are taking place, whether it be at the same time or farther in the future of the Bat world, I don't know the story behind Batman Inc., so I don't know what time it takes place, but I just came to the conclusion that regardless of the time Robin dies, it's not something you jump around. They killed Robin in this book. None of the other books can go on as if Damian didn't just die like a week before. No, Robin dies, and the reader knows that he does at one point. they couldn't just be reading a book where he's alive and kicking ass. Then there's a book where they just witnessed him die. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong and don't know that what I'm talking about. I probably don't. But I just wanted to express this. What do you think? Also, who is your favorite Robin? I love Damian. His character was amazing, but I also love Dick Grayson. I can't choose between the two.
What do you think?
I came in reading Tim, and that's sort of my Robin. Not so much anymore.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. I think some of the stuff that they did with Tim Drake, it's like when Tim Drake was like the Robin, they could do interesting things with his character. Now that there are multiple Robins, like all at once, he's more archetypal.
I agree.
And they came up with, and they sort of like watered down, simplified the character, and made him. He's the Robin who wasn't a Robin. He did his own thing. He's Red Robin.
One of the worst things. The Robins.
One of the worst things. What?
About the new 52 is how they've handled the Robins. I can't get those words out. The new 52 is the 5-year time span, the 6 Robins. It just doesn't make any sense. But it's sort of devalued all of the Robins. You know what I mean? Like Tim was marginalized. Jason doesn't make any sense. You know, Damian doesn't really make any sense either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
It's been one of the biggest missteps of the whole thing.
I agree with Paul. I think Tim is the one that I've read the most. I wasn't reading when Dick was Robin's a really long time ago. He's the one that I enjoyed the most. I really enjoyed Damian as a diversion, as a fun thing for a while when written correctly. When written. I want to go back and say that all of that thing where the dude's writing the question and he's like, well, I don't know, maybe Ricardo would. I think you're absolutely right. I think you make an excellent. The reason that Robin is dead is all the books because Robin's dead, and they can just take that and go with it. That's absolutely the best way to do it. And also, it gets rid of one of the Robins because there's too many people living in this damn house. It's just there is.
Too many kids.
Like, listen, I love you. You can't stay. You got to go. You cannot be here. There's too many people.
It's real world Gotham.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I think that Robin has been really when Tim was Robin, we had so many that series that Chuck Dixon did was great.
Yes.
He was Robin for a really long time. The only problem with Robin was that with Tim Drake was that after a while, like they had just killed everybody close to him, and it was just like if this was a real person at all, he would have completely snapped. It just they could have made
they killed his girlfriend, his parents.
They could have turned him into the villain. That would have been that would have been the thing to do, because all that stuff happened to him while he was a kid. Like that makes the most sense, even more than Jason Todd. Because he was trained by Batman. I'm giving this away. But wasn't that one of the stories?
What?
Wasn't that the Return of the Joker?
Yes.
Was it Tim?
Yes.
Tim, yeah.
Return of the Joker was Tim, yeah.
So it wasn't even an original idea. Where should we go next?
61.
Merv from Florida. I love that there's a dude named Merv. That's the best. On one of your big shows, number 350, after the music at the end died off, there was more audio and it sounded like a candid recording of you guys just chatting before or after the purposeful recording. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but it got me wondering what if the iFanboy Pick of the Week podcast had after credit sequences, just like the Marvel movies do. Is there a question there?
I think the main thing is everything you hear, except for that one time, is purposeful.
We're pretty efficient.
So if there's an audio clip after the music, we put it there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the way that we edit the show. It would be impossible to not notice that.
Yeah. The only time we don't notice is when it's in the middle and someone who remains nameless doesn't remember to take it out.
Listen, that, much like Indiana, never happened.
Indianapolis?
That's my story. I don't even know.
See.
It didn't happen.
Let's see. Paul, read.
Whatever you want, man.
Emails here. A lot of email.
Give me a name or number.
64.
64.
Edward.
How old will you be when you give up comic books in whatever format they evolve into? My first ever comic book was Avengers number 58. Even an android can cry. Josh, didn't you almost give them up? And looking forward to reading your upcoming story. Congrats. That's from Edward, if I didn't say.
Josh, give a little plug for your upcoming story.
Yeah, I have a I think it's 7-page story in the Scamthology, which is from Comics Tribe and Joe Mulvey, who's a guy I know. I think he listened to the show, and he's a writer-artist who did a book called Scam, and he got all these other creators together to do a big anthology using all these. There's like a ton of characters in this, and there's sort of super-powered con men. So I picked one of them, and I wrote a story that I really, really, really liked. It was drawn by Doug Hills, a friend of mine who I worked with.
Doug's awesome.
Yeah, it's the best work he's ever done. I was really proud
he does
of the
good
story,
work.
and I was super glad to be asked to do it, and it's not going to be out for a while. I think it was supposed to be December, and I think it's been pushed a little later. But trust me, when it's around, I'll let you know.
All right, enough plugging.
Sorry.
How
so
old
late.
will you be when you give up comic books in whatever format they evolve into?
I did not agree with the question. That's like saying how old will you be when you give up TV?
Right?
How old will I be when I give up buying comics every Wednesday? That's more, it's an art form. It's my favorite art form. It's the thing I understand the best. It's the thing that I get the most enjoyment out of when done well. It's in real. I didn't almost give up comics. I probably just got over the grind of sort of the regular buying of them.
That said, I remember saying the same thing about mouse pads. And I don't have a mouse pad. I don't. A mouse pad is a venue for imagery. It's just like a desktop wallpaper. It's another place to have art, but I don't. And it wasn't just a conscious choice to not have mouse pads anymore. I was just like.
Just one day.
It wasn't a day where I woke up and it was like
right.
no more.
It was one day
like
culture
like
wasn't
a mouse
there anymore.
didn't burst through my window and land on a bust of my father, and I was like, Father, I will no longer mouse.
Do you use a trackpad?
It was just I use a trackpad, and I don't know where my mouse pads are. I guess I threw them out.
My mouse pad is under my trackpad. Right? That's weird, though.
So Paul is saying none of us are saying no. We're saying we don't know, right?
No, we're saying we disagree with the question. We don't grant
the premise of the question is wrong. Is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Paul 66.
66.
Yes.
Ilan. My question has to do with the future of superhero comics. Comics in general have hardly ever been better, with new, brilliant creator-owned comics popping up virtually every week. But even though there are even a number... Okay.
Start again.
Paul, figure this out. You're not even drinking. Coming virtually every week, but even though there are even a number of really good superhero comics coming from the big two, the output of DC and Marvel has seldom felt more stale. Well, from my point of view, anyway. Again, it's not a question of individual quality, but taken as a whole, superhero comics now don't seem all that much different from superhero comics that came out 25 years ago. Hell, between all the reboots and status quo resets, this is more true now than it was, say, 5 years ago. My question is, in short, are we in need of a Watchmen, a Showcase number 4, or a Lee Kirby Fantastic Four type of game changer to fundamentally shake things up and bring something truly new to how superhero stories are told? And in this extremely corporate-driven environment, would such a thing even be possible? Well, the New 52 is that kind of game changer, and that's not what we wanted or needed.
It's
right. That's the same kind of thing as like a.
It seems antithetical to ask for a status quo changer, but that applies to superheroes. The superheroes are the problem because the superheroes are the status quo. It's not the companies doing them. It's the fact that the two companies that have 90% of market share do the same kinds of stories, and that's all anyone buys.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound angry.
Well,
I mean, but
I don't know that it needs to happen. I think Marvel is Again, we come back to this. They're doing great stuff.
That's true, and if you're just looking for quality work, there's quality work. The problem being that the
I don't think they're stale at all. I think DC is stale.
Yeah, but that has more to do with
other than 3 or 4 titles like Wonder Woman and Batman and stuff like that. But
you know what the game changer is? The game changer is The Walking Dead. Not just Image, specifically The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Which broke every single rule.
Kirkman's manifesto came true.
Yes.
Yep.
I think people are trying to look at it that way, and publishers are trying to look at it that way in terms of we need to do a jump-starting kind of thing to steer the ship in the right direction.
Once every 6 months.
And that's sort of what like the New 52 thing kind of is. With Marvel now, it's just let's write great books and have like a good jumping on point. And again, Marvel doesn't always do that right. Like Marvel now is, I think that's a success, and that's good thinking. But before that, they were doing like the point one stuff.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
And nobody.
But look at Marvel, look at Image. You know, there's great comics coming out right now.
Yep.
Great comics.
Even, I mean, like the thing is, you know, you can easily look over at Dark Horse and see great comics coming out.
Yep.
You can. It's funny because what I don't see is a lot of great original graphic novels anymore. I can't.
You don't see the timeless books.
No,
Marvel's never been in the timeless game. They've never done that.
No.
True.
Images, books.
DC was in the timeless books.
DC's always been in the timeless game. You know, the Dark Knight's Returns, the Watchmen's, the New Frontiers, that kind of thing. It's always, you know, that's always been the DC's game, but they don't do that so much anymore. I'm trying to look at my books to see.
Well, Marvel tried to do that with with the Mark Waid, Alex Ross thing, right?
Marvel's.
But that was when I was in high school.
I'm just saying.
It's Kurt Busiek.
That's how far back you kind of have to go to think of them attempting to do something like that.
Yeah.
That's not their game.
Not right now. It's not.
No, but it really hasn't been. I remember when I was looking at my shelves, I have a lot less Marvel books.
Trades.
Yeah, like books, because there's not as many sort of volumes of it. I have on my shelves from Marvel, I have bits of runs that I liked, but it's not like the 12 issues that encapsulate.
Daytripper, Saga.
Yeah.
I think
everyone in the chat room should note the giant beer can or glass I'm holding almost spills.
Can
Blah blah blah. Josh, go to 69.
Easily done.
Easy.
Stuart from Chelmsford, England. Do you guys have any minor pet peeves in comics? Dozens. For me, how seemingly 90% of the superheroes begin with a narration box. My name is Hal Jordan, Peter Parker, Buddy Baker, etc. How often characters say, the thing is. How every character Bendis writes has a stammer. I
don't agree with the first one because I think it's important to introduce the main character in every issue. If you really want to get new readers, you have to do that. If you don't want to, then fine. But if you want people to buy your books as new readers, you have to introduce the character in every issue.
I will say that one's related to one of mine, which is first-person narration.
But here's my main one, and I almost did an article of this for the website, but it was just too all-encompassing. It's that if you look in the last couple of years, there's a proliferation of I've got this or we got this. It happens in almost every comic.
Mm-hmm.
I got this or we got this.
Do you have like Post-its all over your walls?
I was keeping track, and then I lost. There was just so many. Up until this very week, it happened in this very week's comics. I got this.
Yes.
We got this. It happened. It was in all the DC books.
Or variations of that.
I thought it was like a thing they were doing, like like a mandate, like you must say we got this in every issue. But it was happening a lot. And if you know that and pay attention, it happens every week in comics.
That's related to his second one, characters say the thing is, and I think that's because influence of the writers and influence of the stories has become so recursive that they're all trying to create the same kind of moments over and over again.
Right.
And memes become memes, and people even subconsciously take that stuff in, and they do it again, I think, without thinking about it. The character saying, the thing is, that is a thing you hear all the time, and it's actually can be it's just it becomes the language, and you all want to have that badass moment. Another one like that is in Wonder Woman this week when the girl whacks him on the head, and like there's the moment of quiet, and then she goes a-hole, and like that is that's Nick Cage out of what's it called, the prison one, The Rock. I mean, that's what that
Rock
moment
is
is.
a great movie.
Right, but we've. That's the thing.
It's a great movie. It is.
That's the
Come
thing.
on.
Let it be
That's the
known.
thing that you can do with Connor is you can mention any number of films and you just mention it and he'll just say that's a great movie.
It's like fucking great movie. No one can tell me it's not. Sean Bean, Sean Connery, Ed Harris.
It's fine. That's not.
Oh
that's
man,
not
In
the point.
Bruges, man.
It's the kind
That's a
of
good movie,
like
yeah.
moment that
To a lesser
came-
extent, I guess.
It's the kind of moment cliche that has come from action movies, from Die Hard forward. That they're put.
Listen,
all of
listen,
the-
listen. Do not slag off Die Hard. You
I'm
motherfucker.
not. It's like Archie Bunker. Like the things that made it great have been copied so much that it doesn't. It makes the original.
That's what you
thing
guys
not
told
look
me
as
about
original.
Goodfellas.
Let's
Whoa.
watch Goodfellas.
you
Let's just
talking
stop
about
doing this
Goodfellas?
and watch
No?
Goodfellas.
No, there's
No.
this dog over here.
No, I
What?
think that like the conversation it's very homogenous. The
Yeah.
sort of writers, they're all dudes around between 30 and 50 who all watch the same stuff and
See-
like participate in this geek culture.
Did you say dudes are brown between?
Dudes who are around
Oh, okay.
in the age range of.
Making
Listen,
sure
we
just for the
have-
listeners. All right.
We have only 2 pages left of emails, so let's get
Can we-
through
yeah.
this.
I have to pee
Paul,
so
70.
much.
70.
Paul.
Mike from Crippler. What?
Mike is Crippler.
Oh, okay.
His name is iFanboy.
All right. What is something that you guys used to do on the show that you stopped doing that you sort of miss? Frapper Map. Here's what I miss. Delicious barbecue episodes where Ron would wax poetically about meat and Connor would say, "It's hot," and Josh would try to defy expectations regarding his top 5 books. Good times. Yes, I know.
I just couldn't
No one likes
think
me.
of
They
it.
want Ron back. I get it.
Really getting to the heart of this thing, people.
It's not just...
What's the thing you used to do on the show that you've stopped? I don't know.
I do miss those episodes. I miss the video shows. I mean, they were
I
a
miss the
lot of
video shows.
work,
I'm just watching
and
it.
they were a lot of work, more work than anything we've done on the show, on the website, or iFanboy in general. But I miss those barbecue shows. They were great.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the meat.
Here, I'll say a thing. Somebody asked earlier what we would have done differently. I
Mhm.
would have done those better. Which no,
we did,
like no,
we did them as
what-
good as we could.
We did them as good as we could given the resources and the time allotted, but we could have done better. The problem is that it wouldn't have been worth it to anybody but ourselves, and that's only fun for so long.
Right.
If that makes sense. The fact is, people were like, "Why is it not?" Like there weren't enough people watching it, so the amount of time that we spent doing them was not productive.
Right.
In that way, and they were
People in
totally
the chat-
fun.
People in the chat are freaking out. I love Goodfellas. It's a really good movie. I'm saying they warned me about it before I watched it
Yeah, we
because
did
I
build
came
up.
to it late.
Yeah.
I do miss them. I mean, they were fun. They were fun to do those shows. As much pain in the ass and work as they were fun to do.
I miss being an idiot. I mean it like those first I know a lot now. I know a lot of people. I know it was I feel like I have a lot more responsibility now, and so early on
When we first started the video shows, we
we
didn't.
said some dumb shit.
The show we never aired, the Brian K. Vaughan show. I mean,
Yeah.
it was great. I mean, it was kind of like I missed the sense of discovery. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were sort of making it up as we went along. No one else was really doing the video shows, and we
I wish
we
we had
made a
Okay.
language up.
more time to do them and a little more help.
Yeah.
It's really
Okay.
hard to shoot a video show when you don't have a camera person.
Yeah.
Like we
Well, we
set
had
up
no
the
crew.
camera.
We had no crew.
Yeah, it was just us, and for a little while, we paid Connor's brother and sister to help us, but that didn't really work.
We didn't really pay them. We just
No, they didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
It
My
wasn't.
sister shot some episodes. It was. I missed the sort of goofy, blazing the trail mentality that we had. Like that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember. Someone in the chat room says, "Where's Canada?" That was from the episode we didn't air, where we had the globe.
Did we not air that one?
No, we aired a similar version of it.
Oh, that was stupid.
That was like episode 3 where we had to
No,
get
I
the
know.
globe
I
flying, and
remember that
my
day.
brother threw the globe in. But like it was fun back then.
Yeah, it was. A
So
lot less responsibilities back then.
yeah, Josh 71.
Sean from Long Island. Over the 400 episodes, what are the biggest differences in comics between now and then? What trends have petered out and which are going strong? And do you think the industry and art form is better or worse off today? Also, will iFanboy ever make another T-shirt? Just boxes of the damn things down. Look at them.
But think about it for a second. Like 5 years ago, how different were comics between then and now? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hugely different.
I
5 years
feel
ago
like
was
hugely different.
2008. Right? My math is wrong. I've had a lot of beer, but
Except it kind of isn't. Like I feel like we're still working.
But like the industry, the digital aspect of it,
Yeah.
New 52. I mean, it was very different. I can't even.
It's hard. It's hard to quantify it because I was a different reader 5 years ago. I liked different things were important to me, and so it's hard to say how it changed qualitatively. Like I remember really liking Jeff Johns comics 5 years ago, and now when I see his name on something, I tend to avoid it, and that's sad. So, but in other ways, things are really exciting. Like we mentioned, like Private Eye coming out. You never know what day it's going to come out.
Right.
It's like it's about time for a Private Eye or something, and it's just so that kind of aspect and the level of conversation, stuff on Twitter and everything. That's different.
That's really cool, sort of. We are closer to everything, so it makes work harder to stand on its own if you're paying attention to that. I think mainstream comics in general is worse off because there are much larger corporate overlords actually looking now.
Yeah.
And so it's not about making good comics per se so much. Actually, that's a thing that's changed a lot across the board, not even just Marvel and DC. Everybody has to make comics that might be movies. And that's a thing at companies that you wouldn't even begin to think that's a thing they're doing have been ruined. And I don't want to name names, but you can tell if you look at the companies that used to put out great graphic novels with a regular like they're not doing it. They're like even they're looking for movie pitches because not enough people are buying the books, and that's the only way they can survive. That's a really different thing. And eventually, like I just feel like the Eye of Sauron of Hollywood is going to turn around, and everyone's going to be left standing there again. And then they'll build it up again. It'll be rad, but it'll be different.
I think just for on a softer note, I think going back to that level of conversation and stuff online, I think when there are concerns about what's going on in comics and trends that are happening and they're problematic, people talk about them a lot. And I think outside of mainstream comics and the more of the creator-owned stuff, I think that those questions are being addressed. So I think there's a stronger sense of not forcing but suggesting change in what kind of stories are being told and how characters are being represented.
And like books. Progress, there's no way that doesn't eventually filter upward.
Yeah.
I think.
So I think that's a very good thing.
I like that. That's nice. What's the next one? What are we doing? Call it out, Richard Mall. We can't hear him.
We can't hear Connor.
Why can't we hear him? Does it
Connor,
sound like you're
speaking?
typing? It all fell apart. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. So I'm going to go ahead.
With your fingers, hold up. What number question? 5? We should go back to 5?
75.
That is not productive at all. 75.
Oh!
Back for a second. You work on that. I'm going to read this question from our buddy Dave Carr from Buffalo, New York. 1. Recommend graphic novel / comic series to the major players on the West Wing. Give reasons for your choices.
Oh, boy. I don't have the faculties for that.
That's-
Okay, what do you give Bartlett?
What do you give Bartlett? You give.
The first thing that I think of would be something like Watchmen, but I think that he would see through it very quickly, and he would make sense
does
of the
that mean?
puzzle, and he would no. Did you read? You've read Grant Morrison's
The
takedown
octopus
of
is a
Watchmen?
frame job.
No, like you've read
that what
Grant
you-
Morrison's takedown of Watchmen as he sort of figured out the format of it. So
Okay.
it's something that appears to be very complex, but may not necessarily be. So I can be more something like Luther Arkwright or something like that.
Okay.
Like
I don't
something
think there are like wrong answers with this.
No,
This
there
is just
definitely are not.
Be creative.
We're not doing Mandy.
No, Mandy doesn't
Okay,
get any
good,
comic
good.
books.
What does CJ get? What does CJ get?
CJ gets Wonder Woman. CJ gets New Frontier.
Really?
Because
Is that you don't feel like that's a little obvious? Yeah, she could be. Give the girl the one about the girl.
No, it's because and also because of the height.
I'm gonna give Toby March, the new top shelf
Nice.
graphic novel. I'm giving that to him because he's got a streak of the revolutionary and of the protester.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yes,
do you
he
give
does.
What do you give Charlie?
His sister's took him to the. Charlie, Chaz.
Something with a knife.
The Paul Revere knife. I don't know. I'm terrible at this.
I know, I am too.
It's a good question. It's just that point in the night that
Oh, I know.
just
I would give
don't
him
know.
Eagle.
Eagle. Okay.
Eagle, the manga about an Asian American presidential candidate. It ran for a bunch of very thick volumes.
I would give Josh Lyman the John Byrne Star Trek collection that just came out because he is a closet Star Trek fan.
That's a good point. That's an excellent point. And Sam Seaborn. See, now he's tough because he's a guy who I don't think he's got a lot of outside interests. He's into doing the thing that he's doing. I just heard a female voice, so that may be from Connor's world.
The chat does not like us talking at length about West Wing, apparently. Let's move on to another
All right,
question.
that's
All right,
fine.
Dave Carr also says, what do you guys think of the Dick Tracy movie? It's been a while, but really interesting use of color in that movie. However the script shakes out and the performances, that's a really interesting movie to look at in terms of design.
Ring the bell!
Ring the bell. Dad says hi and wonders if Raquel Welch has ever been in any comic books. I would point Dad to Darwin Cook's Spirit. Some classy looking dames in that book. Edward from Nebraska. Please speculate on the future of comics. I realize this is wide open, and so please be encouraged to take any angle that you feel is relevant.
Jesus. I feel like we've done that.
But-
Damn it!
It's
All I
falling
heard was him say "but."
Okay, we've talked about the future of comics, I think, so unfortunately we're going to move on from there. Okay, Dr. Cesar from the Philippines, in your 500th episode, which do you think will be the norm, digital or paper comics?
Digital.
Digital.
It already is for us right now.
You like read it like skin comics, so you read it on your wrist.
It's some Transmetropolitan.
You just like lick your thumb and just like rub it on your skin, and like the comic will appear. It's like silly putty and I don't know.
Man, this.
Oh
is
wow, that's the last question.
Yeah, that was it. You just finished it. You've got What do we do now? Do we just finish? Do we finish without him?
Connor's next in the thing.
He should write things on paper and hold it up, and then we'll say it for him.
Okay. All right.
Doesn't
Check
matter.
out iFanboy.com for the pick of the week review and more in-depth comic book stuff and all the important news and discussion topics. Go to iFanboy.com about to see the staff of iFanboy and their social network links. Follow us on Twitter.com/iFanboy and stay in touch on Facebook.com/iFanboy.
You can. Everybody knows that you can email us at contact@ifanboy.com. You can leave a voicemail at 888-FANBOYS, which is 326-2697, with questions for future shows. We don't do them on this episode because technically I have no idea how that would happen. But on other ones, we like them very much. So call in. Maybe one of those things you were thinking about writing, you could call in and do that. That would be good.
Sure.
If you know what, I'll be honest, they're harder to edit in, but there's something nice to it. We get to hear a voice. I like that.
Yeah.
Here it is. If you dig us, right, this is the latest I've stayed up in months. If you dig us, write a review, go to iTunes. You can we could do that for our show or the other shows, but mostly this show, because I want to have a stupid number of reviews on there, just a retarded number.
They're saying in the chat
That's
that Connor fell out of his chair. Did that? Oh, he's back.
No, he
Okay.
walked away. He
No, I
left.
was just worried that something happened because that's possible.
Yeah. So that's how. Honestly, the best way to do it is, and you've all been very good about this, is if you hear something you like, tell somebody else about it. You are our advertising and marketing, and obviously we owe you greatly for that. Because there are a lot of people who listen to this, and it's pretty rad. And that's only because you keep listening and you keep writing stuff in iTunes, and you've made all that possible. I really wish Connor could come back now.
What's happening to you? What?
I'm so
You've been
tired.
talking for such a long time. We're up
Yeah.
to it's all scripted now. Like you just have to read what's there. Why are you still talking?
It's the end of a big show. I feel like we need to give something extra.
It's not that. It's 400. It's not like 500.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
like
matter.
300 is big. Like 350 feels bigger than 400. 400 is such a weird number.
It's completely ambiguous. Not ambiguous. What's the other
We're
one?
gonna
It's
have
the
some Sour Patch watermelon.
Ew. Don't eat on mic.
What?
One lesson that we've learned.
Okay.
All right.
I haven't learned that yet. That's it for this week's show. I'm Connor. I'm Paul.
I just heard Connor.
Hello.
Talk. There he
I'm
is.
Connor.
Yay! It's an episode 400 miracle.
I'm Connor. I
I'm
don't know
Paul.
what happened. Goodbye.
Josh, say your name.
Josh. that was like a year one failure.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
All right.
I don't know either.
It kept saying
Blame me,
Josh
though.
Flanagan has muted you.
I did that once to see if maybe that would turn you on.
Yeah,
Did it turn you on?
a little bit.
Was it good for you? I don't know why that was my sexy voice, but was it good for you?
Yeah. It worked for me.
All right.
right.
Well,
All right, well.
That was what we called petering out.
you guys all right?
I'm okay.
Okay. So we're done?
Like in
Because
what
it's-
sense?
Take a couple of chat room questions.
Sure.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So chat room, you got a little bit of time until this shuts off. Questions.
Is this going to be a problem because the chat and the video are...
I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Go to the
Go to
bathroom.
the bathroom. All right, ask Josh questions. We'll answer questions about Josh. Paul sounds like Batman. Do it. You're requesting a damn girl. I can do that. I can do that whenever. But you only get one, and that was it. That was a tricky one because that was in a user review, and it wasn't damn girl the way I've been saying it, like there would be multiple A's in there. It was actually damn girl because it had a Y in the middle and a U, and I kind of screwed it up. And I wish I could go back and go damn girl, but I can't. Ding. What happened?
I don't know.
Did you hit the? Okay.
What else we got?
What do you guys hate about Josh?
Nothing.
I hate that he risks his life on that bike all these weekends.
That's true. He's gonna
Nice.
die on that bike.
and I
He's
sit
totally
up and
gonna die on
worry
that
about
bike.
him.
He's totally gonna die on that bike.
No, the entire time we've been doing this live stream thing, everyone has just been talking about Ben Affleck as Batman. It's just been constant. It's just like this constant thread. No matter what we've been talking about, it's just constantly in the background.
I don't know how I feel. My initial reaction isn't a good one. Not a bad one, but
Acting as Batman, like in that
clear-
role,
I mean,
or is
they
it about
really-
the other stuff that's wound up in that?
they really, really want him to direct JLA. That's what it is. It's got to be.
Yeah.
I've talked to the producer, one of the producers. They really want him to direct JLA.
Paul, are you making it to New York Comic Con? I have my press pass. I gotta get my hotel reservations in, but hopefully yes. Connor, are you going to
Just
New York?
sleep on Allie's floor. Isn't that what you did last time?
No, the time before that I did, but Allie has since moved, and
So what's the problem?
so that would make it difficult.
Why?
I'm not going to talk about Allie's situations on the live show. That's not my place. So
Sleep on Jimmy's
it would just be
floor.
more traveling.
What
involved.
about
It just
Timmy?
doesn't seem like Timmy.
Yeah.
Timmy's married, so I don't want to hear what that sounds like when Timmy is
Oh, it's fine.
getting that on. Someone told me they would have been happier with Tom Hanks as Batman.
No. You know, Tom Hanks
Um,
was an original choice for the '89 Batman.
Was he? I didn't know that.
It was Tom Hanks,
That's weird.
Bill Murray,
He would have been the Batman because of the first
and Michael Keaton.
serious.
Yeah.
The Affleck thing is tricky because I'm a huge Affleck fan. I love his movies. I don't think he's directed a bad movie.
No, not at all.
And in his movies, he's good.
What are we talking about?
Josh, we're talking about because
Ben
everybody
Affleck.
keeps talking about Ben Affleck as Batman, and I just I'm conflicted on it. The thing is, like, I'm more concerned hearing this. I'm more concerned about or more interested in the Justice League movie because he'll obviously have some involvement in that. I'm already sort of out on Man of Steel 2 because it's the same creative team. I have very little interest whatsoever. There's nothing you can do, like no casting you can do that would make me feel better about that movie because of the other people that are involved. So
They can't win you back.
they can't win me back, and I don't feel. I don't have any huge reaction to Ben Affleck as Batman in that movie. I'm thinking about him being involved creatively on a Justice League movie, and that is intriguing to me.
He doesn't seem right to me
No.
in any way. We saw him try to do Sirius, and that was Daredevil. I know that was badly everythinged, but
Right.
he just doesn't seem to have. He doesn't look right to me. He doesn't feel he's too old.
Well,
But not the-
they're going for old. They're going for like 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, but not even the. But this is not the right kind of old. How's that? Like, I don't know. His attitude, he's a really good actor given the right role, but not given the other.
Right.
Like.
All right.
like-
Well, who
like-
would you want to see in that old
That's
Batman
the
kind
hardest.
of role? Well, they were
I-
talking about one of your favorites, big head, small shoulders.
Brolin?
They were.
Yeah,
They were talking about
him.
Brolin, yeah.
I don't know if he's good enough.
If he's a good enough actor
Yeah, I don't know if he's a great actor. I
or
think
right
he's-
for the role.
either.
Interesting.
I don't think he's a great actor. I think he's got a pretty small range and he's okay in some things, because of who he is.
Okay.
He seems to be really good at playing very simple characters, and I don't think Batman's that. I think if there was somebody who existed, it would be like a version of Ed Harris that's like 40 years younger.
You have to create him. You have to create him in a lab.
No, I'm not good enough at knowing enough
And, like,
actors like
Time traveling.
who would be perfect for that. But like
See-
anybody. By the way, let's just get this out there. Anybody who says John Hamm just is wrong. In
No,
100
totally
ways.
wrong. Yeah.
It just like it's not him. That guy just has the right build for it, I guess, but no. He doesn't have an upper lip. That's not. You can't have that.
Chat, help me out. Who are they talking about for Lex Luthor? They're talking about Mark Strong and somebody else.
Is
Cranston.
Mark Strong
We're talking
gonna
about
play
Cranston.
all of the villains?
Cranston.
Ugh. That
Mark
just
Strong
like,
is boring because he just plays that character.
yeah, he's Peter Serafinowicz with his Darth Maul voice given in shape.
Cranston
I
is
feel
not-
like that's a look. He's bald.
right.
Basically, yes.
Cranston was the perfect superhero casting for Cranston was Jim Gordon in the Year One movie. That was just like perfect. When I heard that, I was like, that's genius. Whoever came up with that.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's hard trying to think of things that would fit into Man of Steel and be like
All
good
I
ideas
saw-
because I don't like it.
All I saw was the word Mark Wahlberg. Just, I'm gonna avenge you, parents. Okay? Come on, Gotham City. Let's go. Robin, are you coming? Come on.
I think,
I got things to show you, Ma. Dad.
I think you want to make for a Superman movie. I think you want for your Luthor, you want him to be Superman's peer. Cranston has aged out of that role.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God,
Uh-oh.
usurper. What's up, Mike? Oh my God.
Uh-oh. Can they talk?
Yeah.
Mike?
Mike is eating.
Gordon?
Hey.
Apparently
Hey, guys.
they can't.
What's up, guys?
Anyway.
What do you guys think of Ben Affleck as Batman?
That sounds fucking terrible.
Stupid. It's terrible. I agree.
Can you hear them?
Yes, I hear them.
I can hear them.
Oh, I don't hear anybody.
Well,
Fuck Ben Affleck. I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's very nice.
Let's do Matt
Oh, I
Damon
mean-
instead.
No known actors. Stop it.
Let's do
No,
Mike
I can't
Romo.
hear anyone.
what do you think about him like directing one of these
Fine.
movies?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I'd be
great
I'd be
talking to you guys.
interested- I'd be interested if he wanted to do the Batman reboot, like doing a new franchise, a new start, and then if he wanted to be like Jim Gordon or something, like young Jim Gordon, and do a younger Batman.
Like in Boston?
Shut up. He made a movie that wasn't set in Boston.
Did he?
Batman in
Argo.
Iran?
Argo?
Mike,
talk
you're
about something else.
You're a seasoned actor. What's the problem?
I don't have a napkin. That's my problem.
Okay.
I can't hear anything either of them say.
What
Why-
are you supposed to do?
What am I going to do?
I can hear all of you people, and you're all talking at once.
Why is that?
Nothing, Josh.
All right, Connor, you're in charge of relating what
had the
Gordon
most clear.
says, and I'm in charge
Okay.
of relating to Josh what Mike says.
But can Josh hear us though?
I can hear you and Paul, but I don't know when to talk.
Is the chat room still around? Those guys
Yes.
are
Just don't
they were
talk
way
for
more
a while.
interesting.
Then I'm going to go to bed.
Then go to bed.
Don't go to bed.
Oh, I see how it is.
Don't go to
Yeah,
bed.
ask us different questions that are unrelated to this because I'm tired of talking about it.
I agree.
Matt
So,
Damon is Billy Batson. Okay.
Gordon, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
About Ben Affleck or about...
Yes.
We're not talking about that anymore.
What about life? Look at the chat room. Chat room questions. We'll take them right now. Go.
This is
Chat
the
room.
Beardcast. Yes.
Chat room questions not related to Ben Affleck.
I'd be a director.
Josh, do you hear me?
No. I just hear you.
No.
I hear you, Connor.
But not the
Are you
others.
ready?
I'm like,
No, I just hear you and Paul.
what's up?
Hey, man, how are you?
Thanks, man. I just went for a run.
Look good.
I just got back.
Yeah, like. Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I heard Paul sigh.
Put us to
I didn't.
shame.
I'm just waiting for new questions.
Oh, next question. New question, guys.
Where's
Literally all
Ron?
It's all they want to talk about.
Dang.
Kick-Ass
Kick-Ass
2.
2.
Kick-Ass
What do you guys think?
Did anybody see Kick-Ass 2?
No.
I got no
No
interest.
interest.
No.
Don't know why. Love the first one.
Yeah.
They want to know what the name would have been if not iFanboy.
Pass.
Yeah, we're not giving ideas away. Talk about TV. You guys love TV. Is that like a diss?
Orange is the New Black. You guys
Orange
like
is the
that
New
shit?
Black.
That show was awesome.
I watch a lot of River Monsters.
Mike, have you watched Broadchurch? I've told you.
No, I haven't. I know. I got this Orange is the New. Whitney loves that shit, dude. This is.
It's
have
really
you watched
good.
this show? It's amazing. The casting
Yeah, it really
is
is.
incredible.
How far into it are you?
Total thorough detonator. 6 episodes.
Huh.
I've seen some terrible shit, dude. You see some terrible shit in that show.
I've been finishing Weeds. I'm halfway through the final season, finally. I love that show
That's the same.
so
that's
much.
Like Reader, right?
Oh yeah. I haven't. You know.
Josh,
stopped
you finished
watching.
Weeds?
Wait, Edward had a
I
good.
think I'm caught up.
Edward
Is
had
it
a good
over?
question. Hey guys,
I think that was the
Edward.
last
Edward has
Okay.
a
that I
question.
didn't see.
What is the one comic to give to a total stranger that you don't know nothing about his?
Why am I giving shit to
something,
strangers?
something? Preferences.
I don't want,
You're
yeah,
friendly,
that's
Paul.
True. That's
You do
true,
that
I
on
am.
shit all the time.
Asterios Polyp.
So
Wait,
total
what are we giving
stranger.
away?
Comics.
Uh,
I don't give away
a
my
comic
stuff.
book. Man.
Something. Let's see. Something that I don't want.
Josh, Weeds is in its final season 8 was the final season.
Wow.
I honestly,
Guys, we're
wait,
not
yeah, it
answering
is
this
over.
question.
I haven't seen the end of it. I guess it didn't make much of an impact on me. I wasn't one of the people who thought it got really bad at the end, but it
Weeds
didn't have...
was the ending was
Good
they went to
question,
New York.
Edward.
They were in Connecticut.
Yeah, it got weird.
Paul, when can we expect Miyazaki reviews on Fuzzy Typewriter? That's something I've been trying to get together for a while. I'd like to do that soon, especially since a bunch of them are on Blu-ray now. I don't know. Maybe I'll do them like chronologically or something. Mike, Gordon, and Paul, we know the other's top 5 comics of all time from the video show. What are yours? What? You don't have any?
I can't do that shit on the fly. Take some serious. I gotta think all about it.
Yeah.
What are your top 5 right now?
Top 5
Didn't even
right now?
Yeah.
It sounds so lame to say Saga, doesn't it? I'm loving
No.
it though.
No.
Good to, and fucking. I already wrote these down for you, Connor.
I know.
Hawkeye. That shit is off the hook,
Mike is
That's
saying
Thor.
Saga and Hawkeye, Josh.
right? Batman.
Batman.
What was the other ones? There was another one. There were definitely 5.
All I do
There
is
were.
work. I don't read anymore.
Batman Saga.
Gordon,
Private Eye?
how are you?
Where'd Josh go?
Josh, I guess he's going to try to restart. Or he's done.
He couldn't hear anybody.
Batman
He was getting very upset, it looked like.
Saga.
Mike, what are you eating?
I am eating a very good fried chicken sandwich
Fuck you.
with a beer.
So hungry right now.
I'm so stoked right now.
I'm so hungry.
I love this thing.
What's
This
you
fried
getting
chicken
from?
sandwich. Kitchen 24, right up the block.
Damn
Some
it.
serious shit right now. And I got my own barbecue sauce on it.
Oh,
Yeah. Stubbs.
it's
You
killing
should
me.
order some food, dude. Just order some
I'm
food.
so hungry.
It's 9:30. You can
What?
start. Those things are open.
What podcast
Guys.
do you guys listen to?
I listened to.
Asks Phil.
I was listening to WTF today, actually.
Okay.
Mark Maron. Yeah, actually, literally today I was listening to it. You guys?
I don't listen.
You know what's a good.
It's Josh. I see Josh.
Do we have to do something? I just see his
No.
picture. Did you see
Yeah.
his...
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
There we go.
Can you hear me, Josh? I can't hear him.
I can't hear Josh.
That's awesome.
We can't hear you.
There, how's that?
That is awesome.
Yeah, we got this.
Yay!
Ah!
All right. We're talking about...
It took me 20 minutes to figure out, if I leave and sign back in, I bet it'll work. Because that's where I'm at.
It's late. It's 12:30.
Turn it off and turn it back on again. Totally worked.
Well, it always works. What podcasts do you listen to, if any?
I
Snacks.
listen to same ones I've always listened to. I haven't added very much. Like I listen to a bunch of NPR podcasts. I listen to most of Marin's shows. I listen to. I've really
Aging
been loving
Hipster
this
still
Star Wars
listens
Minute.
to NPR podcasts.
Yeah, I know. Aging Hipster listens
I do.
Asian hipsters should listen
to This American
to.
Life.
No, that's what I do. I just fresh air and
Let me look at my phone. I don't listen to all the fresh airs anymore.
Uh-oh.
yeah, just the ones I'm interested in. There's one
Yeah,
called
there's
Sawbones.
Wacky stuff.
We just sort of started one of the guys from Polygon, the video game site, and it's not related to video games. It's about like old Civil War medicine and weird
Oh.
surgeries.
You know what? I started listening to a bunch of history podcasts because a
Yuck.
while ago I wanted something new. I started listening to this show called Backstory, which is a really well-produced radio program about American history.
Cool.
And then I found this other show called The Bowery Boys, which is about New York City history, and there's like 150 or more episodes of just like they pick a topic from New York City history, and they do like half an hour to an
That
hour on
sounds
it.
familiar. Okay.
It's really pretty good. They're a little theatrical.
So sort of the thing that comes up is since we do our own comic book podcast, we don't really listen to a lot of other comic book podcasts.
Or any.
Every once in a while, yeah,
Or any at all.
because I just get burnt out on that stuff, and that has become more true with my new role with iFanboy and actually doing it weekly. So
Paul, how many times have you changed hats tonight?
I don't know, like twice.
Oh.
I like hats.
You look good in
I
hats,
don't-
Paul.
I don't
Thank
mind. I was just curious because when I left to go running, it was a pink one, and now it's that one.
Yeah, I got the animal hat.
We have 30 minutes until the broadcast ends.
Okay,
Your damn mic, you chewing bastard.
are we doing like true confessions now?
Confess things, Gordon.
I have nothing to confess.
This is crazy. There was a really crazy question on the chat room about Fantastic Four crossover. So they are both Fox.
While you're looking for that, Paul, favorite Tintin adventure, the Tintin in Tibet with the Yeti.
Which one's that?
It's the one with the Yeti.
Oh, the Yeti.
It's obviously the one
Oh,
with
the
the Yeti.
Yeti one.
Yeah, fucking A.
It's a classic.
And the two-part, the one where he goes to the moon. Because at the time it was written, we hadn't been to the moon yet, I think.
Come on, let's ramp it up. Let's get some questions.
I'm answering the questions that are there.
Not you. I'm just saying they want to ask stuff, and I'm tired, so I'll probably
They're
say
all
more than I
high and they
should.
got the
This is a
munchies
rare
and shit,
event.
and
We
I'm
haven't
trying to
been
answer
all together.
questions.
I need food.
I'm not mad at
No.
you, Paul. Paul,
All right.
I'm happy with you. I'm saying that all they just want to talk about Ben Affleck so fucking bad they can't think of anything else.
No. There's a whole Fantastic Four X-Men question that was crazy.
Gabe
Yeah,
of iFanboy is saying Paul has a great hat head, just saying. I actually don't. I have a huge head. It's very hard to find hats.
Are you an XL?
Huge head.
Yeah, he just has a big head. And when I did shows in high school and they had to measure my head, they're like, seriously? And I was like, you're a parent volunteer. You shouldn't be saying that.
What are you eating, Gordon?
I'm icing my knee because I'm old.
Because you're running. How about? Jeez, that's
Favorite
a-
late night talk show host?
Mad
On the
Men.
air
I
right
haven't
now.
seen any of Mad Men season 6. I cannot talk
John
about it.
Oliver.
John
Favorite
Oliver's
late
great.
night talk show host in the air right now.
You guys didn't talk
Um,
about.
I don't watch any of these shows, but I really like Jimmy Fallon.
I like Jimmy
Jimmy
Fallon.
Fallon's
Really?
great. Craig
I love
Ferguson
Jimmy
is
Fallon.
great too.
Fuck
don't-
Jimmy Fallon.
No,
I also
No,
like
I fucking hate that guy.
no he's great. 'cause
Why?
He's
I just-
enthusiastic.
I'm
He's not
just
cynical
tired.
at all.
It's manufactured.
No.
And he's always nervous and shit. And he's always fucking up in SNL when he was on. I hate people. I hate actors who break. Hate it.
He's
I
not
love
an
it.
actor. He was a dude from fucking Syracuse.
I know.
I think he's really
Oh,
grown
Brooklyn.
since
He's
then.
from Brooklyn.
And
Yeah,
just like-
Brooklyn.
No,
Is
he was
Gordon
born-
still an intern? Yes. He's always an intern.
Always.
Wait, that was that question again.
I have no room for improvement.
You know what? I don't know how to answer that question because I don't know what the fuck it means.
What?
What?
Which one?
How would you do a Fantastic Four X-Men
Oh.
movie crossover since they're both on Fox? I feel like
It's
you're trying
hard.
to impress us.
No, it's good. I think it's an honest question. I think it's a thoughtful question.
Okay.
No,
It's tough.
because Mark Miller was talking about that. Because he's like
There will be
the
one. There
creative
will be one.
advisor.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite
saying
creator?
that it's inevitable?
I can't think of something I'd want to see less. Like,
Oh, you're a grump.
no,
He's
like
tired.
I don't.
He's tired.
No, like I don't care.
Okay.
I don't want to see a Fantastic Four movie at all. I don't care. That's not
How
a thing
about
that I
that?
think would be
You got to. It's all about timing.
Keeps
How
asking
about
how many
Holly
hats
Thanks,
do you
John.
have?
Catwoman
I don't
2?
know. I have the many.
I feel vaguely like I'm on a weirdo
Sex
webcam
line?
show. Yeah,
You
I feel like I'm on a
sound-
sex line.
You sound like you're on a weirdo webcam show.
I should really hold the mic always like this for my voiceover
Yeah.
auditions. Hey, baby. Thanks, Mick Mac.
I can't imagine they would get their shit together enough to make a movie like that. And I think
Does
if they did, it would come out like a manufactured thing, which is what everybody thinks. Whatever this Justice League movie is going to be way too many people trying to put their hands in the pot, and it's going to be shitty.
That movie's gonna be terrible.
It would be a terrible, terrible movie, and they should
Terrible
never.
movie. Never.
It would be worse than Green Lantern.
Oh.
I don't trust Warner Brothers.
You shouldn't.
I don't.
That's why
You
they're
see
not
the thing
doing
that what's his name wrote about Marvel versus DC, how DC is constantly apologizing for their comics, for their heroes, and Marvel just celebrates them in their movies.
Real
Okay,
quick,
go.
you're going to get back to that. Somebody said who would win in the game of Risk, and the answer is Connor's brother Ian. Go ahead.
Wait. There's another good question about does collecting comics make you does a predilection to collecting comics make you want to collect other shit too? I don't know. Collecting is tough.
We're all
Connor-
hoarders. We're all
Connor-
big fat hoarders.
I'm not.
I'm
Oh
not.
my
I'm
God.
actively getting rid of shit.
Connor would be Dungeon Master. That was the question.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I was when we played Star Wars.
You can't be
role-playing.
that drunk and be a dungeon master. Dungeon masters are notoriously sober.
Not now, but he wants to be in charge.
Not.
He wants to make
I
sure
was-
shit runs smoothly.
I was Dungeon
That's a
Master
good
when we
question,
played
John.
Star Wars role playing in high school.
That would be painful to have watched.
Mike looks like he's about to take over the lead for Jamiroquai.
Oh God, really?
That is great.
I don't like that guy either. I like
No, I know.
the thermal.
You don't like
detonator line.
Jamiroquai?
JK,
Okay.
I know that for some reason.
Let's talk Catan.
We love Catan.
I've never played it.
Oh, it's
Gordon
super
and
fun.
I played it in San
Jim
Diego
plays it.
more than
I
anything
would
else.
not. You guys always played after I left. I know that I have
Yeah.
friends who play it.
Finally, he's
besides you.
gone. Let's get the Catan box out. Josh
Okay.
just wouldn't get it.
What
Somebody
class
wrote
would you all
Bard.
play in D&D?
Thief, chaotic
I-
neutral.
I think I've never played. I don't know.
I've never
I do
played
think
either.
Romo would be the best DM, but I think that
I'm good at it. I
I
do
played-
accents. Oh,
I
you can do it,
played-
Josh. You can do all the accents too.
No one could do
I was
it.
invited to
You do
my
voices?
friend's older brother's
Of
D&D
course.
session a couple times, and I was an asshole.
Why are you an asshole?
Because I just wanted to do my character creation the entire time. And I just like wanted to go back and revise it.
Never. You can't.
That was a good question. If we could
Hey.
all live in the same city again, would we?
Yes.
Sure,
Totally.
sure,
Absolutely.
We would
absolutely.
never listen. We would never agree on what city that would be.
Come
It
to
would
LA. It's
never
super fun.
happen. See, look,
Yeah.
see
Come
there. It is.
back.
Sing
Come
that song.
back.
Come
It's
play.
so
Come back
fun
to
to
LA,
live-
Josh.
Yeah, it's so fun now, Josh. You left just when it was getting interesting.
It's true.
Philly.
But I'd have to make a lot of money to make that possible.
We can make that happen.
Really? Because I'm 36 and I got no fucking clue.
Oh, really? You know what the answer to that is? You never get a fucking clue ever.
No, I know.
I don't have a clue at all. Look at me. Look how I look now. This is ridiculous. It's a pain in the ass. First Thief. Oh, hey, Connor and Paul, what the
right.
fuck do you guys like Archie?
Because
What's
it's
the
great.
appeal of Archie Comics?
They're fun. It's sort of I read them as a kid, and it's sort of that throwback feeling of
Familiar.
innocence, familiar innocence.
And it's
You know,
lighthearted. It's not
It's lighthearted. It's fun. It's like a
like all the biggest.
it's like an old
concerns
sitcom.
that they
It's
get
like an
rid
old sitcom. You know, like
Yeah.
It's not too. It's not trying to be Breaking Bad. It's just funny. You know.
And
None of
they're
us would ever
Thanks.
move to Florida.
No, none of that.
No.
Sorry, guys.
No.
If
I
anybody
lived in
lives
Florida.
no, it's cool though.
No.
No, it's not actually.
No.
I just feel bad. People who live in Florida get very.
Yeah,
Man.
I don't want to live in. I wouldn't want to live in a city. That's the difference.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
well
wanna
there's
live in a city again.
mountains in LA.
No, I know, but it's also like I don't like being in the city. I'm over that.
Too many people.
I like being near a city, but I don't want to live in one. And I don't
Who's
want to
your
live in any
favorite Star Trek. The
suburbs.
next Shut up. Okay, who's your favorite Star Trek: The Next Generation character?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Is Will Wheaton a
Guinan.
character?
Yes.
Literally.
You're asking if you can
can't
say
say
Will
Picard,
Wheaton
right?
or if you can say
You can
Wesley
say
Crusher.
Picard.
No, I don't want to say Wesley Crusher. I want to say
You just
Will
want to say Will Wheaton. Okay,
He's
that's
definitely
fair.
a character.
I'll go with that.
I liked
Picard.
the. No, go ahead.
Picard. It's gotta be
Yeah,
Picard.
Picard's awesome. You know
Oh, yeah,
who was
Picard.
awesome in that?
That's a good one.
Famke. You see that episode when she was on it?
Famke Janssen.
Which one?
Yeah.
She was fucking
Is that
awesome.
Is that how we pronounce it? Famke.
Hey, Famke!
That's
How do you say your name again?
That's the native
I
German
think it's
pronunciation.
Famke. I think that's.
Famke. It's the one where she was like this alien species that was programmed to become the ultimate mate, and
Right.
then she like gets out up early or something, and she
Yes.
becomes Picard's ultimate girlfriend, and he's like, "God damn, you are awesome," and she's like, "I can't do this, dude. I've melted into you. I am your girl, but I still gotta be with that other guy." Raw
That was a good one.
episode.
Ashley Judd was on the one.
I liked. I liked when
Ashley
Geordi
Judd.
had the girlfriend who was. She was the original, the designer of the Enterprise, and he created a hologram representation
one.
of her.
Good one.
yeah.
Good one.
I like
And
LeVar
then-
Burton. He was great
And
on
then she
Reading
showed
Rainbow.
up. Yes, and then she showed up as a real person later and found out that he was like going on dates with a hologram version of her. And she's like, that's kind of messed up. That was a good one.
I like the Star Trek version. The Sherlock Holmes, like when Moriarty came with
Yeah, that guy's
sentient
good.
and entered the ship.
That was
You know what
fun.
I'm talking about?
That's a good one.
It's a good episode. And then he
When
comes
Moriarty-
back. He was in the
Yeah.
first season, and then he came back in like the fourth.
Yeah. He came back as like a sentient being.
Well, we should stop talking about. We can
If
talk
you
about. I can
could-
talk about. Yeah. That's,
If you could stop one movie from ever being made, which?
Justice League.
Justice League?
Seriously, fuck it.
You know the worst
Or, no,
part of
you
the
know
whole
what?
thing is
Superman,
that one of
Batman.
us has to
Superman,
post
Batman.
it.
Batman.
Fuck that movie. Superman Batman should not happen. It's gonna fucking ruin everything.
It does.
If by ruin everything you mean make them $1 billion, they might disagree with you. I mean, like, that makes them $1 billion standing on their fucking heads. They don't have to put up one ad and they make $1 billion on that.
I do want to
No,
stop
it
Bradley
ruins
Cooper from
everything for
being
you.
Rocket Raccoon.
You know what, guys? I hear that movie's gonna be fucking awesome. The Guardians of the
Why-
Galaxy shit.
What? Paul,
Looks fun. Yeah.
Paul, what do you hate about Bradley Cooper?
It's
I don't like
Marvel
him.
Star Wars. That's what
He's a bad person. I don't like him.
What's wrong with
What?
him?
With who?
He's a. You
I
guys
feel
will
like you got angry for something one of his characters did.
No.
Oh, yeah, I got all the knowledge.
No, he's the worst part of every movie he's in.
Well, who are we talking about?
Bradley Cooper.
Jeez, man, that's really heavy. Even that new movie where he's all fucked up from football?
Yeah, I liked all this. I was.
He was
you
great in
know,
that movie.
I didn't like him in that movie.
What about the A-Team?
I didn't see the 18 because he was in it.
That's a great movie.
No.
18 was fantastic.
Well, Connor just did it again.
What? It was!
Watch.
That's a
watch,
great
watch,
movie.
Watch.
Any movie, say it, anything.
The Untouchables.
Look, fuck you. You're talking about great classic movies. The Untouchables is a fantastic movie. And fuck you if you think otherwise.
Yes, it does help if you put question at the beginning of the comment.
Field of Dreams.
Galaxy of the Guardians
I
is
hate
supposed to
you.
be off the hook. Oh my god, jeez, guys. Is this getting recorded?
Yeah, well, it's going on YouTube, yes.
Network.
Is it?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
You want to say it's so bad,
Put
don't
pants
you?
back on?
Network's a great movie. Shut up.
All the President's Men.
Seven Linings Playbook.
You're
that's right.
naming great movies. What do you want me to say? They're bad?
I'm trying to think of a shitty movie that you like.
Star Trek 2, the new Into Darkness shit. Fuck that movie.
No, but that's not one that he's gonna say. I'm trying to think of something that I think is shitty that he thinks is great. Real Genius.
It's a fucking great movie, man. Val Kilmer?
And then, like, what follows, it's a great movie, is the name of an actor from it.
He's good in it.
He's good in it.
That's one of his great movies.
Hey, that's a good one, Wayne. Wow, now you're flipping the hat backward. You look like a pink knight from Monty Python, Paul.
Yeah.
I love that look.
Is there another?
Don't
Another-
stop it, Gabe
I
says.
can't think of any other ones. You could do it with TV shows, too. You could just be like, Homicide.
Rain of Fire. You know, I've never seen it. Or Goonies.
Rain of Fire is so good.
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
But
I know.
not in any way that I can quantify.
No, but
It's not like it's not good, but it's just great.
it has to be watched.
Rocketeer's a great movie.
Rocketeer's a great movie. Where's the question on that?
Somebody.
DuckTales.
People
I
are
never
just
watched
naming
DuckTales.
movies.
They're
No,
just
no,
naming
no.
movies.
We're reading the
Don't
chat
do
room.
the casting thing. Don't ask which
Who are the
DuckTales
characters?
character would you be. We're not good at those right now.
Who are the
I'm not
characters
good
on
at
the
them
TV
anyway.
show? I don't watch Community. I don't watch Community or that fucking other nerd one.
Big Bang Theory.
Fuck that.
Yeah,
movie.
and we were
I
on my
fucking hate that
vacation.
show.
Community is very good.
We're on
I hate that
vacation.
show.
We're staying in a house with like
Fucking-
a lot of other people, and I was in a room, and every night the oldest people, they were like 90, would watch Jeopardy, and so that became a thing every night that would happen for a week. Is at 7:30 we would watch Jeopardy, and then the one night Jeopardy got over and Big Bang Theory came on, and I ran out of the room, and Lindsay was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I'm not watching it.
I'm
I
not
won't
watching
watch-
it.
I'm not watching any of it."
What I love is when people tell me that they think that I would love that show.
Yeah,
Fucking
I hear that
assholes.
all the time. I'm like, you don't know what I would love then. Like,
fucking shitty Chuck Lorre set up and
Like,
delivered.
why do you think that? Why would I look like that show? It's a fucking terrible show.
don't you know I love Wheel of Fortune? Come on, get with it.
The five of you are the last ones
I don't
left
get
on
to-
Survivor Island. Who wins?
I don't, Connor.
Me.
Gordon.
I don't.
Gordon does.
Gordon? Yeah. you're
Gordon
right.
wins. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
I don't get. I don't.
Did
see,
you
I don't
outrace a
get-
cheetah, Gordon?
Gordon knows how to do everything. Where did
Yeah, wasn't
Connor
that a
go?
thing on Instagram?
Connor's
He
doing
like
his Wes
outraced a
Anderson impersonation. I'm not watching Hannibal, but I hear it's awesome.
Yeah, I got the
I
first
can't-
season on
I
pre-order.
can't imagine people eating another person.
I don't want to watch that at all.
In a non-sexual way, Mike.
I mean, I already feel like this is happening on this video right now with Gordon, like somehow.
Look,
Josh
that
had
question.
some Lego Star Wars back in the day. Is anyone into Lego? Is anyone playing the Lego Marvel Superheroes game?
That's a tenuous connection.
Big Bang
No.
Theory does hurt. Yeah.
No,
I
no one's
have a-
gaming.
I can't. I have
a
no
daughter.
time.
I'll buy her Legos.
No one's gaming. No,
Only
it, like,
gamer
like
is Paul. Paul's a
played World-
gamer.
I
I
play
played
video
World of
games.
Warcraft.
all I heard was World of Warcraft, and me and Connor it just went, huh?
More work?
No, what?
No, that's Warcraft 3.
No, they added it. They added it.
playing World of Warcraft.
They added that sample to World of Warcraft. We can see your balls.
Your snowball,
Are
Mike.
you sure, Jagori?
I
Okay,
had
guys,
to,
we have
check. It was
11
like,
minutes.
no, it was- okay.
11 minutes. This is it.
Favorite
This is a-
slice of life comic.
No, I haven't
Box
watched
office-
Ray Donovan
Box
yet.
Office Poison.
Box office, yeah.
Favorite prose novel.
Favorite.
Cryptonomicon by Neil Stephenson.
Oh,
Favorite prose
right on.
novel.
Right on, Josh.
Cavalier and Clay.
Hey, you guys
Orange.
reading those wool books? Those wool books are fucking great.
What are you talking about?
Which one?
I've heard of these. I've heard
Howie.
good things. I
Read
need
it.
to check those
They're
out.
like fucking
I don't-
crack.
I don't have time to read.
They're
books
literally-
at all anymore.
Which
and I
ones?
It's Hugh Howie's wool
I love
book.
it. People. There's always people ask like, what is your favorite this thing that isn't
I'm in
comics?
the
It's just like,
moment.
I don't have time.
In the moment. In the moment. Like, what's your gut?
know what the
Paul, what
awesome-
is your Jaeger name?
What does
Fuzzy
that
typewriter.
mean?
Oh, like Pacific Rim,
Pacific
which
Rim.
was awesome.
It was the robots, yeah.
Oh,
Pac Rim.
I
Good
don't-
stuff.
I honestly.
I have the
couldn't
movie
name-
novelization of Pacific Rim.
I couldn't name 5 comic strips. If you were to say all time,
Really?
Calvin Hobbes and
Far
Far
Side.
Side.
Far Side, Calvin
Yeah,
Hobbes,
there you go.
Doonesbury.
Fred Bassett.
I'm not gonna lie.
Bizarro.
I loved Garfield.
For better or worse.
Haggard the Horrible.
For better or worse is one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Doonesbury.
Funky Winker Bean.
Doonesbury was great.
Funky Weakerbead. You're kind of like Funky Weakerbead, Paul.
I don't know if those are ironic answers or not.
No, they're
Music
real.
teacher?
No, these are real.
I couldn't pick out a Micronaut from a crowded room.
You could see because they're small.
I guess. I assume they're small. I guess.
Mike-
Not know? Do you literally not know what a Micronaut is, Josh?
I don't. For whatever
I don't know
reason,
what a
I
Micronaut
missed.
is either.
I
missed
don't. I
that.
don't know.
I know of
I'm
them.
old. I'm so fucking old.
I
That
think
sucks.
that's totally like you hit
That
a
sucks.
generation line ahead of us.
That sucks because Micronauts are fucking badass, and it's weird that you don't know what that is. It's so
Paul, have you
sad.
seen the
My
new
first Genie
Evangelion
Magic
movie?
Wish.
Yes.
First Genie Magic Wish would be to never have to go to the dentist.
Really?
I really don't like
Just
the
brush
dentist.
regularly, and it's not a big deal.
It doesn't
Floss.
work like that.
Yes,
I
it does.
floss and brush
Floss.
regularly. Some people have teeth that work well with that, and some don't, and I hate that room.
I had my jaw wired shut, dude. I
I'm
still
not.
go.
I'm not making
what?
excuses.
Oh yeah, man. I had a
Just you
whole
wouldn't
overbite.
shut
I
the
looked like a
fuck up.
goddamn Simpsons character. So they had to extend my lower jaw. by really 10 centimeters.
Yeah, I like how you said it. I look like oh, you're Southern. It just
I look like a fucking yeah. Well, no. It was
What was your best Halloween costume?
Last year we
C-3PO.
went as Buttercup and Wesley. That was pretty good.
That was a
Oh
good
yeah, I
one.
remember. That was good.
My mom made me a Great American Hero costume when I was a kid.
God, that was the best.
Yeah, yeah,
My,
Great American Hero.
my grandmother made me a really good Sherlock Holmes costume.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Joker.
I did a really good Edward Scissorhands in college. Twice.
Ooh, nice.
Had long hair.
Jesse. Walter
You were
White or
Jesse?
Jesse? He's got a
Who are the-
heart.
who are you guys
Walter's a
talking about?
monster.
Oh, Walter
What's the
White,
question?
yeah.
Was the question
Walter
just
White or
white
Jesse
one?
from East of West? Right?
What?
Is that right?
No.
Oh, that's where I went.
That's
What the hell are you talking?
I didn't know who the fuck they were talking about, so I instantly did my first team
Breaking
decision.
Bad.
Oh, right.
Walter White or Jesse?
This is
No,
a,
you
no,
can't pick one. They're the
They're
dynamic. duo.
symbiotic.
Watch it.
well, I know, well, what's you're making up what the question actually is, though.
Wait a minute. Shampoo
Is
is
it-
not a scam. Shampoo and soap are very different.
It's true. No,
That's
he's
true.
right.
That is true.
be done in 7 minutes. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
He's taken. He's taken.
You guys. Oh, fuck.
I've finally found a shampoo that doesn't turn my hair poofy if I wash every day.
Who's going?
Okay, Eddie
Nathan
better.
says, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up in high school?
That was a good question, I thought. What did I think I was going to be, or what did I want to be? I wanted to be
Oh,
on
did you
Saturday Night
think-
Live. I fucking blew it.
I wanted to be a teacher when I was in high school, and then I wanted to be a writer.
Aw.
I wanted to do theater design. And
I wanted
I do
I
theater
wanted-
design.
I thought I would be a graphic designer, but then I said I will be an actor. And should have been in graphic design.
I only learned what a graphic designer was recently. I think when I grew up, I didn't know what jobs there were.
Recently? You're 36.
I know, but like at a certain like
Tell me
within
of
the
these
last
graphic
decade.
designers.
Like in high school, I would have had no idea what that was.
They're so graphic in their design.
And they
For
put the
whatever
design
reason, when
in,
I grew up,
so-
all I knew was that the jobs that everybody around me had were stuff I didn't want to do, fixing shit and catching lobsters and shit. Like
You're going to be a lobsterman.
Lobsters?
I knew that I wasn't gonna get along. Like I don't know.
I do like lobster.
Do
Lobster's
a Maine
delicious.
accent.
What am I, a fucking monkey?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I'll read the next one. There. Kana is. Wait, that's is Ghostbusters a good movie? Oh, come on. That's
Fuck you, of course it is a good movie.
It's a great movie.
I'll watch it right now.
Bill Murray.
Any embarrassing moments at a con?
Yes.
Yes.
God.
Coming.
That's pretty much all they
Josh had
were.
to help me
It's coming.
find gold bonds.
There was the time Josh
Oh, I
insulted
forgot
Rob
about that.
Liefeld.
That
What?
was that's a great one.
The time Josh insulted Rob Liefeld to Rob Liefeld's friend at the
Ooh.
con.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Katie Cook
that.
sketch.
Did that. Yep. That's a good one. The
Josh, what's the
by
shampoo
way,
that doesn't?
Paul Mitchell tea tree oil special.
Those are good shampoos.
That's my new 52 pitch. Is they used them for a DC, what is it? DC Universe Presents. But I wanted to do a Vandal Savage book where he comes back as a hairstylist, and it's called Vandal Savage. That was my pitch.
That sound that you heard.
Vindel Savage.
I like how Connor got it and loved it a second later.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. It's a delay.
Yes. Great
I've
I've
pitch.
had a lot of beer.
If you could train a monkey to do something for you, what would it be? I can't. This is a family show.
Take my
Glengarry
empties
Glen Ross.
Empties away.
Empties away.
Big
Okay.
lefts. Those are big lefts.
The Cincinnati Reds. That's my favorite sports team.
Giants.
Wag the dog.
It's a great movie.
Wait,
There it is.
What are you?
Fuck you. It's a good movie. De Niro and Hoffman are great in it. So is Willie Nelson. So is
Back of a
Alex
truck with a
Leary.
dog.
Followed by the actor.
Willie Nelson's always great. Why is
Yeah,
that a
that's
question?
true. It's
Actually,
not.
very curious. Worst part
What
of the new
makes it-
52 so far.
Oh, that's
There's
not
a
nice.
lot of
I
bad
So
wanna-
many problems.
I
we
wanna-
don't have to do that.
What makes a great comic shop is the people.
The
who run it.
owner. It's all
Yep.
about the owner.
welcoming atmosphere.
Yep. It's not
Personality.
not making a clubhouse for yourself and not
Yep.
being a dipshit. And so
I think it's
many
a
And being a
dipshit.
professional.
The carpet.
Yes, remember it's a job. It's a business, and act accordingly.
You could
Guys
have
that
the
run my
worst.
shop are awesome.
The worst proprietor for a comic shop. If you have a great carpet.
You got simple needs, man. That's cool.
Now people are just sharing their answers to the questions.
Mike,
Give
can
us
you
a
bring me a
question.
sandwich?
Pick up the goddamn phone. There's
He's riding
three
around.
blocks away.
Riding around with a dog in the back of a truck.
Perfectly good pizza down the block. It's incredible.
You got the Master of Horror sitting next to you.
Oh. You know you can't watch that shit anywhere.
I know.
Project Greenlight does not exist.
The best show ever.
Ugh. That was
Did you guys ever watch that, Mike or Gordon or Paul?
No.
The best show ever?
Paul, you
Project
would love
Greenlight?
it.
Oh, yeah, I watched that shit. That,
I
kid
don't
from
really
the
like
Transformers,
TV.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf was in that.
Oh, yeah.
one. Yes, he
Oh,
was.
that's
He
right.
was the star.
They had
Okay, I
originally
remember
asked.
that.
They had originally asked who's Emil Hirsch. I know Emil Hirsch's manager, and they had originally asked Emil to do that, and my friend was like, "Fuck that, dude! That show is about making a bad movie. My actor's not doing that." And so, who did they pick? Shia.
Well,
But then he
was
did
10.
Transformers, so it didn't matter.
I know.
He made it out
That's
okay.
So ironic
You know
about
why?
the whole thing.
That kid has he's got
Has
something.
balls.
He's
His
got
charisma.
He was
charisma.
doing stand up
His
at
charisma.
11.
Lindsay,
His
Lindsay
charisma.
I remember
Stand up at 11.
I remember one time talking to Lindsay, and she like woke up early in the morning for whatever reason, and she started watching the Disney Channel, and he was on some show, and she's
Holes.
like, and I remember, no, that was a movie. It was a TV show that he was on
Holes.
on Disney. No,
Even
Holes was the
Stevens.
movie. Yeah, it's Even Stevens. And I remember Lindsay goes, I watched this show, and this kid on it was amazing.
too.
And like a year later, she goes, that was the kid. That's the kid from that show that I said was amazing, and she
He's
was
on Freaks
totally
and
right. He
Geeks,
became
too.
a star.
And now he's our intern Hank.
Yeah. Still,
2 or
'Cause
3.
he's looking pretty burly.
By the way, Hank is dying, in case anyone wondered.
What?
He's
What are you guys talking about?
You dropping
He's
that on
really-
us?
He's really sick.
Who's Hank?
What's wrong with Hank?
What are you laughing
He's got
about?
he's got a lung infection.
Why are you smiling so much
I'm
about it?
not, because I've had a lot of beer.
What do
Glad
we
he-
Well,
do?
I didn't know that
Do we
about
need to
Hank.
take
I
up
hope
a-
he
like
gets
a-
better soon. He's a
Like,
good-
do we take up money for this? Like, can we do a thing?
I don't know. He's sick.
Who's
I'm gonna
Hank?
text him.
Okay,
You
well,
never
we
met.
hope he
You
gets
never met
better.
Hank.
Are we
He's
talking about a
pissed he's
human
never
being
met
right
him.
now?
Yes.
Wow, this sounds terrible.
Okay, what kind,
not
Paul? What
fun.
kind of dogs do you have, and what are their names? I have 2 golden doodles, Abby and Bailey,
That's fun.
and I have 2 other dogs that we don't know what they are. It's Coco and Lola. It's my grandmother. They were my grandmother's originally, and she wanted to name them after strippers.
What?
It's a true story. And then Lily is a Cocker Spaniel, and I believe she's the only purebred dog we have, and her original name was Lilo, like Lilo and Stitch. But
Thanks, Mark.
I think the original kid who owned the dog could not pronounce Lilo, so they just call her Lily.
Yeah.
Do you want my 2 dogs, Paul? I'll drive them to you.
No,
Wait,
I'm
why
not a
don't you get
rescue.
second dog.
I'm at my.
Why don't I know about that? I miss you, Gordon.
10 o'clock.
When Diane
All right.
moved
I
in.
think it's.
Oh.
I think we hit the hour mark. It's 10 o'clock in the west. It's 1 in the east.
Yes. Look at me.
Let's
Look at
kill
if
it.
you can see the video from the beginning and what I look like now. It's
You
just
look-
the degeneration of man.
You look blurry.
You look good.
All right,
Uh,
everyone. We're gonna call it a night. Thank you for keeping up with our drunken mayhem, and thank you for watching the show. Tune in next week. We'll be back.
It could be like
For the other show?
look. It's like the fucking that show. Eight is
Eight is
Happy
enough?
Day. Eight is no.
Happy Day.
Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch. Yes.
Oh, right.
So
Josh,
everyone,
We can make out, Mike.
good, you other way, Mike. Other side. Other side.
Well, now that's Paul.
Yeah, and you and Josh can kiss.
This is
Wrong
weird.
side.
That's weird.
All right.
I'm gonna make out
Goodbye.
with Gordon. Fuck this.
Goodbye,
Got it.
everyone.
Bye.
Where was